The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1657. I have finally become a little more mediocre, which is really cause for celebration. Fangxi prepared the herbs she would need in advance, and she decided to make some hemostatic pills to warm up first. After activating the earth fire, he threw all the herbs into the heaven-swallowing cauldron and began to make the elixir seal. She used a simplified danyan. Although she has only successfully simplified a part of the danyan, it is enough for the time being. She didn't have any high-level herbs on hand, and she can refine pills above the earth level. It only took half a minute to refine a furnace of pills. Fangxi opened it and frowned. They are all top-grade elixirs. This thing is fine for personal use, but it would be inappropriate to give it as a gift to others in a forbidden area. Too high profile. Logically speaking, she had already let some of the water out, so the quality of the pill should have declined. How come it was still a top-grade pill? Could this be the legendary natural talent that is hard to give up? Commander Lu, don't you think that the herbs you use are all grown in green soil, so they are naturally extraordinary? Hearing him say this, Fangxi's heart moved. She has always wanted to replicate the divine elixir refined in the dark prison, but every attempt ended in failure. Green soil can shorten the growth time of medicinal herbs, which must be related to the power of time. In other words, the medicinal herbs grown in the green soil should have their own power of time, and perhaps could be used to refine divine elixirs. So, she no longer added water to the second batch of pills, but refined them very seriously. Half a minute later, she opened the lid of the tiending, and then showed a look of disappointment. The divine elixir is golden in color, while the elixir inside the heaven-swallowing cauldron only has golden lines on it, and it is also a top-grade elixir. Fangxi took out the pill while sighing. Commander Lu was speechless. If someone doesn't know, they would think that what you refined was a low-grade elixir. If someone else had managed to refine a top-grade elixir, they would have been overjoyed. Just as he was complaining in his mind, he was stunned. Wait a minute. Look carefully. Fangxi heard his words, looked down at the pill in her hand, and then saw the problem. Normally, top-grade elixirs only have a circle of golden lines, and the rest is white. The pill she refined had 3 circles of golden patterns, 1 in the middle and 2 on the upper and lower edges. The only difference is that the 2 circles of lines on the edge are slightly darker and narrower in comparison. So, Fangxi didn't pay attention to it just now. Her eyes suddenly lit up. It seems that the idea is right. It's just that these herbs haven't absorbed enough time power, so this happens. After the competition, she can think about this idea carefully. As she thought about this, she began to refine the third batch of hemostatic pills. This time she did it with her eyes closed because she really didn't know how to add the water. Even though she was refining it with her eyes closed, she still managed to produce a furnace of top-grade pills. She sighed, Master, why is it so difficult to hide my shortcomings? I can't just use my feet to make danyan, right? Commander Lu. When it comes to showing off, if you are second, no one dares to claim to be first. At this time, Mu Jian said in a sly voice. Master, you can refine dozens of pills in one furnace. In this way, your excellence will be shared, and you will probably be able to refine a high-quality elixir that people would despise. Fangxi's eyes lit up. She had actually forgotten about this. So, she took out 5 packages of herbs for hemostatic pills, stuffed them all into the heaven-swallowing cauldron, and then began to refine them. Finally, after she tried her best to let him go, she managed to refine 50 high-quality pills. Fangxi breathed a sigh of relief. I have finally become a little more mediocre. This is really cause for celebration. Commander Lu is no longer able to complain. He has become numb, so whatever. Fangxi then refined several more batches of other pills, and then prepared to start the highlight of the day, the hair growth pill. Although the Jade Sip gave several recipes for hair growth pills, there were too few varieties of herbs in the medicine garden to make up the difference. Fangxi figured out a substitute formula based on his own understanding of the pill formula, but whether it would work or not depended on how it was refined. The first batch failed. After summarizing his experience, Fangxi adjusted the pill recipe, but the second batch failed again. Fortunately, the third batch was successful, but its effectiveness is still unclear. She made up her mind, shaved her hair, and then took a hair growth pill. Commander Lu was so jealous that he almost died. Is it worth it for you to do this for an old charlatan? I'm so sincere to you, why don't you help me think of a way to avoid being cut into pieces? The effect of the hair growth pill was not so immediate, so Fangxi continued to refine other pills. When she was practicing enthusiastically, the wooden sword made a pig-like sound. Master, the fire-swallowing beast has woken up after eating for nothing. After Fangxi finished refining the pill in his hand, he probed his spiritual sense into the spirit beast bag. The fire-swallowing shoe sensed her consciousness and said in a flattering manner, Master, I seem to smell the scent of underground fire. Can you let me have a few bites? Fangxi. I was wondering why this bastard woke up. Turns out he woke up because of his greed. Eat shit. Is it easy for Tianyan Dao Sect to get some underground fire? If you dazzle me, how can I deal with it? All you do all day is sleep and eat. Let me ask you, did you steal the flame crystals and stretch stones? Spit 'em out. The fire-swallowing beast suddenly became nervous. The specific manifestation is that the 4 claws keep digging the ground. Fangxi knew it must have been done by it as soon as she saw it. I was immediately filled with rage and was about to teach it a lesson when the fire-swallowing beast suddenly fell to the ground. Fangxi thought it was pretending to be dead. The next moment, its body suddenly grew in size and was covered with fiery red scales. It actually turned into a Kilin. The Kilin suddenly opened its eyes and roared like a huge bell. When Fangxi was a little dazed, Kilin knelt on the ground. Mother, your unfilial son, kowtows to you. Then he kowtowed. Fangxi. By the way, before, in the underground river inside the Haushan mirror, she lied to the fire-swallowing Pixiu, who had transformed into a Kilin, and said that she was its mother. This guy took it seriously. Fangxi immediately radiated a maternal glow. Good boy, get up quickly. After hearing this, Killen stood up and looked around in confusion. When he saw the other Spirit Pets in the Spirit Beast bag, he was obviously a little confused. Mom, what's in your Spirit Beast bag? Are these pieces of trash your contracted beasts? Wastes. Chaos suddenly became energetic. Finally, the dirty work begins. It immediately called the golden pigs to beat up the Killen. The Killen was beaten, and fell asleep, turning back into a fire-swallowing Pixiu. However, the fire-swallowing Pixiu today is very different from when it first signed the contract with Feng Shi. Half of its body is covered with fiery red scales. Feng Shi. I must have owed it in my past life, otherwise why would I have to support such a thing and let it eat for nothing? The wooden sword began to slander. Master, I think there is something fishy here. If you ask me, the fire-swallowing Pixiu is the Killen, and the Killen is the fire-swallowing Pixiu. It did this just to evade responsibility. I pried its scales off piece by piece to see if it would wake up. The scales you pry off can also be used by the honey badger to make a set of armor for you, your master. It will be bright red and look so festive. Feng Shi. You are so good at arrangements. Next chapter around 7 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1658 Elder Gu Liang is smoking. Of course Feng Shi would not really use the wooden sword to pry open the armor of the fire-swallowing Pixiu. She had a hunch that once the fire-eating beast's entire body was covered with fiery red scales, it would be fully awake. After this little episode, Feng Shi took out a mirror and was surprised to find that her hair had grown back. Although only hair stubble appeared, it showed that the hair growth pill was successfully refined. It just so happened that she was very tired at the moment and could no longer refine the elixir, so she released a little black ball and cleared the smell in the alchemy room. After making sure there were no emissions, he opened the alchemy room and went to Elder Gu Liang to present his treasures. After she left, Deacon Lu from the alchemy room came in to inspect as usual. When he saw the amount of earth fire used, he was completely stunned. Judging from the consumption of the underground fire, Lu Yi must have refined dozens of furnaces of elixirs, right? Even Elder Zhao can possibly refine so many furnaces of elixirs in such a short time. Even if the physical and spiritual power can keep up, the spiritual consciousness can't bear it. However, he soon guessed the truth of the matter. When Lu Yi went out just now, only short stubble of hair was left. It was estimated that something went wrong while she was refining the elixir and she burned herself. The alchemy room had a fireproof device, so the fire did not spread. He said that Elder Zhao shouldn't have provided an alchemy room for Lu Yi. She had only been exposed to alchemy for a few days. This is a bit too much. On the other side, Feng Shi had already hurried to Elder Gu Liang's yard. Master, I have made the hair growth pill for you. Elder Gu Liang didn't believe it at all. Because in his opinion, Feng Shi had only learned alchemy for a few days, and even if he was very talented, it would be impossible for him to refine the hair growth pill in such a short time. Feng Shi guessed what he was thinking and pointed at her hair. Master, look, I shaved my hair off to verify the effect of the hair growth pill, and it has already grown back in just a short while. Elder Gu Liang then noticed his beloved disciple's hair. He was stunned for a moment, then his voice trembled. You shaved your hair to verify the effect of the hair growth pill. Feng Shi nodded. Well, only in this way can I let you use it with confidence. Elder Gu Liang was so moved that tears filled his eyes. As a veteran victim of baldness, he knew what it meant when his beloved apprentice shaved his hair. What's more, she is still a little girl, at the age when she loves beauty, but for him, an old man, she sacrificed her own image. What a touching master-disciple relationship. How could Gu Liangchuan have such a good disciple? It must be the master's spirit in heaven blessing him. He will definitely go to his old man's grave and kowtow a few more times next time. While he was moved, he thought that even if he really refined it, it would be useless. After all, his situation is special. Elder Zhao helped him refine several kinds of hair growth pills, but they had no effect after he took them. But after all, it was a token of his disciple's good intention, so Elder Gu Liang was very cooperative and showed his surprise. Feng Shi knew what he was thinking at first glance, but did not point it out. He handed the improved version of the hair growth pill to Elder Gu Liang. Elder Gu Liang opened the bottle cork, poured out a pill, and swallowed it with a fearless attitude. After all, it was made by his disciple, so even if it was poisonous, he would accept it. I don't know if Lao Zhao is at home. If something happens to him later, can Lao Zhao come to save him in time? Should I send him a message now and ask him to come over quickly? Forget it. If I do this, my disciple will be sad. With such mixed feelings, Elder Gu Liang began to count down for himself. However, after a quarter of an hour, there was no discomfort. That's true. My disciple is a genius in alchemy after all. Even if he fails to make the medicine, it won't be poisonous. Elder Gu Liang felt relieved immediately. As for whether his hair could grow back, he no longer held out any hope. As long as it wasn't poisonous, it was good enough. Today is another injury-free day, congratulations. It just so happened that Feng Shi had some doubts about the turtle evolution technique, so she asked Elder Gu Liang to help her solve them. When the master and the disciple were chatting animatedly, Elder Gu Liang felt a little hot on his head. At first he thought that he was too focused on teaching and answering questions, so he was too excited and felt hot. However, as time went on and it got hotter, he took off the wig. Anyway, the disciple has seen him with a bald head before. The next moment, Feng Shi's eyes widened. Because white smoke was coming out of Elder Gu Liang's head. Feng Shi was shocked. How come this hair growth pill turned into a self-igniting pill? If she burned her master, she would be so filial. You can go straight into the ground. When Elder Gu Liang saw her look of astonishment, he thought she was disgusted with his bald head. Suddenly I felt a little unhappy. Yi, you must always remember the 4 words of respecting teachers and honoring virtues. Even if your teacher is a little careless, you can't. The next moment, he saw his glorious image at this moment in the mirror that Feng Shi took out. There were wisps of white smoke coming out of the top of his head, just like an incense burner. When he was confused, Fang Shi yelled, "Master, I'm sorry." The next moment, a basin of cold water was poured on Elder Guliang's head. The white smoke was gone, but Elder Guliang was soaked to the skin. Even though Elder Guliang doted on Fang Shi very much, he was so angry at this moment. He immediately chased Fang Shi and was about to fight him. Regardless of whether he really wanted to fight or not, his mood must have been very bad at this moment. Fang Shi certainly wouldn't just stand there stupidly. She rushed to the gate of the courtyard and said, "Master, if you chase me, others will see your new look." Elder Guliang suddenly seemed to be under a spell and stopped where he was, pointing his finger at Fang Shi. "You evil disciple, evil disciple." Fang Shi was about to explain a few words, then his eyes widened. "Master, please look in the mirror now. It seems like a miracle has happened." Although Elder Guliang felt that she was trying to divert his attention, he still took out the mirror. At this sight, he was also stunned. The originally bald head suddenly had some hair stubble, although it was white, but it at least changed the current state of the desert with no grass at all. He was at once surprised and delighted, and no longer cared about chasing Fang Shi. He looked at himself in the mirror hundreds of times, and finally confirmed that he had really grown hair stubble. Fang Shi came over happily. "Master, what I just said was just a strategy. In your case, ordinary medication is useless. You have to cultivate it with water." Elder Guliang, get lost. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1659 hair color is not important. Although Elder Guliang cursed harshly, he was also somewhat worried in his heart. Maybe it is true. Otherwise, why didn't the pill given to him by Lao Jiao work, but why did the pill given to him by his beloved disciple only work? The key is not to rub it on your head. He suddenly widened his eyes and looked at Fang Shi. Is this medicine for internal or external use? Fang Shi was somewhat speechless. Of course it's for internal use, otherwise how could I watch you eat it? Don't think about these things for now, use the spell to dry your clothes quickly, and don't catch a cold again. Elder Guliang didn't care about clothes at this moment. Besides, he had reached the Mahayana stage, so how could he catch a cold? He stared at the mirror and found that his hair had grown a little longer. Suddenly, he was so happy that he couldn't find the north. He has hair. He finally has hair. As for hair color, it doesn't matter. Let alone white, even green doesn't matter. Fang Shi was a little puzzled. Why was her hair black, while Elder Guliang's was white? By the way, he was burned like this by some spiritual fire that he created himself. I guess the situation was a bit special. "Master, I'm not sure I can adjust your hair color to normal in such a short time. Why don't you dye it black when it grows longer?" Elder Guliang waved his hand and said, "Don't you think this white hair suits me, your master? White hair and a youthful face are the standard for an old god, an older mortal." Fang Shi felt that he wanted to say the old charlatan at first. I have to say that Master Cheap has a very accurate understanding of himself. She gave Elder Guliang some instructions and returned to her own courtyard. After opening the isolation array, she threw a handful of herb seeds on the ground and began to meditate and practice. Halfway through his practice, he thought of Zheng Wen and quickly sent him a message, asking him to come over and practice with him. Zheng Wen was stunned when he entered the room. How did Junior Sister's house become a herb garden? The mutated burrowing thorn beast was even more stunned. The female devil actually has the ability to give birth to spiritual plants. Is there anything in this world that she doesn't know how to do? In comparison, its nominal owner is a waste. However, trash also has its advantages. At least it follows him and will not feel inferior. Fang Shi gave a brief explanation and asked Zheng Wen to meditate and practice. The two of them now basically don't talk about things behind the back of the mutant burrowing thorn beast. One is that it is inconvenient, and the other is that after the incident with the spy, it can be seen that although the mutated burrowing thorn beast is not very loyal, at least it exists, and that is enough. Anyway, we are all in the same boat, so we don't have to worry about it turning against us. Unfortunately, the mutant burrowing thorn beast's brain was not very good and it loved to use its imagination, so even though there were many strange things in the conversation between Fang Shi and Zheng Wen, it managed to rationalize them all magically. For example, what happened this time? Normally speaking, how could a little orphan like Fang Shi know about the existence of Qingrang? But in the eyes of the mutated burrowing thorn beast, Fang Shi is an omnipotent female devil, so it did not suspect anything at all. It dug out a few green soil bricks, then buried itself in the soil and began to practice. The effect is extremely good. It even wants to change its owner. Forget it, it will be free sooner or later anyway, so just bear with it for now. On the other side, Elder Zhao just received news from the deacon of the alchemy room, saying that Fang Shi failed in making the elixir and even burned his hair. He originally wanted to ask Fang Shi, but was afraid of hurting the little girl's self-esteem. Even if I don't ask, I'm still thinking about it. Just when I was feeling upset, I heard Elder Guliang's quacking voice like an old duck coming from outside. Lao Jiao, Lao Jiao, Lao Jiao. Elder Zhao opened the gate with a frown, then froze. Elder Guliang was seen wearing a white robe, holding a whisk in his left hand, and making a wind-raising gesture with his right hand. His wig was blown by the wind like a wild horse. It's a pity that he doesn't realize it and still thinks he is very expert. The corner of Elder Zhao's mouth twitched slightly, then he made a gesture of invitation and let Elder Guliang into the yard. Elder Guliang was quite proud. When he came before, it was good enough that Lao Jiao did not refuse him entry. But now he actually politely invited him into the yard. It seems that his status as a fortune teller has also risen. Little did he know that Elder Zhao treated him with such courtesy entirely because of Fang Shi. Otherwise he would have been turned away long ago. After entering the house, Elder Guliang asked for tea and snacks, and Elder Zhao patiently did as he was asked. Tell me, what do you want from me? Elder Guliang said proudly, Old Zhao, I have brought you a big surprise this time. Be prepared and don't get excited again. Elder Zhao, tell me, what's the surprise? Elder Guliang took off his messy wig and said proudly. See, I have long hair, ha ha ha. This is the hair growth pill that my precious disciple made for me by testing it on himself. You don't need to apply it on your body, just take it orally. You said before that I would never grow hair in my lifetime. Is it a slap in the face? Elder Zhao looked at Elder Guliang's head of white hair in disbelief, his face dumbfounded. When Elder Guliang saw his terrifying look, he was so proud that he couldn't even express it in words. Guliangchuan is so lucky. When he was young, he had the protection of his master, so he could almost walk sideways in Tianyan Dao Sect. Although his master was gone, he still had his senior brother Dai Chanfang to protect him. Although he would always let him take the blame for no reason and would even kick him a few times from time to time, he was generally nice to him. Now that I am old, I have also accepted a good apprentice. He was feeling happy when he suddenly screamed. It turned out that it was Elder Zhao who pulled a handful of his hair. Elder Guliang is not going to do this anymore. Touching his hair is equivalent to touching his life. Zhao, I'm going to fight you. Elder Zhao hurriedly explained, I don't mean anything else, I just want to study it. What the hell are you researching? You haven't come up with anything after so many years of research. I think you're just jealous of my beautiful hair, so you want to destroy it. Elder Zhao. Next chapter around 8 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1660 Palace Master Cow was thrown 7,749 times by Qinglong. Elder Zhao actually suspected that Elder Guliang's hair was fake, so he pulled a handful of it. Of course, I really want to study it. He tried every possible means and even bought 2 hair growth pills from Elder Guliang at a high price, and only then was this minor disturbance resolved. Elder Guliang boasted again, including but not limited to how filial his disciple was, how lucky he was, and how superb his current turtle evolution technique was. Elder Zhao patiently endured the mental torture and finally found an excuse to send Elder Guliang away. Elder Guliang felt so happy that he even strode forward with leaps and bounds. Today is such a good day. Not only did I get my hair back, but I also made a small profit. On the other side, Palace Master Cao returned to Xingyao Gate exhausted. After reporting to Sect Master Chu, he hurried to the Four Symbols Holy Land. And then, Qinglong threw him down 79 times. Palace Master Cao was stunned by the fall. But he still said with a smile, Blue Dragon Divine Envoy, but what did I do wrong? Qinglong thought, look, what did I say, this guy named Cao is just a bastard. It used its divine mind to reveal words on the stone wall. Xingyao Sect is going to hold a Forbidden Area competition with Tianyan Dao Sect. Why didn't you ask us, the Four Symbols, for permission in advance? Close black lens bracket. Palace Master Cao was stunned for a moment. We have never consulted you about matters concerning Xingyao Sect. Why, are you so proactive this time? Useless. Are you wondering why we didn't interfere in your affairs before, but now we are interfering? Can't you use your pig brain to think about it? Now Xuanwu and I are helping you to investigate the movements of Tianyan Dao Sect. If we know nothing about your movements, how can we know what information is useful and what is useless? Close black lens bracket. When Qinglong got to this point, he forgot the words. With the reminder from Xuanwu and the others, I remembered the words that followed. The same goes for Lu Yi. She always has a long list of lines every time. Fortunately, she told Xuanwu and the others while they were still fresh in the minds of the audience. Otherwise, she would have messed up the performance by herself. I learned about this matter when I heard Elder Fang talking about this competition with others. Why are you doing this? That dojo originally belonged to the Tianyan Dao Sect. You let their people in. Isn't that like throwing meat buns at a dog? How stupid. Close black lens bracket. Palace Master Cao hurriedly explained, God's messenger, we do this for a reason. Firstly, the star key only has 3 chances to unlock the lock. We have tried twice before and both ended in failure. That's why we had no choice but to ask Gu Liangchuan from Tianyan Taoist Sect to try the Turtle Yan technique. Secondly, we know very little about the situation inside the temple, and Mahayana monks cannot enter, so we can only let the disciples go in and try. Letting Tianyan Taoist Sect's disciples go in together can share some of the risks, and at worst they can be used to take the blame. Thirdly, although our Xingyao Sect has always had the upper hand in the confrontations with Tianyan Dao Sect in recent years, they have always felt superior because of their origins. Our sect leader wanted to use this opportunity to suppress them. Once these disciples lose their spirit, Tianyan Dao Sect will sooner or later be taken over by our Xingyao Sect. Fourthly, once the outside world knows that our Xingyao Sect has entered the Taoist temple, it is inevitable that some people will become covetous and let the Tianyan Taoist Sect get involved. Then we can divert the trouble away. Finally, as you said, we are afraid that the Dao Chang monument will only recognize people from Tianyan Dao Sect, so we let them in. Once they get the Dao Chang monument, our disciples will snatch it away. After listening to this, Qinglong nodded. It seems that we underestimated you. There are some rules. However, you should still report anything to us in the future so that we can have an idea of what is going on. By the way, this time the Tianyan Dao Sect is led by Hall Master Teng, assisted by Elder Zhao, and there are 6 other elders accompanying them. Among the 58 direct disciples, there are only 3 who have reached the 6th level of fusion, 52 who have reached the 5th level of fusion, 1 who has reached the 4th level of fusion, and 2 who have reached the level of incarnation. As for their strategy, it is still under discussion. I will tell you when there is a result. Close black lens bracket. Palace Master Cao was immediately overjoyed. Blue Dragon Divine Envoy, so you can now hear their conversation through the storage ring. It is not very stable at the moment, and can be heard occasionally. Palace Master Cao thought this was normal. No secret technique was always effective, not to mention that Xi Xiang had only been practicing the secret technique for a few days. After thanking him profusely, he left happily. As soon as he left, Qinglong was eager to tell Fangxi the news. Then, it was awkward. Because only if Fangxi takes the rubbing out of the storage ring on his own initiative will it have the opportunity to communicate with Fangxi. There is nothing else to worry about, but it is just afraid that as time goes by, it will forget everything Palace Master Cao said. So, he quickly asked Schwanru and the others to help him remember it, so that he would not forget it later. Schwench thought, you are just an idiot and you want to be the leader of the 4 elephants. You really overestimate your abilities. It's a pity that the time rubbing was destroyed, otherwise how could Qinglong, a hotshot, have the chance to communicate with that little girl? By the way, Lu Yi will come to Xing'ao Gate in a few days. It can find a chance to talk to her about the 5 elephants then. 2 days later, Feng Shi thought of Qinglong while practicing and took out the rubbing. Qinglong quickly told Feng Shi what Palace Master Cao had said. After listening to this, Feng Shi thought to himself, the Sect Master Chu of Xing'ao Sect is really cunning. No wonder Tianyan Dao Sect was repeatedly at a disadvantage in its confrontations with them. That's good, she likes dealing with smart people. Feng Shi praised Qinglong so much that he almost turned Qinglong into a dragon egg. Then, she told Qinglong about Tianyan Dao Sect's strategy. Tell Palace Master Cao that our Tianyan Dao Sect knows that its strength is not as good as Xing'ao Sect's, and we will focus on self-preservation after entering the forbidden area. If you encounter the same opportunity as someone from Xing'ao, avoid it if you can. In short, they're just a bunch of cowards. Qinglong rolled his eyes and said, what about the reality? Feng Shi curled the corners of his mouth, yes. Qinglong. In a blink of an eye, it was the day when Master Teng led the team to set off. It was almost time to set off, but Elder Gu Liang had not arrived yet. Sect Leader Dai was so angry. Why does this useless thing always embarrass itself at the critical moment? Just as I was thinking about it, I heard a cry of surprise from the crowd. He turned his head and saw someone walking towards him from a distance. He is dressed in a white robe, with white hair and a youthful face. He holds a whisk in his left hand and a tortoise shell in his right hand. He looks like an immortal. Upon closer inspection, it was his unreliable junior brother. Is this a white wig? So far, only Gu Liang, his 3 disciples and Elder Zhao know that Elder Gu Liang has long hair, and no one else knows about it. Elder Gu Liang just wants to make a splash. Now see, the effect has been achieved. He is so beautiful that he is almost bursting with beauty. Especially when he saw Elder Bai's envious, jealous and hateful expression, he felt that his life was complete. When he walked in front of the crowd, he also used a set of terminology from the turtle evolution technique, which roughly meant that today was an auspicious day for traveling, and that this forbidden area competition would definitely be a great victory and so on. Although everyone thought he was too boastful, they all wanted to have a good start, so they just let him boast for a quarter of an hour. In the end, it was only after Sect Master Dai glared at him that he shut up. Hall Master Teng summoned a flying boat, and after everyone boarded the boat, they set off for Xing'ao Gate. Elder Gu Liang felt quite regretful because Elder Bai was not among the elders accompanying him. When he shines in Xing'ao Gate, he dares not imagine how jealous Bai Lin will be. What a shame. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1661, like a god falling to earth. After a brief moment of regret, Elder Gu Liang began to show off. Old Teng, do you think this hair color matches me? I'm not exaggerating, I'm the only one in the entire Tianyan Dao sect who can handle this hair color. And my hair is as smooth as silk. Look, when I shake my head, it sparkles. Master Teng. Although he was speechless, he was a kind man and still complimented Elder Gu Liang a few words in accordance with his wishes. Elder Gu Liang was even more confused now. When he was in his prime, someone said, Gu Liangchuan, if you have time to show off here, you might as well study the turtle evolution technique instead, so as not to embarrass yourself later. It doesn't matter if you lose face or not, the key is that these disciples will miss the opportunity to enter the dojo. Elder Gu Liang looked and saw that it was Elder Heng who spoke. Elder Heng is Daiquan's master. Ever since he found out that his apprentice had been possessed by someone and became a spy, he could be said to have been living a life worse than death these days. The whole person is so thin. Although Sect Leader Dai did not blame him or doubt him, he could not get over it. Daiquan was his carefully trained disciple, but he was possessed by someone else without any warning. But he hasn't noticed it yet. He has let down his disciples and the sect, he is just an old loser. So this time I volunteered to go to Xing'ao. If the Xing'ao sect does anything bad to these disciples, he will defend the dignity of the Tianyan Dao sect even if it means self-destruction. To put it bluntly, he wanted to atone for his sins with death. Hall Master Teng and the others had guessed what Elder Heng was thinking, so they spoke to him very carefully, but Elder Gu Liang obviously wasn't buying it. You're threatening to die all day long, what the hell? If he was so petty, he would have hanged himself in front of his master's grave long ago. So, after hearing what Elder Heng said, he shook his hair and pouted. Old Heng, don't forget, if Xing'ao sect hadn't asked me for help, how could these disciples have had the opportunity to participate in the Forbidden Land competition? So even if I can't figure it out, they have no right to blame me. Besides, I also secured for them the opportunity to visit the Star Dome. Even if they can't get into the dojo, it's still a worthwhile trip for them. Instead of pointing fingers at me here, you might as well eat a few more bowls of rice to fatten yourself up, otherwise Xing'ao sect will think that our Tianyan Dao sect is too poor to afford food. Elder Heng's fighting ability was obviously not good. He was so embarrassed that his face turned red and his neck became thick, but he could only point at Elder Gu Liang with trembling fingers and could not say a word. Hall Master Teng quickly tried to smooth things over. Say less, we are all doing this for the good of the sect, don't hurt the harmony. Elder Gu Liang shook his hair again and said, Old Teng, you are worrying too much. In all these years, I have fought against all the sects except you. Don't you all praise me for being a good person? Master Teng. If anyone in the sect praises you as a good person, I will take your surname. Just when he was speechless, Elder Gu Liang started to attack Elder Heng. I didn't bother to say anything to you before, but now that you've taken the initiative to provoke me, I'll just say whatever I want to say. It is understandable that you are sad because your apprentice died, but there must be a limit. Look at what you have done to yourself. It's like a skeleton turned into a strut. What, do you think that playing sympathy can bring your apprentice back to life? Or will you just starve yourself to death and the mastermind behind this be able to take it all away? I despise people like you. What purpose does your behavior serve other than making your loved ones sad and your enemies happy? Your last name is wasted. Do you have any perseverance? You old wimp. Elder Heng was so angry that he vomited blood and fainted. Elder Guliang felt the disapproving gazes of the crowd and curled his lips. What do you know? He is depressed and it would be better if he could spit out this blood. You guys don't want to be the bad guy, so I'll be the bad guy. After Elder Zhao investigated Elder Heng's situation, he gave a positive answer. He's right. It's better for Elder Heng to spit out this blood. Otherwise, over time, the meridians will flow backwards and he will go crazy. Elder Guliang was even more proud now. My hair is about to be shaken into a dustpan. Fang Shi was a little worried that he might lose his head. After a while, Elder Heng woke up, his eyes were red and he said nothing. Elder Guliang came over and said with a smile. Lao Heng, don't worry, I've told you a fortune, and good fortune is yet to come. Elder Heng smiled bitterly. Blessing, what kind of blessing can I have? Whatever, you are right, what I should do most now is to find the mastermind behind this and avenge my disciple. After saying that, he began to sit cross-legged in meditation. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Fang Shi silently gave Elder Guliang a thumbs up. Elder Guliang was so happy that Dai almost ran away from home. Tianyan Dao Sect and Xingyao Gate were not far apart, and the flying boat arrived at Xingyao Gate in just one day. No matter how much the two sects dislike each other, they still have to do the surface work. When Hall Master Teng and his companions arrived, Hall Master Cao and his companions were already waiting outside the mountain gate. Normally, Hall Master Teng should have been the first to get off the flying boat, but he knew that Elder Guliang wanted to make a grand appearance, so he let him get off first. Elder Guliang originally thought that Hall Master Teng was a good person, and now he has added a modifier before the word, good person. Good man. Super invincible good man. So, the people from Xingyao Gate saw this scene. After the flying boat opened, an old man in a white robe appeared at the cabin door. He had white hair and a youthful face, a whisk in his left hand and a tortoise shell in his right hand, floating in the air, like a god descending to earth. Many people exclaimed in surprise. Even Palace Master Cao's eyes widened. Looking closely, isn't this the old charlatan Guliang Chun? In order to look good, you even dyed your hair white. You were really good at showing off. After Elder Guliang came down, Hall Master Teng and others also got off the flying boat one after another. In addition to the 5 Hall Masters and Elders of the Xingyao sect, some direct disciples are also among them. When they saw Li Zhe with green curly hair and the 2 little gods behind him, they couldn't help but sneer. If it weren't for the presence of the Palace Master and the Elders, he would probably have spoken out loud. Palace Master Cao was very happy and took 2 steps forward. Everyone, we have been waiting here for a long time. Did you have a smooth journey? The other 4 Hall Masters and Elders also came over to greet each other. If someone who doesn't know the situation looks at it, one would think that the 2 factions have a very close relationship. While they were chatting, Fang Shi began to look at the gate of Xingyao sect. There's no way, she has a complex about the mountain gate. Well, the kneeling complex. Although the gate of Xingyao sect is more luxurious and majestic than that of Tianyan Taoist sect, it is far inferior in terms of heritage. The 2 sides exchanged a few simple greetings, and Palace Master Cao said, Everyone, our master is still waiting in the hall, please come in. Everyone followed Palace Master Cao over the threshold and went inside. Fang Shi was afraid of any unexpected situations, so he raised his legs high and stepped lightly, carefully crossing the threshold. Nothing happened. When some of Xingyao sect's disciples saw this scene, they interpreted it as her being timid. TSK, that's right, she is just a minor god, compared with these gifted ones, she is just an ant. I really don't know what Tianyan Dao sect was thinking. They actually agreed to let the 2 little gods participate in the Forbidden Land competition. What's the difference between this and sending them to their deaths? Next chapter around 7 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1662. It seems that Xingyao is good for him. Fang Shi didn't know what they were thinking, and even if she knew she wouldn't care. She passed the threshold smoothly, and finally she felt relieved. After walking a distance, everyone stopped. Because there were more than a dozen forks in the road ahead, and the fog was so thick that visibility was only a few feet away. Palace Master Cao smiled and said, Elder Guliang, I heard that you have made great progress in the art of turtle evolution. Why don't you calculate now which of these forked roads leads to the meeting hall? Everyone present understood that this was a show of force. Elder Guliang was not afraid at all. He happened to be holding a tortoise shell in his hand and was about to tell fortunes. On the Tianyan Dao sect side, everyone reacted faster than the other and retreated quickly. Elder Guliang. Can't you give me some face in front of outsiders? From this perspective, the people from Xingyao Gate look more adorable, because at least they didn't retreat. The next moment, the people from Xingyao Gate also ran away. Elder Guliang. Okay, you earn your face. This time, I will let you know what a divine fortune teller is. Spiritual flames rose from his right hand, and he roasted the turtle shell while muttering to himself. Fang Shi stretched his neck to look and thought, the people from Xingyao sect are really brave. Aren't they afraid that the Chief Master will blow up their mountain gate? Yes, this is some distance away from the mountain gate, probably just in case. It's quite thoughtful. While she was daydreaming, Elder Guliang had already successfully completed the divination. He breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately it didn't explode, otherwise I would have lost all my face. It seems that Xingyao is bringing good luck to him. As he thought about it, he put the tortoise shell into his storage ring, shook his hair, and then put one hand behind his back and pointed at the mountains with the other hand. Not only did I figure out that the second fork on the left leads to the council hall, I also figured out that among these 17 forks, only 5 are possible. Am I right? Suddenly someone exclaimed. Obviously it was correct. Palace Master Cao's expression changed slightly, and he bowed and said, Elder Guliang is indeed very smart. Your calculation is absolutely correct. Please come this way. Elder Guliang doesn't even know how to show off. He even wished he could write the 3 words, Divine Fortune Teller, on his forehead. Hall Master Teng and the others were also very happy. It seemed that Elder Guliang's turtle evolution technique had indeed improved rapidly and was no longer the same as before. Fang Shi was a little puzzled. She had previously guessed that Elder Guliang's blasting of the turtle shell was related to the power of time. Why was the frequency of blasting not so high recently? Commander Lu said, although the turtle evolution technique will cause fluctuations in the power of time, the distribution of the power of time is not uniform, so it is normal for it to explode or not. It's like when you use a flint to make a spark. If it happens to hit a pile of firewood, it will cause a raging fire, but if it hits an open space, nothing will happen. Fang Shi felt that what Commander Lu said made sense. If that was the case, his master was flying sparks, and she was holding a torch. Therefore, it is easier for her to explode the turtle shell, and the power is greater. Palace Master Cao was in a conflicted mood. Elder Guliang's calculation was correct, and he had more confidence that Elder Guliang would calculate the correct star lock later. However, when Elder Guliang became famous, he gritted his teeth secretly. Fortunately, there is a backup plan. We must give Tianyan Dao Sect a warning today. Half a quarter of an hour later, the flat land on both sides of the road was replaced by ponds. Palace Master Cao smiled and said, Everyone, do you know what these ponds are used for? Elder Guliang is now committed to making a conspicuous bag, so he was the first to say. Do you even need to ask? He's raising turtles. Do you want to sell your turtle shells? If so, I'll buy 100 of them. Palace Master Cao. You look like a cuckold to me. Elder Guliang is joking. The things in this pond are the soul-stealing stings we caught from the illusion sea. They're used to temper our character. Everyone, are you willing to try one or two? Elder Guliang shook his head like a rattle. He didn't want to try at all. It's not that I'm afraid of any soul-stirring stings, but I'm afraid of messing up my hair. He had worked so hard to create an image of an immortal, and he didn't want to become a drowned chicken. Hall Master Teng and several elders were reluctant to try due to their status burdens. If he jumped into the water, even if his mind wasn't affected by the soul-stealing sting, he would still be humiliated. At this time, Su Chao took the initiative to step forward. Palace Master Cao, the junior Su Chao wants to give it a try. On the one hand, he stood up because he wanted to be in the spotlight, and on the other hand, he felt that he was the most accomplished disciple among the Tianyan Taoist sect and had to take responsibility. Palace Master Cao looked at Su Chao and said, There are 5 ponds here, named after gold, wood, water, fire and earth. The number of soul-sucking stings in each pond is different. The earth pond has the least, and the gold pond has the most. Our Xingyao's disciples usually temper their minds in the pond, and at worst they can hold on for about a quarter of an hour. As for you, you should start with the earth pond first. Su Chao was arrogant and proud. When he heard him say that, he immediately said, Junior should try the pond. Palace Master Cao smiled. You can try it, but let me be frank. The soul-stealing sting can affect a person's mind. If you are not careful, you may become a fool or a madman. Are you sure you want to give it a try? The more he said this, the more Su Chao insisted, and it became harder for Palace Master Cao to stop him. Under such circumstances, it was difficult for Master Teng to stop it, so he could only remind Su Chao to do things within his ability, and if he noticed something was wrong, he should go ashore immediately and not force himself. Su Chao agreed and jumped into the pond. The moment he jumped in, he was surrounded by a group of lavender soul-sucking stingers. These soul-sucking stingers have been tamed and only use their innate magical powers to disturb people's minds. They will not attack with venom or other means. The Scottish team was initially full of confidence, but soon became a little panicked. Because he felt a little dazed, if he hadn't forced himself to regain consciousness, he would have fallen into an illusion. Once you fall into the illusion, it will be bad. He wanted to go ashore, but when he remembered what Palace Master Cao said, that the direct disciples of Xingyao Sect could at least hold out for a quarter of an hour, he made up his mind and gritted his teeth to persevere. Time seems to be extraordinarily long. After only half a quarter of an hour, his eyes became somewhat distracted. The disciples of Xingyao Sect suddenly started chirping. Although the sound was not loud, everyone present could hear it clearly. It simply means that Su Chao overestimates his own abilities. The first direct disciple of Tianyan Dao Sect is nothing but this. At this time, someone asked clearly. Palace Master Cao, can we eat this soul-stealing sting? When you host a banquet for us tonight, can you add a cold dish of sting skin? The person who spoke was Fang Shi. She looked at Palace Master Cao with sparkling eyes. Palace Master Cao. I think you look like a stingy person. You two, master and disciple, are a perfect match. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1663. You are quite particular. Palace Master Cao said patiently. We in Xingyao Sect raise soul-stealing stings mainly to temper our minds, not for the sake of satisfying our appetites. Fang Shi's eyes became brighter. So it's edible. We came all the way here, so you can just catch a few hundred for us to taste. Palace Master Cao. You might as well eat up the pond soil as well. His face immediately became gloomy. A mere disciple like him really has no idea of his proper place. If it weren't for the fact that the people from Tianyan Dao Sect had just arrived, he would have wanted to explode. At this time, a disciple named Fang Kui sneered. You only know how to eat. What a country bumpkin who has never seen the world. Are you, the Tianyan Dao Sect, so poor that you can't even afford to eat? Fang Shi was originally worried about how to continue the conversation. After all, Palace Master Cao had a high status and there were some things she couldn't say. I didn't expect someone to deliver it to my door. She sighed. Rather, since you said so, I have to explain it in detail. This has nothing to do with being poor or not. The main thing is that our Tianyan Taoist sect is compassionate and based on good intentions. We kill but do not abuse life. Take these soul-sucking stings for example. They were originally from the sea, but you threw them into a small pond. How is this different from locking people in cages? Besides, the fantasy sea has the power of time. Does this small pond have it? No wonder these soul-sucking stings look purple. It turns out they're due to malnutrition. The cruelest thing is that they are artificially divided into different levels, which is so unfair to them. At least it is very unfair in terms of choosing a spouse. I eat them because I want to save them, because they're living a life worse than death now. Fang Kui. Other people. How can you say such nonsense with a straight face? Do you want to listen to what you are saying? Fang Shi of course knew that she was talking nonsense. She just wanted to interfere with those soul-sucking stings and reduce Su Chao's burden. The more adept a monster is at spiritual attacks, the easier it is for it to be controlled by thoughts, not to mention that these soul-stealing stings already have resentment. You know what, ever since she started talking nonsense, the soul-stealing stings surrounding Su Chao were obviously a little absent-minded. Su Chao finally recovered and continued to persevere. But this time, Fang Kui sneered. Now that you've said all that, I want to ask you, do you dare to jump in? There's no need for a pond of water, a mud pond will do. Fang Shi looked at him and said, it's not impossible for me to jump. Excuse me, how much money will you give me? As long as the money you give me is enough, I can jump into the Jintang pond. Fang Kui. You must be crazy because of poverty. Seeing that he didn't say anything, Fang Shi said, if you don't have money, you can ask other people to contribute. As long as you can collect 1 million, I will jump into the Jintang. Hall Master Teng scolded, Yi, stop messing around. Seeing that Su Chao had held out for about a quarter of an hour, Fang Shi took this as an excuse to retreat back into the team without saying a word. Palace Master Cao was so angry. Why didn't you say anything when she was talking about the cold mixed stingray just now? Now you speak up. Of course, he couldn't really let Fang Kui force Fang Shi to jump into the golden pond. If she jumped into the golden pond, she would die. How could the two sides cooperate to enter the Taoist temple? After a while, Su Chao, who had gritted his teeth and held on for a quarter of an hour, finally came out of the pond. His self-confidence took a hit. I originally thought that he was not much different from the direct disciples of Xing'ao Sect, but now it seems that there is still a big gap. After all, the worst of them can last for a quarter of an hour. Just when he was feeling somewhat self-pitying, Fang Shi and Junwen whispered. Brother, senior brother Su is really amazing. He was able to last so long after his first encounter with the soul-snatching sting. If he practices every day, wouldn't he be able to last for several days? Little sister, you are too conservative. I don't think senior brother Su can last for half a month. Ellipsis. Palace Master Cao. If he drowned in it, he could last a lifetime. No matter how he complained in his heart, Su Chao's self-confidence, which had been badly wounded, swelled again. Yes, he had never tried it before, so it was great to get such a result for the first time. He suddenly felt that the Lu brothers and sisters whom he disliked before were actually not that bad, at least much better than Li Zhe with the green curly hair. When Palace Master Cao was about to say something, several soul-sucking stingers suddenly jumped up from the water and started spraying water at the people from Xing'ao Sect. It happened too suddenly, and the soul-stealing sting was very smart. It used its soul-stealing ability while spraying. Except for a few people like Palace Master Cao who avoided it, everyone else was soaked like a drowned rat. Although Tianyan Dao Sect was also affected to some extent, it was much stronger than them. Especially Elder Gu Liang, because he was standing at the back, not even his hair got wet. This time he no longer cared about the older mortal's character and laughed out loud. You guys are quite particular. You even took a shower just to welcome us. The people from Xing'ao Gate were so mad. Some people even wanted to take action, but because Palace Master Cao and his men had not given the order, they did not dare to act rashly. Palace Master Cao wished he could kick Elder Gu Liang into the pond. Don't even mention how angry he was. They originally wanted to use the soul-stealing technique to embarrass Tianyan Dao Sect, but in the end, they were the ones who were embarrassed. If these soul-catching stings weren't so precious, he really wanted to add a dish of cold sting skin in the evening. Are these soul-stirring stings crazy? It couldn't be that he was spitting at them just because of Lu Yi's words, right? Impossible. By the way, these soul-stealing stings have recently entered their breeding season, and they're probably in a rather bad mood, so this is the case. He was a little puzzled. He had clearly divined before that this forbidden area competition would be a very auspicious sign. Why was everything going wrong today? Did he calculate wrong? Impossible. Even though he said that Elder Gu Liang was a divine fortune teller or something like that, he always felt in his heart that his astrological skills were much more sophisticated than Elder Gu Liang's tortoise-gathering skills. Besides, Master Chu got the same divination result. It is estimated that the general trend is good and these minor details can be ignored. Palace Master Cao quickly convinced himself, and at this time, Hall Master Teng happened to scold Elder Gu Liang, which gave him a way out. He forced a smile. Master Teng, Elder Gu Liang was just joking. We don't mind. The Sect Master is still waiting for you. Let's hurry over. Hall Master Teng also said a few polite words, and everyone continued to move forward. As Fang Shi walked, he winked at the soul-sucking stings floating on the surface of the pond and gave them a thumbs up. No matter whether they can understand it or not, she has to provide emotional value. She was just leisurely enjoying herself when she noticed a dozen unfriendly gazes. When she looked up, she saw the disciples of Xing'ao Sect staring at her. Especially that Fang Kui, he looked like he wanted to eat people. If looks could have real killing power, Fang Shi would have been turned into a sieve. If it was someone else, they would probably just curse the other person in their heart, but Fang Shi would not stand for such humiliation. She immediately stretched her neck and yelled, Palace Master Cao, they're glaring at me. Palace Master Cao. Regardless of what he was thinking, he scolded Fang Kui and the others. Fang Kui was so angry that he almost died. He thought fiercely, Lu Yi, just wait, when we enter the forbidden area, I will make you regret it. Not only did he think so, but other disciples also thought so. Lu Yi is just a small god. Once she enters the forbidden area, won't she be sorted by them? The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1664. All the people in the Tianyan Dao sect are blessed. Fang Xiaohuish and she didn't care at all what Fang Kui and the others thought. There were many people who hated her, so a few more wouldn't make a difference. What she cares more about now is why the 5 dogs spread roots in her dungeon suddenly cut out to her like crazy. Ever since she started cultivating the green soil herbs in the house, she has been eating the 5 dog spread roots every day until she is full, and she hasn't done anything cheap for several days. She felt that it was definitely not because of those soul-stealing stings. After all, it had been quiet just now. So what is the reason? She looked around and saw that there were no longer ponds on both sides, but wisps of mist released by formations to enhance the level of the place. People walking on the stone road in the middle looked like fairies. The 5 dog spread roots couldn't possibly want to eat this mist, right? She suddenly lowered her head and saw a dozen tufts of moss growing on the edge of the stone slab. She had an unreliable guess. You guys don't want to eat this moss, do you? The 5 dog spread roots nodded frantically. Fang Shi. At this moment, she remembered a kind of herb mentioned in the jade sip of her sea of consciousness, called frostflower moon moss. This kind of moss has very demanding requirements for its growing environment. It must be kept moist intermittently and also have the power of time to bless it. Xingyao Gate would definitely not release this kind of pretentious fog all the time. It would probably only do so when there are guests or during major festivals, which just happens to meet the condition of maintaining moisture intermittently. As for the power of time, this place is next to a pond. The soul-stealing stingrays raised in it come from the illusionary sea. When practicing, it may gather the surrounding power of time. This also explains why Elder Gu Liang did not blow up the turtle shell before, because the power of time nearby should have gathered near the pond. Of course, with just such a cursory glance, Fang Shi couldn't tell whether these mosses were frosty moon mosses. So she pretended to trip over her right foot and fall. Fang Kui and his friends are finally having fun. Everyone laughed so hard that the back teeth were exposed. Fang Shi took the opportunity of supporting herself on the ground with her hands to carefully observe the moss, while pinching a small handful of moss with her right thumb and index finger. A cool feeling came from the fingertips, and the 5 dog spread roots in Danshan became even crazier. Fang Shi knew it, that's right. This is what the jade slip said about the frosty moss tracing the moon. After she figured it out, she took out a shovel and started digging the moss. As he dug, he muttered, people are so different. I slipped on the moss, and I just wanted to remove the moss to prevent others from falling. Some people only know how to laugh at others with their teeth bared. They have no manners at all. Zhang Wen knew the character of his junior sister, so these mosses must be good things, otherwise she would not do this. Little sister, you're right. We brothers and sisters are kind-hearted, unlike some people who are petty and want to tear off other people's roofs just because they got caught in the rain. As he spoke, he also took out a shovel and dug up the moss. Fang Kui and others. There were only a dozen clumps of moss in total, and Fang Shi and Zhang Wen finished digging them quickly. Fang Shi naturally put the dug moss into the storage ring, and flattened the small hole with his feet. As a highly qualified person in cultivating immortals, one must be elegant and generous even when taking advantage of others. No one doubted Fang Shi and Zhang Wen. After all, this moss looks ordinary and it can't be a rare thing at all. Fang Shi was very happy. Xingyao Gate is indeed a good place. No wonder even that idiot King Long can easily extort a lot of spread stones. What made her even more excited was that the frost moon moss could be used to refine the meridian repairing pill to repair the meridians. It just so happened that she had all the other herbs in the recipe. These frost moon mosses are enough to make several sacks of meridian connecting pills. Because you only need to put a little bit in each furnace, not too much. Elder Bian had previously taught her and Zhang Wen the burning blood art, but its biggest drawback was that it would cause their cultivation to regress. She later thought about it and realized that after the meridians were burned, they would be damaged, which led to the regression of her cultivation. If the meridians can be repaired quickly, the level of cultivation will not regress too much. She had originally hoped that the 5 dog spread roots would help her repair her meridians, but now it seemed that she would not need them at all. By then, she could refine the meridian connecting pill in advance, and use the blood burning technique while eating it. Wouldn't that be great? She didn't even dare to think about how miserable Xingyao Sect's disciples would be when their cultivation level was raised to the early stage of Mahayana. If I have to sum it up in one word, it would be bloody. Commander Lu, this is all your imagination. It's hard to say whether it will work. Besides, how can the meridians withstand such torment from you? Master, have you forgotten? When I was struck by lightning, it was even more painful than this. Commander Lu. When I didn't say anything. Whatever. During the rest of the journey, Fang Shi kept searching for any more frost moon moss, but to no avail. She comforted herself that it was good enough and one should not be too greedy. Besides, I just arrived at Xingyao Gate, so I must be reserved. Commander Lu was really worried about Xingyao Gate. Would Xingyao Gate be just a gate in the end? Finally, the group arrived at the meeting hall. Sect Master Chu originally thought he would see a scene where the people from their Xingyao sect were in high spirits, while the people from Tianyan Dao sect were dejected. After all, they had carefully designed the show of force segment. He was greatly disappointed. Because it's completely the opposite. The people from Tianyan Dao sect were all in high spirits, but the people from Xingyao sect looked listless, and some of them had water stains on their bodies. How is this going? He didn't know how to ask for the time being, so he just said some polite words and then asked someone to set up a banquet. I have to say that the Xingyao sect did a good job on surface work, and the banquet was very sumptuous. This can be seen from the fact that Elder Gu Liang was wolfing down the food without caring about his image. Fang Shi's face was full of disappointment. Look at how useless you are. Fortunately, she gave up the idea of making him look like an old god to make money, otherwise, with someone like him, he would have been exposed soon. As she thought about it, she called on the disciples who were serving the dishes. This, and this, give me 10 more, I'll pack 'em up. Jun Wen also quickly said, by the way, give me 10 copies of this as well. Hall Master Teng's face turned red. Forget it, being able to eat is a blessing. All the people in Tianyan Dao sect are blessed. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1665, The Black Snake Visits. When Elder Gu Liang saw his 2 disciples eating and taking things, he suddenly felt that he was too reserved. He quickly called out to the disciple who was serving the dishes, pack 10 servings of all the dishes for me. People from Xingya sect. Didn't the people of Tianyan Dao sect always suffer for the dignity? Why did they suddenly become shameless? Fortunately, shamelessness is limited to Gu Liangchang's 3 disciples, while the others are relatively normal. As both parties wanted to cooperate, the atmosphere at the table was quite harmonious. After the banquet, Sect Master Chu asked Palace Master Cao to arrange for Elder Gu Liang and others to stay in the guest house. The Xingya sect is obviously wealthier than the Tianyan Dao sect, which can be seen from the guest house. Not only are there independent courtyards, but the interior layout is also very exquisite. As soon as Fang Shi entered the house, the 5 dogs spread roots out madly. Fang Shi immediately took out a small bunch of frosty moon moss and fed it to them. If they hadn't been addicted to pigs, she wouldn't have discovered the frosty moon moss. After a quick wash, she began to practice the chaos technique. Suddenly, there was a loud noise outside. Fang Shi suddenly had a bad feeling in her heart. Could it be that her master, a charlatan, had exploded? She hurried out of the house and saw black smoke coming out of the southeast corner of the guest house area. Real hammer. It must be the cheap master who blew up the turtle shell. Fang Shi ran over quickly. When she arrived, some people who were nearby had already arrived. No matter how much trouble you make in the sect, you can still behave yourself outside. Elder Gu Liang was looking in the mirror at this time. When he saw that all his silver hair was burnt, he felt like the sky was falling. The old immortal persona that he had worked so hard to create was gone just like that. He hasn't had enough yet. Even though he still had the hair growth pill given by his apprentice, it wouldn't grow that long in a short time. Fortunately, I didn't throw away the wig I bought before, otherwise I would be wandering around Xingyamen with a bald head. Thinking of this, he quickly took out the wig and put it on. The movements are so skillful that it makes people feel distressed. At this time, Palace Master Cao also arrived with his men. Seeing the collapsed houses, he actually felt a strange kind of excitement. Snort. That's what he said, even if this old loser Gu Liangchun could get his calculations right occasionally, it would just be a blind cat catching a dead mouse. Look, now the truth is revealed, right? You even dyed your hair white to pretend. Now you're pretending, you old bald man. Elder Gu Liang, hasn't your turtle evolution technique already reached perfection? Why did the turtle shell explode? The loss of our house is a minor matter, but if you were seriously injured, wouldn't it hinder the cooperation between our 2 factions? Take my advice, don't use the turtle evolution technique again before the forbidden area is opened. This is good for you, me and everyone else. The other people from Xingya Gate also looked like they were watching a joke, and some of them even had their lips curled up into teases. Even though Elder Gu Liang was thick-skinned, he still felt a little embarrassed for a moment. At this time, Fang Shi's clear voice sounded. Palace Master Cao, you are wrongly accusing my master. Although my master's turtle evolution technique is still some way from being perfected, it has achieved some success. The reason why the turtle shell exploded this time was because what the old man deduced touched upon the secrets of heaven, which caused the turtle shell to explode. As for what my master deduced, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Elder Gu Liang immediately took advantage of the situation. Yi is right, it's because my turtle evolution technique is so advanced that I can predict the heavens, so the turtle shell exploded. People like you can't be blown up even if you want to. Palace Master Cao. Do you believe this yourself? You really know how to flatter yourself. Considering that both parties still need to cooperate, he said indifferently. I'm an astrologer, so I don't need a tortoise shell. But how do you explain the damage to the house? Elder Gu Liang rolled his eyes. Didn't you say before that the damage to the house was a small matter? If it's a small matter, then it's nothing. Why are you asking me for money? If you insist on making me pay you, then I won't be a keyhole to you anymore, and we'll go home now. No matter how shrewd Palace Master Cao is, he can only stare blankly when faced with a tough guy like Elder Gu Liang. In the end, I had no choice but to give up the compensation. But let me make it clear in advance, if Elder Gu Liang blows up the turtle shell again, we will have to deal with it impartially. Elder Gu Liang agreed readily, but he was actually a little scared. Fortunately, only the house was blown up. If I was seriously injured and delayed the opening of the forbidden area, Dai Chanfang was determined to kick him into his master's grave and bury him alive. Palace Master Cao arranged a new residence for Elder Gu Liang and sent people to clean up the ruins, and this little episode was over. After he left, Hall Master Teng and the others gave Elder Gu Liang many instructions and warnings, asking him not to touch the turtle evolution technique for the time being. Even Li Ze advised, Master, please be more understanding and save me some worries. Elder Gu Liang, get lost. Seeing that there was nothing to do here, Fang Shi strolled back to her own yard. At this time, it had already darkened. She was about to push the door open and enter the room when she raised her eyebrows slightly. Then he walked into the house as if nothing had happened. As soon as I entered the house, I saw a black snake coiled on the beam. It was the black snake. Fang Shi glanced at it and asked, is it here? Black snake. Shouldn't that damn girl be surprised or even panic when she sees me? Why is she so calm, as if she had expected me to come? You knew I was coming. Fang Shi pulled a chair over and sat down, saying calmly, didn't King Long tell you? I'm a Tianyan master, so naturally I can't hide this from you. There was a suspicious look in the black snake's pupils. Then can you please tell me why I came to you? Fang Shi glanced at it and pointed across. Don't hang yourself there, sit down and talk. Black snake. Let's not talk about whether to hang myself or not. Let me ask you, I'm a snake, how can I sit down and have a chat? The most I can do is coil it. But it was so curious whether Fang Shi could figure out why it came, so it moved from the beam to the chair. Fang Shi looked at the black snake that was coiled into the shape of poop with a look of disgust. Although King Long is stupid, at least he looks majestic. This black snake looks like a big black loach, so ugly. Although the black snake didn't know what Fang Shi was thinking, it was not blind and naturally saw the disgust on Fang Shi's face. He immediately became angry and asked, do you dislike me? Fang Shi, it's okay. Black snake, stop talking nonsense, can't you calculate it? If you calculate it now, why did I come to you? Fang Shi raised the corner of her mouth slightly, because you need something from me. The black snake's pupils widened. You, how do you know? The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1666 Fang's eyes trick on Xuan snake. Fang Shi thought, isn't this obvious? If you don't need me for anything, why are you here? If they came to fight, they would definitely not hang on the beam like a hang ghost, but would have ambushed them secretly. Xuan also realized this later and snorted coldly, then tell me what I want you to do. Fang Shi really didn't know what Xuan snake wanted her to do. After all, she hadn't yet formally mastered the turtle evolution technique. But it doesn't matter, this fake charlatan can still fool people. She looked at the black snake and said slowly, what you are seeking is related to the 4 symbols. Anyway, this thing itself is one of the 4 symbols, so she can make it up any way she says. But the black snake doesn't know. It is now particularly sensitive to the number 4 in the 4 symbols. Its body was obviously tense and it almost vomited. Seeing this, Fang Shi said calmly, it seems that I was right. Let me put it this way, what you are asking for is not a difficult task for me at all. But why should I help you? You have to show your sincerity. Didn't you make a small fortune some time ago? Give me half of it. Black snake was obviously led astray by Fang Shi's words. He said angrily, half. The spirit turtle and I already have half less than the azure dragon and the others, and now I have to give you half. You're dreaming. I am too lazy to beat around the bush with you. If you can turn the 4 symbols into 5 symbols, I will do whatever you say from now on. But if you can't do it, even if you fool King Long, it will be useless. Sooner or later, I will ruin your cooperation. Fang Shi. What the hell? You want me to turn 4 symbols into 5? Can I change something so deeply rooted just by saying something casually? You think too highly of me. Her little brain started to work rapidly. Why did the black snake insist on changing the 4 elephants into 5 elephants? Did you have a conflict with the spirit turtle, so you want to split up? Still is. By the way, it just emphasized that it and the black turtle have half as many spirit stones as azure dragon, which means that every time the spoils are divided, it and the black turtle can only take 1 share, and after dividing it equally it will be half a share. It turns out that what is worrying is not the scarcity but the inequality. So it doesn't matter whether it is 4 or 5 elephants, the main thing is to change the existing way of dividing the spoils. This is much easier. Schwench, let alone turning the 4 symbols into 5 symbols, even turning it into 50 symbols or 500 symbols is very easy for me, but have you ever thought that there are only 4 symbols monuments? If you and the spirit turtle are separated, to whom will this 4 symbols monument belong? You can't cut the 4 symbols monument in half, right? The 4 symbols guard the 4 directions, and you, the Xuanwu, guard the north. If you and the spirit turtle want to separate, how do you divide the directions? It's impossible to rotate odd and even numbers, right? In addition, all the classics record the 4 symbols. If you become 5 symbols, won't the inheritance be interrupted? So, it is easy to transform into the 5 elephants, but there will be too many troubles afterwards, and if you are not careful you will even be criticized. In my opinion, it doesn't matter whether it is the 4 elephants or the 5 elephants in name. The key is that when distributing the benefits, it must be distributed according to the number of people. You and the spirit turtle both contributed, why do you only get a share? This is not fair. What's more, sometimes 1 plus 1 is greater than 2, and the role played by you and the spirit turtle is even greater than the 3 of them put together. Let alone taking 2, even taking 3 wouldn't be excessive. When Fang Shi was talking about the first part, the black snake's vertical pupils were full of impatience, but when she talked about the latter part, it couldn't help but nod frequently, and even felt that it had met a soulmate. If you can speak, say more. I love to hear it. After Fang Shi provided sufficient emotional value, he said. Although this is true, the other 3 elephants would definitely not want to get less money. Unless. Xuanch asked hurriedly, unless what? Unless they have to listen to my arrangements, even if they are not happy about it, they have to do as I say. If I say it should be divided according to the number of people, then it should be divided according to the number of people. Black snake, you call this a solution? Fang Shi spread his hands, what else? Do you have any other ideas? Or can you convince King Long and the others? Xuanch thought, if I could convince them, why would I come to you? It was silent for a moment, what do you want me to do? Fang Shi, can you 4 elephants be contracted? I'll just contract you. Black snake, number. Fang Shi sighed, if this method doesn't work, then you can only cooperate with me in the future. When I bring enough benefits to you 4 elephants, the 3 of them will naturally become inseparable from me. This way, I have a say. Look at King Long, isn't he listening to me now? The black snake was not very satisfied. Is this also called a solution? Then Fang Shi laughed twice, I have another idea, it's a bit mean, do you want to listen to it? Out of curiosity, Xuanch said, you tell me. From today on, you and the spirit turtle will fight over the spirit stone for no reason. It would be best if the fight goes on till the sky is dark and there is no room for any fight. The other 3 elephants must have been there to watch the fun at first, but when you all kept upgrading and even disturbed their cultivation, they became eager to persuade you to make peace. You know the right moment and then take the opportunity to propose that the next time you divide the spoils, you should increase the ratio between you and the turtles. Don't ask for too much at once, ask for a little less and they will be able to accept it. Then I will increase the proportion each time, and add more fuel to the fire, and I will definitely achieve the goal of 5 equal shares in the end. Black Snake. It's really hurtful. However, this is also a solution. It just so happened that it had long disliked the Strut Turtle, pretending to be a good guy all day long and letting it do all the bad things. Not to mention during war. It only knows how to hide in its turtle shell, and it is always the one charging in the front. So, I nodded and said, okay, let's do as you say. If it really works, I will definitely keep my word and stand by you in the future. Fang Shi looked at it and said, you are just making empty promises. This is not sincerity at all. How about this, tell me the inscription on the Tian Stele. The Black Snake hesitated for a moment, but still revealed the shadow of the inscription on the Tian Stele. Fang Shi quickly recorded it with the photo stone. After recording, Fang Shi asked it, how did you get out of the Four Symbols Holy Land? Can King Long and the others get out too? The Black Snake said proudly, this is one of my magical powers. They don't have this ability. However, they can't go too far away from the Four Symbols Holy Land. Fang Shi immediately gave a lot of flattery. The Black Snake was almost chopped into dumpling stuffing by her before, and the conversation just now was also a battle of wits and courage, so these flattery were like the music of nature to it. It even felt that Fang Shi was radiating the light of humanity. It seems that it had some prejudice against her before. This yellow-haired girl is actually not bad. The Black Snake left with emotion and satisfaction. After Fang Shi waited for it to leave, he took out the rubbing of the Shaoyang Stele and summoned King Long out. King Long, there is something I need to tell you. Xuanzhi just came to see me. King Long was stunned for a moment, then angrily said, what does it want to do with you? Ah, I know. Is it trying to usurp the throne and become the leader of the 4 elephants? Fang Shi nodded, yes. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1667 Star Dome. King Long was suddenly furious. I knew that the damn snake had always been up to no good. No wonder he got so upset when he heard that you were coming to Xingya Gate. I ask you, have you agreed to help it become the leader of the 4 elephants? Fang Shi's face sank. King Long, since I am cooperating with you, how could I possibly help Xuanzhi become the leader of the 4 symbols? This is an insult to my personality. You really disappoint me. Since you don't trust me, there's no need for us to cooperate in the future. King Long was suddenly at a loss. I didn't say anything, I just asked. It's not that I don't trust you, it's just that the Black Snake is very cunning and I'm afraid you'll be deceived by it. I will go back and settle accounts with it, so that it won't bother you again in the future. Fang Shi frowned. King Long, I'm not saying anything bad about you, but you are the leader of the 4 symbols after all, can you change your impetuous temper? If you go back to settle accounts with Black Snake, you will sell me out, right? Besides, what else can you gain by settling the score with it except a big quarrel? By then, both of you will suffer losses, and White Tiger and Suzaku might just take advantage of you. I ask you, which of the other 3 elephants poses the greatest threat to you? Is it Xuanwu? King Long hesitated for a moment, but still nodded. Fang Shi said calmly, so, instead of arguing with it, why not take this opportunity to completely make Xuanwu lose the qualification to become the leader of the 4 symbols? When it spoke to me today, it seemed quite dissatisfied with the turtle in its words. You just need to find the right opportunity to magnify their conflicts and let them fight among themselves. In this case, how can they still have the energy to compete with you for the top of the 4 elephants? King Long was delighted at first, then said, although your idea is good, it is only a temporary solution. They can't always fight among themselves. There will always be a day for them to reconcile. Fang Shi thought for a while and said, if you want to solve the problem once and for all, then find a way to get Suzaku and Baihu involved. As long as the 2 of them are dissatisfied with Xuanwu, Xuanwu will naturally have no right to compete with you. King Long showed a clear and stupid look. How can we let them get involved? Fang Shi thought for a moment before saying, the biggest conflict between the Black Snake and the Strut Turtle is the distribution of benefits. Their quarrels are also about money. After all, they can only get 1 share, which is much less than yours. When they start quarreling fiercely, stand up and appease them. Maybe they will take the opportunity to ask you to share the profits equally in the future. Before Fang Shi could finish, King Long shouted angrily, dream on. This is impossible. Fang Shi was a little speechless. I didn't ask you to agree to split it equally, but you can give them a little sweetness and promise to give them a little more next time. In this case, White Tiger and Vermilion Bird will definitely be dissatisfied with Xuanwu and naturally will not recognize it as the leader of the 4 symbols. However, in this process, you have to be careful not to be too obvious, so as not to let Suzaku and Baihu see the 4. You need to be strategic. You can talk to them about this problem from the perspective of increasing revenue and reducing expenditure. You can tell them that as long as they continue to cooperate with me, the money will continue to flow in, and it won't matter if they give Xuanwu and his little bit more. King Long nodded repeatedly after listening to this. He was now completely in awe of Fang Shi. If Fang Shi proposed to join the 4 elephants and become the 5th one now, it would even be considered. After Fang Shi coaxed King Long into pouting, he put the Shaoyang Stele rubbing into his storage ring and continued to meditate and practice. The next morning, Palace Master Cao accompanied the people from Tianyan Dao Sect to visit the Xingya Dome as agreed. Master Teng, everyone, the Starry Dome is our sect's most precious treasure, so before entering, I must first tell you what you need to pay attention to. First, after entering, you cannot make loud noises, use any talismans, or open any formations. Second, you can only watch but not touch, and you can only watch in designated areas. Third, Gu Liangchang's disciples cannot use the turtle evolution technique. The last one was added by him at the last minute. Because he remembered that Elder Gu Liang had blown up the tortoise shell yesterday, and was afraid that he would blow up the Star Dome. Master Teng nodded immediately. Don't worry, we will definitely abide by your sect's rules. He reiterated it to the people of Tianyin Dao Sect, and especially looked at Elder Gu Liang. Elder Gu Liang. No matter how unreliable I am, I would not dare to explode a turtle shell in the Star Dome. As they were talking, everyone arrived outside the Star Dome. I saw a building floating in front of me, covered with runes. Feng Shi was a little puzzled. How did this thing float? Formation. At this time Commander Lu said, although there is indeed a floating formation, the strength of Xing'ao Sect cannot support such a huge consumption. I guess the reason why this Star Dome is suspended is probably because the main supporting structure below is engraved with a hidden formation. However, this is also a kind of clever idea, and it looks quite realistic. At this time, a ladder was hung down from the Star Dome. Palace Master Cao smiled and said, this is the heavenly ladder, which is mainly used to test whether the mind of the person entering is firm. If anyone among you cannot pass the heavenly ladder, then you can only wait here. How about this? Let our disciples here set an example first, so you can prepare yourself. After Palace Master Cao finished speaking, he signaled his accompanying disciples to climb the ladder. Fang Kui was the first one. He was eager to make Tianyin Dao Zong's disciples clearly realize the gap between them and him. In addition, he often went in and out of the Xing'ao Dome, so he climbed very quickly. Fang Shi couldn't help but praise, this senior brother is really good at climbing, more flexible than a monkey. Fang Kui's body froze and he almost fell into an illusion, so he quickly stuck to his original intention. He was quite cautious and simply blocked his hearing for fear of being disturbed by Feng Shi again. Finally, I climbed to the top and entered the Star Dome. Other disciples of Xing'ao Sect also passed the ladder to heaven one after another. A glimmer flashed in Palace Master Cao's eyes, and he looked at Hall Master Teng. It's your turn, Tianyin Dao Sect, please. He sneered in his heart. The difficulty of climbing the ladder to heaven is divided into levels. When Xing'ao personally sent it up just now, it was only adjusted to the middle level, but now it has been adjusted to the highest level. Not to mention the direct disciples of Tianyin Dao Sect, even for Hall Master Teng it would not be easy to pass. The reason for doing this is very simple. On the one hand, it is to suppress the momentum of Tianyin Dao Sect, and on the other hand, they don't want to let them enter the Xing'ao Dome at all. Anyway, you can't blame us if you can't get in. Hall Master Teng was an honest man, he would never think of these twists and turns, and immediately planned to let the disciples of Tianyin Dao Sect climb the ladder to heaven. Feng Shi did not miss the calculating look in Palace Master Cao and the other Palace Master's eyes. Of course, observing people's words and expressions is one aspect, but the main thing is that as an expert at digging holes, she knows that this is the most appropriate time to dig holes. So, without waiting for Hall Master Teng to speak, she took the initiative to volunteer. I'll go first. Next chapter around 11:30. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1668 Donkey Pulling the Mill. Feng Shi climbed up the ladder to heaven and then lay there motionless. Palace Master Cao looked at Hall Master Teng and said, could it be that Lu Yi has fallen into an illusion? Yes, she is only at the spiritualization stage, so it is normal for her to fall into an illusion when she goes up there. As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Feng Shi turn around and said, Palace Master Cao, what are you talking about? I'm not trapped in any illusion, I'm awake. You are using the ladder to heaven incorrectly. You can't climb it like a monkey, you should go up in one step. I am looking for a way to reach heaven in one step. Palace Master Cao. He had thought that Lu Yi was crazy before, and now it seemed that she was just a little lunatic. To climb the ladder to heaven, you have to climb it step by step. How can you climb it in just one step? Isn't this crazy? However, he did not say anything, because he felt that although Feng Shi had not fallen into the illusion now, it was because the time was short. If he delayed for a while, he would definitely fall into the illusion. At that time, he will fall off the ladder. Humph, it will be a good opportunity to embarrass Tianyin Dao Sect. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look at Master Teng. I saw that the other person had a frown on his face and looked worried. Palace Master Cao felt even more proud. How could he know that Master Teng suddenly remembered something? During the entrance examination, Feng Shi had caused the heart refining path to collapse. Would she also collapse the ladder to heaven this time? What will they do if Xing'ao Sect asks them to pay compensation? On second thought, the collapse of the heart refining road was probably just a coincidence and probably had nothing to do with Lu Yi. Right, that is it. On Feng Shi's side, she was thinking about how to break the impasse. She wanted to climb up, no problem at all. I don't think there will be any problem with fifth brother. At most he will just be delayed for a while and he will definitely be able to go up. But what about everyone else? Although I don't know what Xing'ao Sect has done, seeing that Palace Master Cao wants to laugh but is holding it back, there must be something fishy. Maybe the difficulty was adjusted secretly. If she caused the ladder to heaven to collapse, would the Xing'ao Sect turn against her? Commander Lu, the last time the heart refining road collapsed was because it was out of repair, but this ladder to heaven is very solid. I see you are meddling with others, so hurry up and get on with it. Feng Shi was speechless after hearing this. After thinking for a while, he came up with an idea. She climbed up very quickly, much faster than Fang Kuk. Palace Master Cao thought he was hallucinating. The difficulty of climbing the ladder was adjusted to the highest level. How could Lu Yi climb so fast? Is it the wrong way around? Adjusted to the lowest setting. As he was thinking, he saw Feng Shi climbing down the same way he came, then climbing up again, and then climbing down again. As she crawled, she hummed a little tune. The donkey is pulling the mill, but it can't get out of the circle. Everyone. Could it be that she was trapped in an illusion of a donkey pulling a millstone? This is too weird. The key is what to do now. Unload the mill and kill the donkey. Palace Master Cao looked at Hall Master Teng and said, we can't let her delay us all. Otherwise, send someone to pull her down from the ladder. Hall Master Teng felt that there was something fishy going on. Lu Yi was a determined girl, so how could she fall into such a trap? After thinking for a while, he said, Palace Master Cao, can the ladder be climbed by multiple people at the same time? Otherwise, let Lu Yi, continue to pull the millstone, and the others continue to climb. Palace Master Cao thought this was fine and agreed. The second person to go up was Zheng Wen. As Tiang's best brother, he was already sweating profusely from anxiety. After he climbed up the ladder, he wanted to say a few words to his sister, but she climbed up very fast, so he could only grit his teeth and climb up. Palace Master Cao saw that although Zheng Wen's speed was not as fast as Fang Xi, it was still faster than Fang Kui. He became more and more suspicious that the difficulty level of climbing the ladder was set the wrong way. But at this time, in front of Master Teng and others, he couldn't ask and could only bear it. In a short while, Zheng Wen had climbed to the top and entered the Star Dome. The third one is Li Zhe. With concern for his junior sister, he climbed the ladder to heaven. Junior sister, wake up, stop grinding. No matter how he yelled, Fang Xi still said. The donkey is pulling the millstone, it can't get out of the circle. Li Zhe soon stopped shouting because he was trapped in an illusion. In the illusion, he saw with his own eyes that Elder Gu Liang blew up the tortoise shell again. This time, not only did he die, but he also killed his fellow apprentice brothers and sisters. When he was in great grief, something gently tapped his sea of consciousness and he instantly regained clarity. Only then did he remember that he was climbing a ladder to heaven. He immediately broke out in a cold sweat and hurried up. Even so, he did not forget to call Fang Xi. It's a pity that someone is stuck in grinding and can't extricate himself. After Li Zhe successfully went up, Su Chao was next. Su Chao now has a good impression of Fang Xi, so he quickly called Fang Xi as soon as he came up, wanting to wake her up from the illusion of pulling the mill. Of course, even if Fang Xi was replaced by Li Zhe, he would not just ignore it, after all, they were from the same school. Unfortunately, no matter how many times he shouted, it was of no use as he was still trapped in the illusion. Fang Xi followed suit and successfully woke Su Chao up from his illusion. It was not until the last disciple of Tianyin Dao Sect entered the starry dome that Fang Xi was startled. Hey, where's the mill? Where's that big stone mill? Everyone. Fang Xi climbed to the top of the ladder while muttering to himself and entered the star dome. As soon as she entered, Zheng Wen came over quickly. Little sister, are you okay? Fang Xi shook her head. Nothing's wrong, I just feel a little dizzy. The disciples of Tianyin Dao Sect. You've been pulling for so long, it would be strange if you didn't feel dizzy. The direct disciples of Xingyao Sect did not know what happened next. They were all puzzled as to how come the people from Tianyin Dao Sect came to power so quickly. Could it be that Palace Master Cao had people lower the difficulty of climbing the ladder to heaven? At this time, the person controlling the formation had restored the difficulty of the formation because he was afraid that Master Teng and others who came up later would find out. After everyone arrived, Palace Master Cao ordered people to open the star gate of the Star Dome. As soon as they entered, there were cries of admiration from the Tianyin Dao Sect. Fang Xi also widened his eyes. Nice. So beautiful. It seemed as if the entire starry sky was condensed within this piece of heaven and earth, with streams of light flashing from time to time. When people are in it, it's like being immersed in the vast universe and even forgetting who they are. When Palace Master Cao and others saw the reactions of the people from Tianyin Dao Sect, they felt contempt in their hearts, thinking they were a bunch of bumpkins who had never seen the world. A sense of superiority arises in their hearts. Just then, they heard Fang Xi mutter, I think I'm about to have an epiphany. The next moment, she began to sit cross-legged in meditation. All the lights in the starry sky flew towards Fang Xi and danced happily around her. Palace Master Cao and others. Is this right? Is this correct? Is this correct? The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1669, bragging can also lead to enlightenment. Where can I go to seek justice? Palace Master Cao was so shocked that he even thought he was hallucinating. He pinched himself hard, and the pain told him that this was real. Even so, he felt it wasn't real. How could it be possible that Lu Yi, a mere incarnation of a strut, had an epiphany right after she came in? Besides, who can have an epiphany with advance notice? When she has an epiphany, she will definitely fall into a state of ecstasy. How could she have the leisure to tell others that she is having an epiphany? No matter what, he felt very uncomfortable. None of the people from their Xingyao sect had any enlightenment here, but she, an outsider, had it here. It felt like the fruit tree at home had finally produced fruits, but they were picked by an outsider. Not only did he feel uncomfortable, but the other people in Xingyao Gate also looked envious and jealous. Fang Kui even wanted to glare Fang Xi to death. Unfortunately, even if these people really had some plans, they couldn't get close to Fang Xi, because Zheng Wen had already protected her behind him when Fang Xi was sitting cross-legged in meditation. He knew that a small god like himself would not be able to play a big role, so not only did he go there himself, he also called on Elder Gu Liang to come over and protect him. Even though Elder Gu Liang was usually unreliable, he was still very useful at the critical moment. Not only did he get through by himself, he also held Hall Master Teng with his left hand and Elder Zhao with his right hand to keep Fang Xi firmly in the protective circle. In fact, Fang Xi did not have a sudden epiphany. Just like what Palace Master Cao thought, when people have an epiphany, they don't have the time to tell others about it. She discovered that the power of time was madly rushing into her body. How crazy is it? A small puddle hidden somewhere is already bubbling. In order to conceal her tracks, Fang Xi said that she had an epiphany. Anyway, no one knew whether she had an epiphany or not. She pretended to have an epiphany and boasted to Commander Lu. Master, what do you think? I told you Xingyao Gate is a good place, right? First it was the Frosty Moon Moss, and now there is the free power of time. The key is that it does not need to be processed by 5 dog spread roots, it can be absorbed directly, which is simply wonderful. If I wasn't a sentimental person, I would have wanted to stay in Xingyao Sect. Commander Lu really didn't want to hear her bragging, so he said. Stop talking nonsense and absorb more time power. Master, you saw it too. I didn't need to absorb it myself. The power of time went into my body on its own. I have nothing to do except chatting with you. Alas, people, it is better not to be too outstanding, otherwise you will not only attract cats and dogs, but even the power of time. I'm so troubled. Commander Lu, I am more troubled than you. Although Commander Lu remained silent, it did not stop someone from continuing to show off. Master, how come there is so much time power in this star dome? I think it is probably related to those flowing lights. This flash of light is fleeting, isn't it, just like the passing of time? But the flowing light can be seen, but the time cannot be seen. It's as if you have become an old witch and you have never seen what time is like. Commander Lu. Feng Shi continued to chatter, but that's not the case. Time has become wrinkles on your face and white hair on your hair. So, time can also be seen. Commander Lu was waiting for her to continue speaking, but there was no movement. Then, he could no longer feel any spiritual connection with Feng Shi. He immediately had a guess. Could this damn girl really have an epiphany? Can bragging lead to enlightenment? Where can I go to reason? That's right, Feng Shi did have an epiphany. At this moment, she was already surrounded by several streams of light, like a shining egg. Even Jun Wen and others who were protecting her were shrouded in the flowing light. Palace Master Cao and the others almost popped their eyes out. If they didn't have some sense left, they would all want to throw Feng Shi out of the star dome. After nearly half an hour, the light surrounding Feng Shi returned to the sky, and Feng Shi slowly opened his eyes. Palace Master Cao had sharp eyes and saw a gleam of light in Feng Shi's eyes, but he did not take it to heart. Because there are a lot of flowing lights inside the starry dome, it is normal for them to be reflected in Lu Yi's eyes. At this time, Feng Shi showed an extremely bright smile. Oh my, I seem to have advanced directly from the 7th level of the spiritual transformation to the 9th level. When Palace Master Cao and others saw it, they found it was indeed the case. When Feng Shi came, he was still at the 7th level of the spirit transformation realm, and now he is at the 9th level. Everyone was so jealous that their hearts were bubbling. They want to roar, they want to shout, they want to twist wildly. Unfair. This is not fair. Just at this moment, Elder Gu Liang let out a cry. Oh my god, I actually advanced from the initial stage of the 3rd Mahayana level to the middle stage of the 3rd Mahayana level. Ha 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 ha. It's only been a few days since I advanced to the initial stage, and I've advanced again. I am such a late bloomer. Before the Xing'ao Sect's people had time to ferment the sour water, they heard Li Ze excitedly say. Master, I have advanced to the 5th level of fusion. When Elder Gu Liang heard this, he was so happy that he didn't know what to do. I really didn't know how to express my excitement, so I just pulled off my wig and threw it out to add to the fun. Hall Master Teng and Elder Zhao much more reserved. Although his cultivation had improved, he did not speak out about it. Master Gu Liang and his disciples are hated enough, so they should stop adding fuel to the fire. The disciples of Tianyin Dao Sect were very regretful. If they also went up to protect Lu Yi, maybe they could also benefit from it. The key is not that they don't want to go up, the key is that they didn't grab the sot. There was another person who felt both happy and disappointed. Jun Wen is closest to Feng Shi, but his cultivation has not changed much. On the one hand, he was happy for Feng Shi, but on the other hand, he felt confused. Why didn't he advance? He thought he could advance to the realm of refining emptiness in one fell swoop this time. It was probably because he took advantage of his junior sister's skills. If his junior sister had not advanced to the realm of refining emptiness, his cultivation would have remained at the peak of the 9th level of the realm of transformation. However, he quickly adjusted his mindset. If you don't want to advance, then don't advance. Otherwise, if he becomes a void refining cultivator and junior sister becomes a spiritual transformation cultivator, wouldn't she get jealous? Therefore, it is good for him to stay at the stage of transformation of spirit, just to amuse his junior sister. Next chapter around 8 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1670, words are not enough, take a picture as evidence. Feng Shi stood up and said to the bald-headed Elder Gu Liang. Master, when you drink the water, we should remember the person who dug the well. Shouldn't we thank Palace Master Cao? If he hadn't agreed to let us visit the Star Dome, we wouldn't have had this opportunity. Elder Gu Liang nodded. You are right. We are both polite people and we cannot be disrespectful. So, he bowed to Palace Master Cao. Palace Master Cao, thank you very much. Feng Shi also bowed. Thank you Palace Master Cao for your support. Jun Wen dragged Li Ze, who had a silly smile on his face, to follow suit and salute. Palace Master Cao. It's heartbreaking to kill someone. You guys are so mean. Although he wanted to strangle Gu Liangchang's disciple to death, he still gritted his teeth and said. Elder Gu Liang, you are too polite. Lu Yi, what did you realize just now? Everyone pricked up their ears and looked at Feng Shi. Feng Shi smiled and said, I saw those streams of light, shining brightly, just like spirit stones. I thought, if only I had so many spirit stones, then all those streams of light would come towards me, maybe because I am good looking. Everyone. Believe it or not. But then again, who would tell others about their own insights? Especially the Xing'ao Sect and the Tianyin Dao Sect are still not getting along. Palace Master Cao had no choice but to give up. He calmed himself down, said a few words of congratulations without much sincerity, and then said, let me briefly introduce the Star Dome to you. This Star Dome was discovered by accident after we established our sect, but it was in a dilapidated state when we found it. It was only after our restoration that it has its current appearance. The biggest use of this Star Dome is to help us deduce the astrological phenomena. In addition, visualizing the stars here can also increase our understanding. He just wanted to finish the introduction quickly and send the people from Tianyin Dao Sect away, because he really didn't want to see Elder Gu Liang's smug look. So, he spoke briefly and quickly, and guided everyone forward while speaking. As Feng Shi listened, he thought of the Tianyin Taoist Sect's Tianyin Enlightenment diagram. She remembered that there was a constellation map on the Tianyin Enlightenment map, and there was also a constellation map on the Xing'ao Dome. Could there be any connection between the two? Palace Master Cao said that this thing was discovered by accident, so it should have been dug out here, and this place was originally the dojo of the Tianyan Dao sect. Maybe these two things are really related. Commander Lu said, if you hadn't mentioned this, I would have forgotten to tell you something. The Tianyan Taoist sect was once the largest sect in the Tiang continent. Their deduction techniques were not limited to the turtle derivation technique, but also included the astrology technique, collectively known as the art of star deviation. This is why their martial arts method is called the secret of all things and stars. However, later on, the turtle evolution technique became more famous, and few people mentioned the astrology technique. This is normal. The tortoise shell technique can be performed at any time, but the star calculation technique can only be performed at night and when there is no cloud cover, which has great limitations. I guess this star dome was built for the purpose of using astrology anytime and anywhere. Fang Shi sincerely admired Commander Lu for being truly knowledgeable. Compared to others, her cheap grandfather is just a poor student. Alas, when she thought of Zhu Shihuan, she really missed him a little. She didn't know when the old man would wake up. She really missed the days of arguing with him. Fang Shi missed his cheap grandfather intermittently for a while, then shifted his attention back to the star dome. I have to say, this dome is really beautiful. If the house were decorated like this, she would definitely be able to dream of getting rich. Commander Lu. That's all you have. As they were talking, everyone walked to the end of the star dome and could go out directly from here. Fang Shi turned his head to look over there, wanting to take another closer look, and saw that the stars above the dome were moving slowly. It's strange, I saw him not moving just now. Could it be that she was dazzled? As she was thinking, a star map suddenly appeared in her sea of consciousness. She shook her head. Could it be a sequelae of the previous grinding? Why is there still hallucination? But even though she was shaking her head like a rattle, the star map in her sea of consciousness did not disappear. When the people from Xingya Gate saw Fang Shi shaking his head, some of them couldn't help but gloat over his misfortune. This Lu Yi must have advanced too quickly, her consciousness is unstable, and she has become a fool. Master Teng and others were also a little worried. Only Elder Gu Liang thought it was normal. He was so excited that he threw his wig away. Isn't it normal for the beloved disciple to shake his head a few times? Everyone came out of the star dome. There was also a ladder connecting to the ground, but it was an ordinary ladder and there was no formation set up. Everyone followed the ladder and reached the ground. Palace Master Cao was in a really bad mood right now, and he was too lazy to hang out with the people from Tianyan Dao sect, so he directly sent them back to the guest house. Fang Shi also breathed a sigh of relief. Because ever since leaving the star dome, the starry sky map has disappeared. It seems that it was indeed an illusion before. While Fang Shi and Junwen were talking in the room, someone came to visit. The people who came were several direct disciples of Xingya sect, and Fang Kui was among them. Fang Shi was puzzled. Why do you want to talk to me? Do you want to ask me for the secret of enlightenment? Fang Kui sneered. Don't flatter yourself. Your sudden enlightenment is just a blind cat catching a dead mouse. You said before that if I give you 1 million spirit stones, you will dare to jump into the golden pond. Does that still count? Fang Shi was stunned, and then his eyes were evasive. Of course it counts. What do you mean by asking this question? When Fang Kui and his companions saw her guilty look, they immediately understood what was going on. We have prepared 1 million spirit stones. Come with us and jump into the golden pond now. They thought Fang Shi would definitely not dare to do so they could use this as an excuse to mock her and vent their anger. As a result, Fang Shi hesitated for a moment and gritted his teeth and said, Okay, for 1 million spirit stones, I'll fight. Fang Kui and others. You want money over life. Seeing that they were silent, Fang Shi sneered, What? Do you regret it, or do you not have 1 million spirit stones and are just teasing me? Fang Kui and the others were already very angry, and could not stand such provocation, so they immediately gave Fang Shi 1 million spirit stones. Lu Yi, you brought this upon yourself. If you jump in and something happens to you, you will bear the consequences yourself. Fang Shi put away the spirit stone and asked them. I can take responsibility for my actions. What about you? If I jump in and something happens to those soul-stirring stings, you won't blame me, right? Of course not. Words are not enough, let's take a picture as evidence. Brother, have you recorded it? Junwen said cheerfully, Don't worry, little sister. I've recorded several copies. Fang Kui and others. They vaguely felt that they had fallen into a pit. But then I thought, Lu Yi is just a small god, how could she really dare to jump into the golden pond? She must be pretending, just to make them back off. Humph, they won't be fooled. To put it another way, even if she was really stupid enough to jump into the golden pond, she would definitely not end up well. It's not in vain for them to spend 1 million spirit stones. Right. Fang Shi and Junwen immediately followed Fang Kui and the others to the pond area. Because their yard was on the side, no one else was alarmed. Soon, they arrived at the edge of Jintang. Fang Kui sneered, Lu Yi, it's not too late for you to admit your mistake now, otherwise if something really happens, there will be no regrets. Fang Shi didn't even look at him and jumped into the golden pond with a plop. Fang Kui thought to himself, you really don't know your place, you'll suffer soon. He had already made up his mind. When Fang Shi fell into the illusion and was half dead, he would jump in to save her. This would not only teach Fang Shi a lesson, but also avoid being punished by his superiors if something really went wrong. As a result, after Fang Shi jumped in, instead of falling into the illusion, he began to command those soul-catching stings. Soon, the soul-sucking stings formed a soft lavender bed. Fang Shi lay on it leisurely to bask in the sun. The donkey is pulling the millstone, it can't get out of the circle. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1671, a model of contentment. Commander Lu was speechless. Is this guy addicted to turning the mill? However, he was a little confused. Why would these soul-stealing stings listen to the dead girl? Is it because she possesses the power of time? After much thought, this is the only reason. Fang Shi thought so too. She had just absorbed so much time power in the star dome that even her hair probably exuded the fragrance of time power. Of course these soul-stealing stings liked her. Since they are so tactful, she will not eat the cold jellyfish today. Fang Kui and others on the shore were dumbfounded. Although they had been stunned several times today, the scene before them still made them unbelievable. Zhang Wen took the photo stone to help his junior sister record her beautiful life. Fang Shi basked in the sun for a while and asked those soul-stealing stings. Do you have any local specialties to give me? Those soul-stirring stings, saliva, do you want it? Fang Shi just said that casually and didn't expect them to give her anything. Besides, she had already earned 1 million spirit stones from Fang Kui and the others, which was enough. She is truly an example of contentment. She commanded the soul-sucking stings to transport her to the edge of the pond, and then leisurely went ashore. Go away, I'll come play with you guys some other day. The soul steeds then disappeared into the water. Fang Shi nodded to the dazed Fang Kui and others, then walked away leisurely with Zhang Wen. Fang Kui finally reacted, you. He wanted to say, are you just leaving like this? But he swallowed it back. They have already earned the spiritual stones, why are they staying here? Finally, he squeezed out a sentence, just wait for me. Fang Shi didn't even turn his head, he just raised his right hand and waved it, without even slowing down his pace. Fang Kui felt that he was being blatantly looked down upon. When he was getting angry, Xi Heng beside him gritted his teeth and said, just let her go like this. Our spirit stones will be wasted. The other few people were also quite unwilling and felt a little resentful towards Fang Kui in their hearts. If he hadn't insisted on instigating them, they wouldn't have contributed money. Now, all the spirit stones have been won by Lu Yi. Fang Kui snorted coldly, why are you panicking? Once we enter the forbidden area, there are plenty of ways to make her spit out the spirit stones. And she will spit out the money with interest. After hearing what he said, Xi Heng and others finally breathed a sigh of relief. Yup. Once they entered the forbidden area, wouldn't Lu Yi let them slaughter her? At this time, someone asked in confusion, why do those soul-sucking stings listen to her so much? Fang Kui thought for a moment and said, it's probably because she just had an epiphany, and the aura of the star dome's light is still lingering on her body, so those soul-stealing stings feel close to her. Speaking of enlightenment, Fang Kui and others were full of envy, jealousy and hatred, and started to make sarcastic remarks. How can she be so understanding? If her understanding was really that good, she wouldn't be a little god. That's right, it's just a blind cat catching a dead mouse, it's nothing big. Look at her boastful look. If you don't know her, you might think she is a Mahayana cultivator. Once we enter the forbidden area, we will expose her true form. Ellipsis. Just when everyone was talking excitedly, a bucket of cold water was poured down. Real cool water. Those soul steed stings in the golden pond are given to you as a gift. Fang Kui and the others are so angry. You eat and drink from us, Xingyaman, but in the end you end up spitting water all over us. No, too. This is already the second time. If these soul steeds weren't so precious, they would have wanted to jump into the golden pond and strangle them to death. Fang Shi and Zhang Wen are currently treasure hunting. Fang Shi felt a little regretful when she returned yesterday, because she felt that there must be some frosty moon moss that were missed on the stone road. Unfortunately, as a guest, she couldn't leave the guest house without permission. I didn't expect that idiot Fang Kui would come to me on his own initiative. 1 million spirit stones are just a bonus, her real target is Shuanghua Su Yutai. Because there was fog all around, Fang Shi and Zhang Wen had to crouch down in order to see more clearly, and from time to time they had to go into the bushes next to them to take a look. It's no wonder that their hard work paid off and they really found a few clusters of frosty moon tracing moss. These two guys are so happy that they don't know where to go. The two were enjoying themselves when someone said, you two, follow me. Fang Shi and Zhang Wen were stunned, they stood up and saw that the person who spoke was an old man. Before they could see clearly what the other person looked like, the old man said, what are you standing there for? Come with me. Fang Shi hurriedly said, Senior, did you recognize the wrong person? She was stunned when she said this, because the old man in front of her turned out to be blind. Senior, we are not from Xingya Sect. You can tell by sensing our sect uniforms with your divine sense. Before Fang Shi finished speaking, the old man said impatiently, okay, you two little brats, do you think that you can bully an old blind man like me just because I can't use my spiritual sense to investigate for the time being? Come with me quickly, or don't blame me for being rude. As he spoke, he stretched out his hands, grabbed one in each hand, and quickly disappeared into the mist. After a while, Fang Kui and others, who had just cleaned the water off their bodies, came over. Those two little losers walked pretty fast. They must have gone back to the guest house. Humph, they must be afraid that we will ask them for the 1 million spirit stones, so of course they run faster than a rabbit. Forget it, ignore them. We'll deal with them after we enter the forbidden area the day after tomorrow. Ellipsis. At this time, Fang Shi and Zhang Wen had been taken to a courtyard by the old man and then thrown into a house. On the way, Fang Shi wanted to resist, but after weighing the pros and cons, he decided to wait and see. Seeing this, Zhang Wen also pretended to be a quail. See the star stones scattered on the ground. Put them back in the right place, and you can go now. After saying this, the old man closed the door and went out. Fang Shi and Zhang Wen looked closely and saw a broken map of the starry sky on the wall opposite the door, and some sparkling black stones scattered on the ground. Zhang Wen said in secret, Junior sister, this looks like a smaller version of the starry dome, but it is much simpler than the starry dome. However, we haven't learned the art of astrology, so who knows where the correct position is. This old man doesn't even give us a chance to speak. Why don't we send a message to Hall Master Teng and ask him to come and save us? Fang Shi thought the same, so he took out the communication talisman and tried to send a message to Hall Master Teng, but failed. She tried to send a message to Elder Gu Liang again, but still to no avail. It seems that this house has an isolation formation. When Fang Shi was worrying, a star map suddenly appeared in his sea of consciousness. It was the same one that appeared on the star dome before. Fang Shi glanced at the wall, then looked at the star map. Brother, I should know where the correct position is, let's start working. Zhang Wen. Fang Shi picked up a star stone and placed it on the wall. Strangely enough, after the star stone was placed there, it disappeared into the wall and turned into a small dot of light. Fang Shi had a clue in her mind. She placed them on the ground while directing Zhang Wen. The number of star stones on the ground was decreasing. Next chapter around 8 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1672. Brother, what did you do? After Fang Shi and Zhang Wen worked hard, they finally installed all the star stones scattered on the ground on the stone wall. The starry sky map that originally looked grey now looks quite realistic. Fang Shi shouted through the door, Senior, we are done. The old man's sneer came from outside. I'm blind, not stupid, let alone you two rookies, even I can't fight that fast. Work hard for me, or I'll throw you into the pond. Fang Shi really wanted to shout, throw it quickly. But I didn't dare. Although this old man said that he was blind and that he could not use his spiritual sense, when he captured her and Zhang Wen, he was so quick, ruthless and accurate that it was obvious that he was no simple person. There was no other way, she and Zhang Wen could only stare at each other in the room. It was really boring, so the two of them started to meditate and practice. Anyway, when the time comes, the old man will naturally come in to check. Fang Shi practiced for a while and suddenly remembered the star map in his sea of consciousness, only to find that it had disappeared again. She is also careless, or rather, she has become numb. Whatever. She couldn't help but look at the star map on the wall, thinking that since the star dome was used to assist in astrology, this star map probably had the same function. Unfortunately, she knew nothing about astrology and couldn't see anything. However, I have to say that looking at the starry sky is a kind of enjoyment. It is vast and deep, and can make you forget many worries temporarily. She was so engrossed in watching that the star map in her sea of consciousness popped up again and began to flow slowly. Strangely enough, when Fang Shi looked at the star map on the wall again, he felt that the stars on it were also moving, and the movement trajectory was consistent with the star map in his sea of consciousness. I don't know how much time had passed. Zhang Wen finished his practice, and then he was stunned. The star map on the wall became dim again, or to be more precise, even more dilapidated than before. There were many large and small stones scattered on the ground, all grey. Is this what is going on? He quickly called out to Fang Shi, who was still practicing. Little sister, something happened. Fang Shi opened his eyes and was also stunned. Brother, what did you do? Zhang Wen. Fang Shi also realized belatedly that this was probably her fault. She didn't do anything, she just looked at the star map a few more times. How could she have ruined it? Finish the calf. Now it's over. If the blind old man outside knew about this, he would beat them both to death. How can this be done? Zhang Wen whispered, why don't we just delay for time? Maybe if Hall Master Teng and the others find out that we are missing, they will come here. Fang Shi shook her head. Everyone is practicing in their own courtyards, why would they think of us? By the time they come, it will be too late. It is better to rely on ourselves than on others. We still have to rely on ourselves. Zhang Wen sighed. Unless we can get the star stone, there is no way to remedy it. At this time, Mu Jian said in a sly voice. Master, didn't the stingy old guy give you 2 blue bricks made of star sand? That thing is shining with gold, just use it as a substitute. Fang's eyes lit up, and he immediately asked Commander Lu. Master, what do you think? Commander Lu pondered for a moment and said, I know very little about the art of astrology, and I don't know the principle of this star map, but since the star sand comes from the fantasy ruined sea, maybe it will work. You can give it a try. The subtext of this statement is that we should try our best to save the situation. Fang Shi put the grey star stone on the ground into his storage ring, then took out a green brick, broke it into pieces, and then picked up a small piece and placed it on the star map. Her heart was in turmoil, and Zhang Wen also held his breath. Then I saw the star sand disappear into it and turned into a small dot of light. The two were surprised and delighted, and hurriedly continued to put more. Seeing that his bad idea had succeeded, Mu Jian didn't know how to show off. Why am I so good? Not only am I capable, but I'm also smart. Every time my master encounters a problem, I can come up with a good idea. Just say that the master likes me. Who wouldn't like a good sword like mine? I'm not saying anything bad about you, but you all have stupid brains. Use your brains more often, or at least eat some pig brains. Ellipsis. It successfully managed to live in the jade coffin again. The world is quiet. Fang Shi and Zhang Wen had done this puzzle once before, so they were familiar with the process and quickly completed the star map. You know what, it looks even more dazzling than before. Even so, the two were still unsure because they were fake after all. Can you get away with it? However, that old guy is blind and his consciousness seems to be problematic, so it should be the same, right? Just as I was thinking about it, the old man's voice came from the door. Have you finished putting it together? Fang Shi said crisply, Senior, we are done. The old man pushed the door open and walked close to the wall. Fang Shi was puzzled. You said this old man can't see and his spiritual sense is temporarily unusable, so why doesn't he have any problem walking? Is it that practice makes perfect? Have you memorized the roads and the house environment? The old man rubbed his hands on the wall for a few times and nodded with satisfaction. Yes, you did a great job. I'll write you a note and you can go to the miscellaneous affairs hall to collect your payment. As the old man spoke, he took out a pen and paper, quickly wrote a note and handed it to Fang Shi. Fang Shi looked carefully and saw the words written on it. Open black lens bracket, withdraw 10 million low-grade spirit stones. Close black lens bracket. Signed, Mo Tiankuo. Fang Shi. Zhang Wen on the side. Play. Even if I think with my heels, it is impossible to give them 10 million spirit stones for a simple puzzle. A blue brick made of star sand only costs 10,000 spirit stones, and only half of it is used to complete the puzzle, which is 5,000 spirit stones. But the two were so anxious to get away that they didn't care whether it was true or not. After thanking the old man, they ran away. Although they don't know the way, they have a good memory. Just run back to the pond and then go back to the guest house. Halfway through the run, Junwen saw something sharp. Little sister, that seems to be the miscellaneous affairs hall. Should we go and ask? Fang Shi's head was shaking like a rattle. Star stone is much more expensive than star sand. If they didn't go to the miscellaneous affairs hall, even if the old man found the floor, he wouldn't be able to find them for a while. But if they go to the miscellaneous hall to collect the money, wouldn't that be the same as self-destruction? Besides, it was obvious that the old man was playing tricks on them, so how could he really give them 10 million spirit stones? So the two of them sneaked back to the guest house. After entering the house, Junwen asked, Junior sister, you have destroyed so many star stones, what have you gained? Fang Shi, fifth brother, how can you use the word harm? You should use ruin instead. Commander Lu, it's terrible to be uneducated. Her sister is a real dog. Chapter 1673 Star Lock. Regardless of whether she is educated or not, Fang Shi is happy anyway. Brother, my cultivation hasn't changed much, but I found that the star stone is a good thing. Although the power of time contained is not as much as the beast core, it can be absorbed directly, which saves trouble. I guess there must be a lot of star stones placed inside the star dome. I love Xingyaman so much. Since Xingya Sect is a part of Tianyin Dao Sect, I must pull it back from the wrong path and return it to the warm family as soon as possible. Junwen nodded. Little sister, what you said makes sense. In the future, we can come to Xingya Gate to stroll around when we have nothing to do. After all, it is our own territory. After saying this, he and Fang Shi burst into laughter. As insidious as it can be. Commander Lu. He might have been too optimistic before, thinking that after these two came, there would still be one door left in Xingya Gate. Now it seems that only the stars in the sky are left. It's because these two can't go up to the sky, otherwise all the stars would have been plucked. Junwen didn't go back to his yard either, because he was afraid that the blind old man would make trouble, and the two of them stayed together at least to have someone to look after each other. Fang Shi and Junwen were looking forward to the time passing quickly so that they could quickly enter the forbidden area. By then, even if the old man discovered the problem, he wouldn't be able to find them. After waiting and waiting, the day to open the forbidden area finally arrived. Palace Master Cao came in person to invite Hall Master Teng and others, and then everyone arrived outside the forbidden area. I saw 28 star locks floating above the transparent barrier of the forbidden area. 2 of the locks had dimmed, and the remaining 26 were emitting bright light. Palace Master Cao explained, there are 3 chances to unlock the door in total. We have tried twice and failed. Now there is only 1 chance left. Therefore, Elder Gu Liang, you must be cautious. If it were an ordinary person, he would definitely show his determination. But Elder Gu Liang is obviously not an ordinary person. He shook his hair. Even though he was wearing a wig now, he was used to it. Palace Master Cao, what you said is true. You have failed twice. Isn't it normal for me to fail once? So don't hold out too much hope, just leave it to fate. Palace Master Cao. You can just pretend. You make me feel very uneasy. Not only was he unsure, but everyone present was unsure. But now we can only take a gamble. When Elder Gu Liang took out the tortoise shell and was about to start calculating, Sect Master Chu hurriedly said, wait a minute. Then Palace Master Cao and the others started to get busy. There is a layer of barrier on the left, and a layer of barrier on the right, and everyone wants to use a pot to cover Elder Gu Liang. Elder Gu Liang. You really care about me. Finally, Xingya Sect felt that the security measures were sufficient, and signaled Elder Gu Liang that they could begin the calculation. Elder Gu Liang cursed in his heart, and spiritual flames rose from his right hand. He roasted the turtle shell while muttering to himself. Most of the disciples of Xingya Sect had never seen the turtle evolution technique, and they all stretched their necks to watch curiously. On the Tianyin Dao Sect side, everyone stood farther away from each other, fearing that the Xingya Sect's security measures were not in place. Especially Fang Shi and Junwen, one hid behind Hall Master Teng and the other hid behind Elder Zhao, portraying the fear of death to the fullest. Elder Gu Liang didn't have the time to pay attention to these things right now. Although he sounded relaxed, he was actually under a lot of pressure. As a human being, he would do anything to save face. Whether it was for Tianyin Dao Sect or for himself, he wanted to succeed. Therefore, every step is taken with extreme caution. You know what, it didn't explode. Hey. The time has come for Gu Liangchuan to become famous all over the world. As I said, Xingyaman brings good luck to him. His good mood didn't last long before it turned into uneasiness. Because he couldn't understand the dark patterns on the turtle shell anymore. How can this be done? He pinched his fingers quickly. Luckily it was original. If it was like a wig, it would have been pinched off long ago. While calculating, he was searching for his beloved disciple in the crowd. Last time when he calculated the blood lotus bud of Bidu, his beloved disciple helped him become famous by guessing. This time, he had to rely on her again. When Fang Shi saw Elder Gu Liang like that, he knew that he couldn't figure it out again. Got it. It's time for this little charlatan to take action again. Although she has learned a lot of theoretical knowledge, she has only put it into practice once. Will it work? No matter whether it is possible or not, you can't just stand by and watch someone die. She immediately said to Palace Master Cao, my master has finished roasting the tortoise shell. There is no risk of it exploding. You should remove all the barriers. Otherwise, it would affect my master's communication with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and affect the speed and accuracy of deduction. Although Palace Master Cao thought Feng Shi was talking nonsense, he still ordered people to open the barrier for safety reasons. Feng Shi said to Hall Master Teng again, Hall Master Teng, I will go and help my master. Master Teng. This is the last step, what are you going to do? Do you help him hold the turtle shell or help him count his fingers? However, thinking of the last incident with the Big Dipper Blood Lotus, he nodded and agreed. Since he agreed, it would be difficult for Palace Master Cao to stop him. Feng Shi quickly came close to Elder Guliang and went to look at the turtle shell on the ground. The pattern of the tortoise shell soon appeared in her sea of consciousness. She looked at it but didn't quite understand it. After all, she was only self-taught and had never put it into practice. Master, why don't you just pick a random star lock? Maybe it will turn out to be a lucky idiot. After listening to this, Elder Guliang was silent for a moment. I'll tell you which one you said. You're lucky. Feng Shi. Why do you treat me like a coy? She complained inwardly while looking at the floating star locks. The 2 dim ones could be excluded, and the remaining 26 looked similar. Which one is correct? At this time, the elusive star map appeared in the sea of consciousness again. Feng Shi just casually glanced at the star map, and then looked at those star locks, and then all the star locks became dim. Feng Shi was extremely panicked at that time. This should be just a coincidence, right? It should have nothing to do with her, right? Just when she was at a loss, Elder Guliang whispered, Yi, have you decided which lock to use? Feng Shi, Master, I guess you don't have to choose. You should quickly think of a way to annihilate the whole army. In order to preserve his status as a charlatan, Elder Guliang kept his eyes closed, so he had no idea what was happening. But soon, he heard the exclamations of the crowd. Why are all the star locks dim? This hasn't even been opened with the star key. Something must have gone wrong. Is the forbidden area closed and we can't get in? Could it be Gu Liangchuan's doing? Ellipsis. Elder Guliang quickly opened his eyes, and when he saw this scene, he was so shocked that his hands cramped. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1674, Master and disciple still live a peaceful life. The main reason is that I calculated too quickly just now, and now I'm frightened, so this happened. Feng Shi quickly sent a secret message to Elder Guliang. Close your eyes quickly. Elder Guliang was really obedient and closed his eyes quickly. Yi, how can you say that everything is destroyed? With the behavior of Xingyao sect, it must be a scam. I guess your uncle can't afford the compensation. Feng Shi. She rolled her eyes and said, Master, if you say so. Elder Guliang's eyes lit up. He had to be his precious disciple. This little brain was enough for him. Once he relaxed, his hands stopped cramping and became more flexible than before. Although things were in chaos over there, the master and disciple were still living a peaceful life. It's no wonder that after everyone saw this, they felt a glimmer of hope in their hearts, thinking that perhaps Elder Guliang had figured out something. Finally, Elder Guliang opened his eyes. He stood up calmly and put the turtle shell into the storage ring. He put one hand behind his back and held a whisk in the other, which he pretended to swing a few times. Palace Master Cao urged, Elder Guliang, please tell me what's going on. Elder Guliang said slowly. Everything has its destiny. It's no use for you to be anxious. Just listen to me and I will explain it slowly. The star lock is dim, don't worry, because only the correct star lock will be lit. These 28 star locks correspond to the 28 constellations, namely Jiamo Jiao, Kang Junlong, Dai Tu He, Palace Master Cao and others. After all, we are members of the Xingyao sect. Do we need you to explain to us what the 28 constellations are? But no one interrupted Elder Guliang at this time, and he just let him talk on. There is only one way to find the correct star lock among the 28 constellations, and that is to summon the 4 symbols. It just so happens that the 4 symbols monument is right in your Xingyao gate, so please invite the 4 symbols over. Palace Master Cao and others. It took you so long to come up with this result. However, it seems to make sense. Aren't the 28 constellations governed by the 4 symbols? Do we really have to move the 4 symbols stellae here? Wouldn't that allow the people of Tianyan Dao sect to see the inscription? Besides, the 4 elephants may not agree to be moved here. Not to mention helping them point out the correct star lock. When Elder Guliang saw the sad faces of those people from Xingyao sect, his heart was filled with joy. My dear disciple is so smart. Just divert the blame to someone else. If Xixiang can find the correct star lock, it means that his calculation is accurate. If the 4 symbols cannot find the correct star lock, that is their problem. What does it have to do with Gu Liangchuan? Master Chu frowned. He felt that something was wrong. Could it be that Gu Liangchuan was just talking nonsense? He decided to cheat. Elder Guliang, you said that only the 4 symbols can find the correct star lock. That's exactly what the hexagram shows. Sect Master Chu nodded and said, I have also dabbled in the art of tortoise deduction. Please tell me the process of deduction and I will listen. Elder Guliang. Feng Shi was speechless, and whispered in secret, the art of turtle evolution has been lost, he knows nothing, just tell him how profound it is, and you'll kill him. Elder Guliang finally reacted and immediately used a lot of profound terminology. Not to mention Sect Master Chu, even he himself was confused. When Master Chu saw that he was talking confidently and didn't seem to be lying, he dispelled his suspicions. He thought to himself that Palace Master Cao had told him before that the 4 elephants were quite dissatisfied with them for concealing the fact that they were about to enter the forbidden area. Could it be that this is the reason why we didn't tell them that they could find the correct star lock? The 4 symbols are arrogant by nature and are indeed capable of doing such things. Thinking of this, he said to Palace Master Cao, Yonglu, go to the 4 symbols Holy Land and tell the 4 symbols what happened. Let's see what they mean. Palace Master Cao received the order and hurried to the 4 symbols Holy Land. As soon as I entered, I found that the 4 symbols Holy Land was in a mess. How is this going? Could it be that the 4 elephants are fighting? He suppressed his doubts, performed a series of complicated hand seals, and then kowtowed, finally making the shadows of the 4 symbols appear. 4 divine messengers. Before he could finish his words, he was knocked to the ground dozens of times by the angry black snake. It just had a fight with a strut turtle. It was originally a fake fight, but as the fight went on, both it and the strut turtle got angry and it turned into a real fight. It was already holding a lot of anger in its heart, and when it heard Palace Master Cow say, 4 divine messengers, it would be strange if it didn't get angry. Are those 2 holes on your nose? Don't you even know how to count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, don't you understand? Palace Master Cow was so badly knocked unconscious after the fall that he still had to put on a smile and recount what had happened. King Long was about to say that he didn't know what Starlock was, but Schwench stopped him. I guess it was Lu Yi who came up with this idea. She's giving us money. We will first capture Kiao, extort a large sum of spread stones from him, and then randomly choose a Starlock. If it opens, that would be the best. If it doesn't, just say that we have consumed too much spiritual energy recently, so we didn't see it clearly. I don't think he would dare to do anything to us. After all, he still hopes that we can help him gather intelligence from Tianyan Dao Sect. King Long was glad that Schwench was such a smart bastard. Fortunately, Lu Yi gave me some advice, otherwise the leader of the 4 elephants might have been taken away by it. King Long and the others discussed their speech again, and then words appeared on the stone wall. You think of us now. What did you do earlier? After Palace Master Cow gave a long explanation and kowtowed several times, Si Xiang finally said. Forget it, I'll help you one more time. There's no need to move us to the forbidden area, we can figure it out here. However, this calculation requires a lot of spiritual energy, so we need to replenish some spiritual stones first. Close black lens bracket. Palace Master Cow's heart trembled. Why did he want spirit stones again? Didn't I just give you 100 million spirit stones? Excuse me, 4 divine messengers, how many spiritual stones do you need? Open black lens bracket 100 million. Close black lens bracket. Palace Master Cow. Even though we in Xing Yao Sect are relatively wealthy, we can't ask for 100 million at a time. 4 divine envoys, our sect has been in trouble recently, and we can't gather so many at once. Can you think of fewer? Open black lens bracket 80 million. Close black lens bracket. Can you have a little less? Open black lens bracket 60 million. Close black lens bracket. Ellipsis. After some bargaining, the final price was settled at 10 million. Palace Master Cow didn't dare to make the decision, so he contacted Sect Master Chu after leaving the 4 Symbols Holy Land. Master Chu was very unhappy. He vaguely felt that the 4 Symbols regarded their Xing Yao Sect as their enemy. But then I thought, after all, I am one of the 4 Symbols, so I should do this kind of thing. Besides, if they really wanted to blackmail us, they would have brought it up long ago, and not just now. Whatever. Although 10 million is not a small amount, it is affordable, so I agreed. After getting the spread stone, King Long said casually. Open black lens bracket just choose Kang Jinlong. Close black lens bracket. The word, dragon, is definitely auspicious. It will definitely open the forbidden area. The white tigers were too lazy to get involved, so they just picked one at random. Palace Master Cow was overjoyed and ran away as if his butt was on fire. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1675 She is the god of fairness. As soon as Palace Master Cow left, the black snake and the strut turtle started fighting again over the distribution of strut stones. The black snake wanted 1.5 million, but only gave the strut turtle 1 million. The strut turtle also wants 1.5 million and gives the black snake 1 million. So, the 2 of them fought fiercely again. King Long was extremely annoyed and gritted his teeth and said, Okay, stop arguing, it's giving me a headache. If it doesn't work, the 3 of us can each give you 100,000 spiritual stones to replenish you. You can each give 1.4 million spiritual stones. Is that okay? The black snake thought to itself, it seems that damn girl Lu Yi had indeed greeted the Azure Dragon, otherwise it wouldn't have been so tactful. I have to say, that little girl is quite capable. I just don't know if Suzaku and Baihu will agree. Suzaku and Baihu were very unhappy. They think that King Long has 3 more breaths in his nostrils. Why do you care whether they fight or not? Why should we use strut stones to supply them? So, I didn't express my opinion immediately. Upon seeing this, the black snake continued to fight with the sprit turtle, specifically crashing into the stone tablets of the white tiger and the red bird. Although they wouldn't really hit the stone tablet, white tiger and vermilion bird wouldn't be able to concentrate on their cultivation. In the end, they had no choice but to agree to King Long's proposal, and each of them took out 100,000 strut stones and gave them to the black snake and the sprit turtle. The black snake and the sprit turtle felt both happy and sad. I'm glad that I finally see the light. The sad thing is that it would have been great if they had met Lu Yi earlier. She is the goddess of justice. Palace Master Cow didn't bother to tidy up his appearance and ran out of the forbidden area with his hair disheveled. Elder Guliang was puzzled and asked, Palace Master Cow, did you go to the 4 Symbols Holy Land or hide in a haystack? Why are you in such a mess? Palace Master Cow then remembered this and quickly performed a few spells, which made the situation feel better. Fang Shi was secretly happy in her heart. It seemed that what King Long said was true. Every time Palace Master Cow entered the 4 Symbols Holy Land, he had to suffer a lot. Also, the 4 symbols could clearly speak human language, but he mistakenly believed that they could only communicate using the characters on the stone walls. I don't know whether to say that the 4 elephants are too troublesome, or that Palace Master Cow is too cowardly. Commander Lu said something fair, only you can control the 4 elephants. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be much better than Palace Master Cow. Fang Shi nodded, if you say so, I won't argue with you. After all, there are so few people as outstanding as me. It can be said that they are rare. Ha, no wonder my last name is Fang, so this is what it means. Commander Lu. I'll just say no more. Sect Master Chu asked Palace Master Cao, Yonglu, which star lock did the four symbols choose? Master, they chose Kang Jinlong. There was a sudden commotion among the crowd. Elder Gu Liang was also wondering whether the selection of the four symbols was accurate. Never mind, just be prepared for both situations. If I choose the right one, I will immediately become a style icon. If I make the wrong choice, I will immediately pass the blame. Fang Shi felt that it definitely can be accurate. If Xixiang knew which star lock it was, he would have told her long ago. The reason why she asked Elder Gu Liang to say this was, on the one hand, she wanted to pass the blame to the four elephants, and on the other hand, she wanted to generate income for them. The biggest reason why King Long and Xuansh were fooled by her was that she could bring them benefits. There is no benefit, it's all nonsense. After hearing Palace Master Cao's answer, Sect Master Chu hesitated for a moment and then took out the star key. Fang Shi's eyes lit up when he saw Xingyao. Because the star key is shining with gold, it looks very valuable. She didn't even dare to imagine how happy she would be if she strung them together with a rope and hung them around her neck. Commander Lu. Are you sure you want to hang a key that's more than 3 feet long around your neck? Sect Master Chu didn't know that someone had taken a fancy to the star key, so he threw the star key into the air and began to form seals. After a series of complicated seals, the star key flew towards the star lock in the direction of Kang Jinlong. Everyone stared at it intently, their hearts in their throats, and they didn't even dare to breathe. Only Fang Shi was wondering about something. She just took a look at those star locks and they all dimmed. If the star map appeared again at this moment, and she took a look at the star key, would the star key also appear dim? I don't know what conditions will be triggered for the star map to appear. Could it be the star stone? Thinking of the star stone, she thought of the blind old man. While she was daydreaming, the star key had already touched the star lock in the direction of Kang Jinlong, but there was no response. Everyone's heart sank. Finished. 3 chances in total, all failed. It seems that this forbidden area cannot be opened. The little spark of Elder Gu Liang's desire to show off was also extinguished. Just as he was about to make a speech to shift the blame, Xingyao suddenly changed direction and flew towards the crowd. Everyone was stunned by this sudden change. What's the meaning of this star key not using it to open the star lock but flying towards the crowd? Fang Shi had a bad feeling in his heart. As for the reason, isn't it obvious? She is pretty. Commander Lu, it's obviously you who made other people's star locks dim. Xingyao is here to settle the score with you. If it was someone else, they would be stunned and could only stand there in a daze. But Fang Shi's reaction was so quick. Isn't this star key looking for the 4 symbols? Palace Master Cao, you too, why didn't you invite the 4 symbols over? Palace Master Cao. How did this become my fault? Since the 4 symbols are not needed, I certainly won't go to the trouble of bringing the 4 symbols monument here. Before he could say anything, Xingyao had already flown towards Fang Shi. Fang Shi yelled, I just said that, why are you coming at me? Palace Master Cao, hurry up and tell me where the 4 symbols holy land is. I'll go there with the star key. Palace Master Cao was also confused and subconsciously pointed in a direction. Fang Shi immediately ran in the direction he pointed, shouting as he ran. Come, I'll take you to find the 4 elephants. Xingyao really followed her. Ran. After a moment of astonishment, Sect Leader Chu flashed close to Fang Shi, and no one could even see how he moved. Master Chu stopped Fang Shi. You are not familiar with the road, so I can go there with the star key. Fang Shi nodded quickly, okay. You'd better take this broken key with you, otherwise I'm really afraid it will mistake it for a star lock and crack my head. Master Chu said to Xingyao, follow me. The star key hovered right above Fang Shi, not moving. Master Chu repeated it again, but Xingyao still did not move. Master Chu looked at Fang Shi, who had an exclamation mark above his head, and fell silent. Fang Shi found his silence deafening. Just when the atmosphere was somewhat stagnant, Xingyao suddenly turned around and flew towards the forbidden area. Next chapter around 8 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1676, there is a bright future in another village. Fang Shi couldn't believe her eyes. How come this broken key suddenly disappeared? Aren't you going to give her a beating? Although Sect Leader Chu was somewhat puzzled, he still quickly chased after him. Fang Shi saw that Sect Master Chu instantly appeared near the star key and his face was full of envy. It seems that everything is empty, I still need to practice well. If only she had lots of star stones, she would definitely advance to the refining realm in 3 days, the fusion realm in 5 days, and the Mahayana realm in 10 days. Commander Lu thought, if you are dreaming, you can ascend to heaven in a quarter of an hour. While Fang Shi was sighing, the star key had already flown close to the star locks. The next moment, the star key shone brightly. The 28 star locks actually merged into one lock. The star key was inserted into the keyhole, and with a click, an entrance appeared on the transparent barrier. Everyone was suddenly excited. The forbidden area has been opened. They can get in. Master Chu didn't expect that there was a ray of hope after all the difficulties, and he was very excited. Although the process was a bit tortuous, fortunately the result was good. Elder Gu Liang, hurry up and show off. He first used some abstruse terms, and then said, everyone, what do you think? I said we should start with the 4 symbols, right? I, Gu Liangchuan, have never failed in my plan. Everyone was too busy to listen to his bragging as the disciples of both sides were already preparing to enter the forbidden area. This is the territory of Xingyao Sect, so naturally the people from Xingyao Sect will go in first, and then it will be the turn of Tianyin Dao Sect. Because the entrance could only accommodate one person, the disciples of Xingyao Sect lined up and went in one after another. People from Tianyin Dao Sect also started queuing up. Line up according to entry time. The earlier you enter, the closer your seat will be. Fang Shi and Junwen were ranked last. Junwen quickly took out a special rope and tied his and Fang Shi's arms together, saying that he wanted to protect his sister at all times. Although everyone was speechless, they had to praise him for being a responsible brother. Soon, it was Jun Wen's turn. Then, he was stopped by an invisible obstacle. I tried several times, but each time ended in failure. Palace Master Cao snorted coldly. Didn't you see that everyone went in one by one before? You and Lu Yi are tied together, so of course you can't get in. Jun Wen had no choice but to untie the rope, and this time he got in smoothly. Fang Shi wasn't too worried. After all, Jun Wen had a mutated burrowing thorn beast, so he should be able to escape even if he met someone from Xingya Sect. As she thought about it, she lifted her left foot, and then it got stuck. Half of the body is inside the forbidden area, and half of the body is outside. Fortunately, my head was all outside, otherwise it would be even more embarrassing. Commander Lu was somewhat speechless. Are you still thinking about whether it's embarrassing or not? You should just find a way to get in. Don't blame me for not reminding you, the Starlock seems to be related to the power of time. The speed of time in the forbidden area and outside may be different. If you delay for a long time, the consequences will be disastrous. Fang Shi was anxious now. She doesn't want half of her body to become an old lady. When she was thinking of a solution, the star key and the Starlock suddenly fell towards her. Fang Shi. She wondered why the broken key suddenly came back. It turned out it wanted to close the door and beat the dog. She wanted to increase her spiritual shield and took out the whisk given to her by Elder Gu Liang, but failed. She was also forced into a corner and swung her spiritual power like a brick and smashed it at the star key and Starlock. Even if someone sees it, it's better than being smashed to death. Besides, I guess no one would use spiritual sense to investigate at this moment. What's more, the star key and Starlock were actually knocked off course by the big brick of spiritual consciousness, and happened to hit Palace Master Cao. Palace Master Cao was still watching the show and never dreamed that he would become the protagonist. He reacted quickly and dodged. The star key and Starlock fell heavily to the ground, even making a big hole. However, they soon flew up from the pit and headed towards the barrier entrance again. Unfortunately, Fang Shi had already disappeared. It turned out that after the star key and Starlock were knocked away by the big brick, Fang Shi quickly used the power of time. She also thought quickly. Since the Starlock was related to the power of time, she probably could use the power of time to squeeze herself in. You know what, after she tried to cocoon a few times, the cricket really cocooned in. When Xingya and Xingsuo saw that Fang Shi had disappeared, they immediately became frightened. He began to chase Palace Master Cao all over the place. Because they thought that if Palace Master Cao had not dodged and instead been willing to serve as a cushion, they would have had time to hit Fang Shi. Palace Master Cao was extremely scared. He didn't know what he had done wrong to be hunted down by the star key and Starlock. Is it because the Four Symbols monument was not brought here? The scene was in chaos. In the end, it was Sect Master Chu's hastily performed seals that ended the chaotic situation. However, the star key did not fly into his hands, but instead floated above the barrier together with the Starlock. Master Chu frowned. Could Xingya's abnormal behavior be related to Lu Yi? But I think it's unlikely. How could Lu Yi, a small god, have such great abilities? Besides, if he was going for her, he wouldn't give up halfway and turn to attack Palace Master Cao. I guess he was overthinking it. As for why Xingya wanted to attack Palace Master Cao, he had the same idea as Palace Master Cao. It was probably because he did not invite the Four Symbols Stelae over. Anyway, now that the storm has passed, I hope that the disciples of Xingya Sect can get plenty of opportunities in there and bring the dojo Stelae out. As for the disciples of Tianyin Dao Zong, they were just stepping stones. On the Tianyin Dao Sect side, people's hearts were in their throats. Especially Elder Gu Liang. He was wondering why he felt that Xingya and Xingsuo were going for Yi. Could it be that he was being retaliated against because Yi helped him make up a lie? If that's the case, he has really committed a sin. Hall Master Teng and others were worried that the disciples of Tianyin Dao Sect would be bullied by the people of Xingya Sect in the forbidden area, and might even lose their lives. But now that I'm inside, I can only wait. At this time, inside the forbidden area, Jun Wen was looking around in confusion. Wasn't this originally the dojo of the Tianyin Dao Sect? Why does it look like a prison cell? To be precise, it doesn't look like a prison cell. He is now locked in a cell. Not only was he locked up in the cell, but all the disciples of Xingya Sect and Tianyin Dao Sect were also there. There is a huge noise in the cell now. Isn't it said that the forbidden area is full of natural treasures and opportunities? How did I get teleported to the prison cell? Is there even any need to ask this? Our leader has been deceived and fallen into a trap set by others. This is a forbidden area. Who can set a trap here? Ellipsis. Some people were arguing while others were trying to find a way out, but unfortunately, after trying all possible methods, they still couldn't find a way out. Jun Wen asked the mutant earth-digging thorn beast, "Can you dig a hole to get out?" Mutated digging thorn beast, "No." The answer was so straightforward. Jun Wen, waste. The mutated burrowing thorn beast thought to itself, "You are not a waste, why don't you try to find a way out?" If I had known that I would go to jail if I followed you, I would have chosen the female devil. Look, you are all locked up, but I am the only one who is safe and sound. The female devil is so terrifying. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1677 or Let's Draw Lots. Jun Wen was also thinking about Fang Shi. Where is the junior sister? Could something have gone wrong? Ugh. The first hour of missing my junior sister. After a brief moment of missing her, he began to think about how to save himself. After all, he is the one who will take over the position of Lord of the Nine Netherworld in the future, so how can he rely on junior sister for everything? When his junior sister was around, he was willing to be a supporting role. When the junior sister is not around, he can also hold up the sky. Just as he was racking his brains to think of a solution, a voice like a loud bell rang out. Are you disciples of the Xingxuan and Giyan sects? I had deduced long ago that the Tianyan Dao sect would split into two factions in the future, and now it seems to have come true. Whatever, this is also God's will, and we ants can only obey. Having said this, the man fell silent. After a long while, the man said, after so many years, I still don't know which of the two schools, Xingzhuan or Guiyan, has a better deduction technique. How about this? I will give you a question now. The first faction to give the correct answer can enter the dojo, and the rest of the faction will reflect on themselves in this cell. As soon as the man finished speaking, several floating keys appeared in the cell with numbers written on them. Among these 10 keys, only one can open the cell door. You can deduce it now. Remember, each of you has only one chance to answer. The disciples of Xingzhuan sect were dumbfounded. Because their astrology technique requires the help of stars, how can they deduce it in a prison cell? At this moment, a map of the starry sky suddenly appeared on the roof of the cell. Although it can't compare with the star map in the star dome, it is much better than nothing. The people of Xingzhuan Gate suddenly gained more confidence, and many of them began to deduce. Compared to the busyness at Xingzhuan sect, everyone at Tianyan Dao sect looked at Li Zhe. Among them, only Li Zhe and Zhang Wen practiced the turtle evolution technique. Zhang Wen could basically be ruled out. After all, he had not been practicing for very long. Then we can only place our hopes on Li Zhe. To be honest, no one had any idea. Elder Gu Liang is so unreliable, how strong can his disciple be? Elder Gu Liang at least has several successful cases over the years, but Li Zhe doesn't have any. Li Zhe himself was unsure. Although he rarely exploded the turtle shell, he often couldn't understand the dark patterns on the turtle shell. No matter whether there is a bottom or not, we have to push forward now. So he took out the tortoise shell, and spiritual flames rose from his right hand. He muttered something and began to roast the tortoise shell. It looks quite realistic. Soon, he completed the step of roasting the turtle shell and began to visualize. the turtle patterns. His brows were twisted into a knot, and his heart was more bitter than Coptis chinensis. Because judging from the moire pattern, each key looks real, yet also looks unreal. Isn't this just lonely? When everyone saw Li Zhe's look, they immediately felt disappointed. It seems they can't get out. Zhang Wen was reading the fortunes of the 10 keys. Last time in the underground palace, junior sister was able to guess the answer based on various information, so he, a gentleman with a sword known all over the world, must be able to do it too. Correct. The correct key is used frequently and will definitely have signs of use. He is really smart. He began to observe the keys with confidence. Unfortunately, even though his eyes were about to cramp, he still couldn't find out which key showed signs of use. Finally, he came up with a solution. Otherwise, let's draw lots. Anyway, there are only 10 keys in total, so the chances of success are still very high. Several people from Xingzhuan sect have already deduced the answer, but it seems that there are disagreements and they're arguing in low voices. Zhang Wen thought that their Tianyan Dao sect was the best, as there was no disagreement at all. After a while, the Xingzhuan sect reached a consensus. Senior, we deduced that the second key on the left is correct. The voice said calmly, your astrology skills are pretty good, but because you only have a superficial understanding, you were blinded by the wrong answers. Guiyan school, what is your answer? Li Zhe was sweating profusely at this time, and even felt a little dizzy due to the overdrawn spiritual consciousness, but he still couldn't figure out the answer. He felt very ashamed. No matter how unreliable the master is, he has been right a few times recently. How can he be such a loser? Seeing that he couldn't give an answer, Zhang Wen made up his mind and thought that someone had to take the blame anyway, so he should do it. Just pick one. Let's choose the 6th one on the left. The reason he chose this one was because he remembered that Fengxi was ranked 6th. Junior sister is lucky, maybe if she gets some help, she will have good luck. The voice was surprised and said, you actually figured it out. It seems that even after so much time has passed, the turtle evolution technique is still stronger than the star calculation technique. Zhang Wen. Believe in Fengxi and gain eternal life. The value of this sentence continues to increase. The voice said, since the Guiyan school has given the correct answer, you can now enter the dojo. As for the Xingzhuan school, you should reflect on yourselves in your cells. As soon as the voice fell, a white light flashed before the eyes of the people of Tianyan Dao sect, and then disappeared from the sight of the people of Xingzhuan sect. The people of Xingzhuan were very depressed. Not only because they lost the opportunity to enter the dojo, but also because their self-confidence was hit. They always thought they were 100 times stronger than Tianyan Dao sect, but in the end they were trampled underfoot right from the start. Just when they were discouraged, the voice sounded again. On the path of cultivation, there is no need to calculate the gains and losses at a certain time. Gains at this time may not be a good thing, and losses at that time may not be a bad thing. I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. Now the people of Guiyan's sect have been scattered all over the Taoist temple. If you can capture them all within 10 days, not only will all the natural treasures they have found in the Taoist temple belong to you, but I will also give you a great opportunity. But if you can't do it, all the natural treasures and great opportunities will belong to Guiyan's faction. The disciples of Xingzhuan sect were overjoyed. Because it is too easy for them. Their cultivation is generally higher than that of the Tianyan Dao sect, and they have the advantage in numbers, so they can almost dominate the situation. Since you have no objection, then get out. The next moment, the disciples of Xingzhuan sect were already in a canyon. After discussion, they decided to split into 10 groups of 7 and head in different directions to look for Tianyan Dao sect's direct disciples. They're full of confidence. The disciples of Tianyan Dao sect are all alone, let alone the 7 of them, even if they fight alone they will definitely win. Fang Kui led a small team and began searching in the southeast direction. In fact, he had always had a question in his mind, why didn't he see that little bitch Lu Yi? Was she afraid that he would retaliate against her, so she didn't dare to come in? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was a possibility. That Lu Yi looked much smarter than her brother Lu Chike. Maybe she really had escaped from the battlefield. Humph, she got a bargain. It doesn't matter if she didn't come, isn't there still Lu Chi? It's better not to fall into his hands, otherwise he will suffer the consequences. Next chapter around 11 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1678. It seems that following the useless master has its benefits. At this time, Jun Wen was discussing with the mutated burrowing thorn beast how to survive. Although he didn't know that the people from Xingya sect had been released, he still wanted to capture them. But he knew that he was only a minor deity, and if he encountered any demon beast or demon plant in this temple, he would be killed. If his junior sister was around, he would only need to do the auxiliary work, but now that she is not here, he has to consider everything carefully. His only trump card is the mutated burrowing thorn beast. However, this thing's actual combat capability is questionable, and its loyalty also needs to be considered, so he cannot act rashly. The mutated burrowing thorn beast also wanted to play it safe because it felt that it was carrying a big burden. If it encounters danger, it can just burrow into the soil and run away, but we can't just ignore this annoying thing, right? So, the master and the pet hit it off immediately and took their sneaky behavior to the extreme. Every time, the mutated burrowing thorn beast would go first to explore the way and make sure there was no danger nearby. Only then would Jun Wen follow with the sword in his left hand and a stack of talismans given to him by Feng Shi in his right hand. What's more, this operation successfully helped them avoid encounters with high-level monsters several times. Not only that, because the mutated burrowing thorn beast would drill underground from time to time to explore the way, it happened to dig up some roots and rhizomes of medicinal herbs, which were of quite high quality. Jun Wen felt more and more that his strategy was so wise. 5 days passed in a blink of an eye, and Jun Wen was a little puzzled. Why didn't he meet anyone from Tianyan Dao sect? Is it because this temple is too big? No matter how big it is, it shouldn't be possible that you won't meet anyone in 5 days, right? As he thought about it, he thought of Feng Shi again. I don't know what's going on with my junior sister. Did she not come in, or did something go wrong? Although he had a mysterious trust in Feng Shi, he still couldn't help but worry. The mutant digging thorn beast thought that Jun Wen was just worrying about nothing. The female devil was so powerful, how could she be in any danger? However, it is quite happy these days because it can burrow into the soil every day. The earth element in this dojo is much richer than outside. It has a hunch that if it drills for a few more days, it should be able to upgrade. It seems that following the useless master has its benefits. On this day, the mutated burrowing thorn beast was pupating underground when it heard footsteps. Yo. It's not easy, I finally meet someone. Let me see, who is that little guy? Could he be the useless senior brother of the useless master? When it was about to secretly observe who was coming, it was surprised to find that there were several people coming. The people of Tianyan Dao sect are more useless than each other. In just 5 days, our team has already captured 8 people. I guess other teams have captured as many as well. I think it won't take 10 days, they'll all be caught soon. I don't know what the great opportunity that Senior was talking about is, but we're really lucky this time. It's a pity that I haven't found the dojo monument yet, but it's not something that can be forced. Ellipsis. The mutant burrowing thorn beast was shocked. The Xingya sect's people were actually released, and they also arrested several people from the Tianyan Dao sect. Who is the Senior they're talking about? Could it be the one who set the questions in the cell? No, I have to tell this to the owner of this garbage right away, or else I will be in trouble. After waiting for those people to walk away, it quickly took a detour and ran back. As soon as I saw Jun Wen, I told him what happened. Although it spoke in a somewhat confusing manner, Jun Wen had been with it for a long time and could pretty much understand it. No wonder it has been several days and I haven't met any other people. I guess most of them have been caught. The person who set the question actually asked the people from Xingya sect to arrest the people from Tianyan Dao sect. What does this mean? Is he trying to test the strength of both parties, or does he have other intentions? No matter what, you have to protect yourself first and then make plans for the next step. He felt that it was much safer to hide in one place than to run around. But this time, the special skills of the mutated burrowing thorn beast come into play. It found a hidden place, quickly dug a cellar, and hid Jun Wen inside. It is an earth-type monster and can easily hide its breath in the soil. 2 hours passed in a blink of an eye. Jun Wen saw that there was no movement outside. Just when he was about to send the mutated burrowing thorn beast out to investigate, he heard voices. Brother Fang, we have searched everywhere but haven't seen anyone from the Tianyan Dao sect. Anyway, we have already captured 8 people, so why don't we go back to the meeting point? Fang Kui said unwillingly, let's look for it again. It would be best if we can find that loser Lu Chi, so that I can vent my anger. Jun Wen thought to himself, I'm buried in the ground, you'll never be able to find me even if you work yourself to death. Fang Kui and his men searched for another hour before leaving. After Jun Wen confirmed that it was safe, he crawled out of the cellar. Mutated digging thorn beast said, I think you should just stay hidden in the cellar. It's not that I look down on you, but with your level of skills, you shouldn't try to be a hero. Because it's easy for a hero to turn into a bear. Jun Wen's face suddenly turned cold. I gave you face, didn't I? Do you want to put me in solitary confinement again? Mutated digging thorn beast, I'm talking about myself. Do you think my thorns look like a bear's? Jun Wen was too lazy to argue with it and he was thinking about what to do next. I don't know how many people were captured by the Xingya sect, and whether there are any who escaped like him. It is best to gather these people together so that you can have the strength to deal with the other side. But this is time-consuming and laborious. What if everyone except him is caught? Wouldn't his work be in vain? Therefore, the best way is to rescue the 8 people captured by Fang Kui. That made 9 of them. Mutated digging thorn beast, you might be. It originally wanted to say, you were dreaming, but thinking of Jun Wen's threat just now, it swallowed it back and changed it too. You're just wishful thinking. There are 7 of them. Jun Wen's eyes fell on the mutant digging thorn beast. I believe you can beat 7 of them. Mutated digging thorn beast. Thank you for thinking highly of me, but it's not necessary. Just when it was about to refuse sternly, Zhang Wen whispered something to it. The mutated burrowing thorn beast rolled its eyes and thought that it was not impossible to do so. You know what, although the useless master can't be compared with the female devil, she is also quite bad. However, there are still risks. It doesn't really want to do it. After Zhang Wen promised a purple beast core, the mutant burrowing thorn beast's eyes became clearer than before. Master, then let's do as you say. Whatever you say is what it means. I can fight for you till the last moment with all the thorns on my body. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1679 Catching the Overwhelming Wealth. After Zhang Wen saw the mutated burrowing thorn beast's behavior of being loyal to its mother as long as it fed him, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Even his strid pet was of the same character as his junior sister's strid pet. What did this mean? This means that he and junior sister are siblings. The mutant digging thorn beast thought that his useless master seemed to have lost his mind. You two are actually siblings, okay. Although many secrets were revealed in the conversation between Fengxi and Zhang Wen, the mutant burrowing thorn beast rationalized them all. So, to this day, it still stubbornly believes that Zhang Wen and Fengxi are siblings. Zhang Wen said Fengxi ranked 6th, but he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. What a clever female devil. There is no problem in ranking 6th. Fengxi occasionally calls him 5th senior brother, and it understands it as 5, as in 250. As for some things that cannot be explained, it selectively skips them. These days, only fools make things difficult for themselves. Zhang Wen discussed the details with the mutant burrowing thorn beast, and then chased in the direction where Fang Kui and the others left. Fang Kui and his men were not in a hurry to travel, and they were escorting 8 people, so they were not moving very fast. They were chatting and laughing on the way, and from time to time they would tease the disciples who were captured. Su Chao, if Lu Yi hadn't been making trouble before, you wouldn't have been able to hold out in the pond for a quarter of an hour. Now you've been captured alive by us. You, the so-called first direct disciple of Tianyan Dao sect, are nothing more than this. Su Chao gritted his teeth and said, if you hadn't outnumbered me and attacked me by surprise, how could I have been caught by you? Fang Kui sneered, you don't think you have a chance of winning if you fight alone. We just don't want to waste time, otherwise I can take care of you by myself. You should thank that senior for keeping you alive, otherwise you would have been dead a long time ago. In fact, Fang Kui said this just to show off his power. Before they came in, the top leaders of Xingyao sect had clearly told them that they could rob or injure the disciples of Tianyan Dao sect, but it was best not to cause any deaths, so as to avoid a bad ending. Su Chao wanted to argue a few more words, but finally swallowed it back. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. No matter how much you say, it will be in vain. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not learning the skills well enough. Seeing that he was silent, Fang Kui was about to provoke him a few more times when he heard his companion shout. Brother Fang, Lu Qi. It's the Lu Qi. Fang Kui looked up and saw someone running away in a hurry in the distance. The back figure did look like Lu Qi. He sneered and said, you keep an eye on the prisoners. I'll go get the bastard. After Fang Kui finished speaking, he quickly chased after him. The remaining disciples of Xingyao sect were not worried at all. After all, in their opinion, Zhang Wen was just a minor deity, and Fang Kui could catch him even with his eyes closed. As for the fact that Zhang Wen had contracted a mutated burrowing thorn beast, they really didn't know about it. After all, who would pay attention to and specifically inquire about the situation of a little god? In fact, even if they knew, they would not take it seriously. Fang Kui is at the 7th level of fusion, and the mutant burrowing thorn beast is at most at the 6th level of fusion. Fang Kui still has the upper hand. As Fang Kui chased him, he wondered how this loser Lu Qi could run so fast. He must have some magical weapon that can improve his physical skills. Thinking of this, greed appeared in his eyes and he quickened his pace again. Seeing that he was getting closer and closer to Zhang Wen, he said wildly, Lu Qi, I advise you to stop and surrender. This way you can suffer less. Zhang Wen panted and said, only a fool would stop. If you have the ability, come and catch me. I don't know if I was distracted while talking, but I stumbled and fell. Fang Kui almost laughed out loud. Trash is trash, how can you fall down while running? He jumped up, trying to get close to Zhang Wen so as to catch him alive, but before his feet touched the ground, a big grey rat crawled out from the ground. All the thorns of the mutant burrowing thorn beast shot towards Fang Kui, and the surrounding ground also generated a huge suction force, making it impossible for Fang Kui to jump up again. Logically speaking, even so, Fang Kui is still capable of fighting, after all, his cultivation level is there. But he couldn't resist Zhang Wen who was shooting at him from behind. Zhang Wen threw out handfuls of talismans. These talismans were tailor-made for him by Fengxi, so that they could be used to cooperate with the mutated burrowing thorn beast. Either reduce the opponent's speed or confuse the opponent's mind. Fang Kui is really unlucky. He never dreamed that someone would throw talismans around like paper money. Except for the vital parts, the body is full of holes. Zhang Wen stepped forward and restrained Fang Kui's spiritual power, and fed him soul-devouring pills and sleeping pills. After making sure that he would not wake up in a short time, he stripped off his outer robe. Zhang Wen dragged Fang Kui to the bushes nearby, put on the outer robe of a disciple of Xingyao sect, gave some instructions to the mutated earth-digging thorn beast, and then returned the same way. Fang Kui's teammates were wondering why senior brother Fang had not returned after being gone for such a long time. Is it necessary to go through so much trouble for that loser Lu Qi? Just as I was thinking about it, I saw Fang Kui galloping towards the side, but soon he turned around and went back. One of the disciples named Wu King was worried and said, I'll go see what's going on. Having said that, he chased in the direction of Fang Kui. Brother Fang, what happened? Wait for me. The more he chased, the faster Fang Kui in front ran. Fortunately, the opponent behind him slowed down, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. When they were less than 10 feet away, Fang Kui suddenly turned around. Wu King was shocked to find that it was not Fang Kui at all, but Lu Qi. Just as he was shocked, the mutated burrowing thorn beast that was lying in ambush underground crawled out, bit his calf with a grunt, and dragged him underground with all its might. Wu King is at the 5th level of fusion, and his combat power is much weaker than Fang Kui. The mutated burrowing thorn beast didn't even use its thorns, and with Zheng Wen's cooperation, it subdued him. The mutant burrowing thorn beast is so beautiful that snot bubbles are coming out. It had been surviving in the secret realm of the heavens before, and people thought its abilities were ordinary, but I didn't expect it to be so powerful. It seems that it underestimated itself before. No wonder the female devil named it Wealth. If the useless owner gets it, isn't it like catching the overwhelming wealth? Zheng Wen also thinks he is great. He is only a little bit behind his junior sister now. Zheng Wen pressed down the corners of his raised mouth with his hands. Fugui, we can't fly away now, there are 5 more over there. I will continue to be the bait, and you prepare for the ambush. The mutant digging thorn beast nodded. Don't worry, our earth-type monsters are best at tricking people. Zheng Wen returned the same way again, turned his back to the people from Xing Yao Sect, and shouted hoarsely, we are in trouble, bring 1 more person. Zheng Wen's original intention was to catch another person, but 2 people came at once. But the arrow is on the string, and we can only move forward. While running, he used his spiritual sense to say to the mutant digging thorn beast, Fugui, here comes a double yolk egg, I believe you can do it. I'm counting on you. Mutated digging thorn beast, a %. Next chapter around 8 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1680 brother, your strength is here. The mutated burrowing thorn beast cursed Zheng Wen in his heart. You're a jerk. You don't even know how to use it as bait. I just defeated 2 powerful enemies, and now I'm forced to fight 2 against 1. You're afraid that I won't die. When it was scratching its head anxiously, Zheng Wen said to it. Put those 2 people in the middle of the road, a little further away. The 2 people chasing us will definitely separate and check. Then we can deal with them one by one. Mutated digging thorn beast. You are really confident in yourself. Just you, and you're fighting 1 alone. Are you dreaming? However, there was no time to waste, so it quickly followed Zheng Wen's instructions and kicked Fang Kui and Wu King to the middle of the road. It's already this late, so of course we should do it as quickly as possible. You know what, the kick was quite accurate and landed in just the right spot. As soon as the mutant burrowing thorn beast hid under Fang Kui, Zheng Wen arrived with the double yolk egg in pursuit. The 2 disciples who followed were named Ren Dachuan and Lin Yu. They had already become suspicious because Zheng Wen never looked back, and he was getting closer, and his figure was different from Fang Kui and Wu King. Seeing Fang Kui and Wu King lying dead on the ground, what else is there to not understand? They were fooled by that loser Lu Qi. Lin Yu, check on brother Fang and Wu King. I'll take care of that useless Lu Qi. Ren Dachuan continued to chase Zheng Wen as he spoke, while Lin Yu bent down to check on Fang Kui's condition. The mutated burrowing thorn beast thought it was really smart. It felt that Fang Kui had the highest cultivation level among these people, and the people who chased after him would definitely check on Fang Kui's condition first. Sure enough, it guessed right. It didn't rush to take action, but waited until Lin Yu was about to release Fang Kui's spiritual power and then suddenly jumped out from the ground. It knew that this situation was more dangerous than the previous 2 times, so it tried its best right from the start. All the thorns in my body shot out. Although it is not very good looking to be bald, I can't care about that at this moment. Anyway, both the useless master and his apprentice are bald, so 1 more won't make a difference. Lin Yu was completely unprepared. Because Zheng Wen had already run far away, there were only 2 of his fellow disciples lying dead on the ground, and no other living creatures were detected. How could he know that there was an Earth-type monster hidden underground? Lin Yu tried his best to protect his vital parts, but there were more holes on his body than Fang Kui. He lost too much blood and fainted. Mutated digging thorn beast. So weak. Or am I really that strong? It was afraid that Lin Yu was not completely unconscious, so it gave him another claw and then ran to find Zheng Wen. With that useless master's cultivation level, if it had gone too late, the grave would probably have been overgrown with grass. What it didn't expect was that when it arrived, Zheng Wen was practicing sword and Ren Dachuan was watching on the side. Mutated digging thorn beast. What's the fuss about? It turned out that after Zheng Wen led Ren Dachuan away for a distance, he stopped and did not run. Hey, I heard that you are very good at swordsmanship. Do you dare to compete with me? Ren Dachuan sneered, just you. Are you worthy enough to compete with me in swordsmanship? If you're afraid, just say you're afraid. Why are you talking so much nonsense? The most brilliant thing about swordsmanship is sword intent, followed by sword momentum. I have already comprehended 18 sword momentums, and the first one I comprehended was the swift sword momentum. Swift sword power sounds like it has something to do with speed, but it's much more than that. Ren Dachuan originally wanted to end the battle quickly, but after listening to Zheng Wen's logical arguments and his unique insights into sword moves, he did not take action. Anyway, Lin Yu was behind him, so it wouldn't hurt him to listen for a while longer. Zheng Wen just talked at first, but later he demonstrated while talking, and Ren Dachuan became even more fascinated. When Zheng Wen saw the mutated burrowing thorn beast coming, he immediately turned the fake move into a real move and stabbed the sword towards Ren Dachuan's throat. Ren Dachuan also discovered the mutated burrowing thorn beast, and thought to himself that something was wrong. No wonder Fang Kui and Wu King were both tricked. It turns out that Lu Qi has a spirit pet. Could it be that Lin Yu was also caught? He had no intention of continuing the fight and just wanted to go back quickly to report the news. It would not be too late to deal with Lu Qi after he reunited with the 3 fellow disciples. Zheng Wen would certainly not let him leave, but Ren Dachuan's situation was different from the other 3. He had taken precautions, so it was not difficult for him to escape. Zheng Wen made up his mind and used the burning blood technique to raise his cultivation to the 3rd level of fusion. Although there is still a gap between him and Ren Dachuan, his advantage in swordsmanship makes up for the shortcomings, not to mention the mutated burrowing thorn beast. With Jun Wen constantly throwing out talismans, he finally captured Ren Dachuan. The mutant digging thorn beast complained to Jun Wen, "You are too impulsive. Although you have caught another one, your cultivation will drop soon. What should we do then?" Jun Wen said coldly, "Stop talking nonsense. Go back and hide these 4 prisoners quickly, and then you can be the bait this time, and find a way to lure the remaining 3 away, so that it will be easier for me to rescue our people. As long as I unlock their spiritual power, the advantage will be on our side." The mutant burrowing thorn beast didn't want to agree, but it also knew that things had developed at this point, so it had no choice but to continue. What's more, Jun Wen changed the reward from 1 beast core to 2. "To make me rich, I'll try my best." It and Jun Wen hid Fang Kui and the other 3 in the bushes, and then the mutated burrowing thorn beast swaggered over to provoke them, while Jun Wen went around behind those people. In order to make the provocation more effective, the mutant burrowing thorn beast asked Jun Wen to give it Fang Kui's clothes to wear. It also learned to walk on 2 legs like humans. The remaining 3 disciples of Xing'ao Sect were shocked when they saw it. "At first glance, I thought my fellow disciple had turned into a monster." The mutated burrowing thorn beast bared its teeth at the 3 people and stretched out its front paws to wave at them. Those 3 disciples were not stupid either. Fang Kui and his men never returned, and now this monster comes to provoke them again. Something must have happened to Fang Kui and his men. But was the one who appeared before Lu Qi? Could it be the transformation of this monster? Out of caution, the 3 decided to act together. So they knocked Su Chao and the others unconscious and rushed up together. The mutated burrowing thorn beast immediately fired its thorns. It originally wanted to scatter flowers like a fairy, but it forgot that it was wearing Fang Kui's clothes, and as a result, the thorns flew out in pieces. "That's fine, but I can't take it back." This scared the mutated burrowing thorn beast to death. It burrowed into the soil and ran away. When the 3 men saw it running away, they immediately turned back and saw Jun Wen, who was about to rescue people. "Jun Wen. It turns out that I am not afraid of godlike opponents, but I'm afraid of pig-like teammates." His cultivation has now dropped to the 3rd level of the Strid transformation realm. No matter how fast he is, he can't escape. Just when he was in despair, a clear voice came from behind him. "Brother, your strength is here." The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1681 Junior sister is here, Zhu Sun abdicates. Jun Wen seemed to hear the sound of nature. It's junior sister. She is his dearest junior sister. His god is coming. He immediately stood up. Even though the 3 people on the opposite side were in the middle stage of fusion, to him they were just 3 heads of garlic, or large cloves at that. "Junior sister is here," Zhu Sun stepped down. The 3 garlics from Xing'ao Gate didn't expect Fang Shi to appear suddenly. They were very curious, where did this Lu Yi come from? Why didn't they see her in the cell before? However, they did not take it to heart. There was no difference at all whether there was 1 or 2 gods. "Lu Yi, you came just in time, otherwise we would have to look for you again. Don't bother us with your actions, just surrender." Jun Wen was about to explain the current situation to Fang Shi, but Fang Shi waved her hand. "Brother, watch the enemy's formation from the back. Once I have dealt with the 3 of them, we can catch up with each other." Fang Shi said as he looked at the 3 people opposite him, "I think each of you 3 is more useless than the other. Come on together, I won't have to worry about anything." The 3 people. One of them stepped forward and sneered, "Lu Yi, you're not afraid of your tongue being blown away by the wind, are you? I can crush you to death with just 1 finger." Fang Shi raised her chin and said, "Do you know what pinching means? It should be at least 2 fingers, right? You don't even know this basic common sense, and you still have the nerve to brag. I was originally going to ask you what your name is, but now it seems there's no need to ask, you're just an idiot." Zhang Ping was furious. "Lu Yi, you are looking for death." As he said this, he swung his sword towards Fang Shi. Then, he found that Fang Shi was missing. "People. What about a big person?" The next moment, Fang Zai's voice sounded behind him, "Looking for me." Zhang Ping jumped forward in fear, and then heard someone behind him say, "Want to dump me? It's not that easy." Zhang Ping felt that he must have seen a ghost. How could Lu Yi, a little spirit, be so fast? He hides, she chases, he can't escape even if he has wings. No matter how Zhang Ping dodged, Fang Shi would appear behind him and chat with him. "Your cultivation level is not good enough. You are the most useless one among the disciples of Xing'ao Sect, right? You are not even qualified to light a fire in our Tianyin Dao Sect. Don't you Xing'ao Sect know the art of astrology? Didn't you figure out that you would be in big trouble if you met me?" Ellipsis. Zhang Ping really couldn't stand this torture anymore, so he didn't run away, he chose to face it bravely. He turned suddenly and stabbed the sword behind him. The result was a lonely stabbing. The next moment, the spiritual power was restrained. Fang Shi kicked him in front of Jun Wen and said, "Tie him up." Jun Wen, "Okay." The remaining 2 people looked at each other, and then attacked at the same time. Fang Shi said with a click of the tongue, "Now you know I'm not someone you can mess with. What were you doing before? If the 3 of you came together, you might be able to hold out for a while, but now there are only 2 of you left, you are no match for me at all." Fang Shi said as he stuffed a pill into his mouth. The effect of this blood-burning technique is really good, but you have to swallow the meridian-connecting pill every once in a while, otherwise your cultivation will regress. Of course, only she dared to do this. Other people's meridians simply could not withstand such torment. In fact, Fang Shi was in pain too, very much. But, I'm used to it. It is better to feel pain than to be controlled by others. While Fang Shi was fighting with the 2 Xing'ao Sect disciples, Jun Wen had already started to rescue Su Chao and others who had been captured. Although Fang Shi looked very relaxed, Jun Wen knew that Fang Shi must have used the burning blood technique, so it would be better not to use this thing if possible. Su Chao and others woke up quickly and were a little confused when they saw the scene in front of them. Some even thought they were already dead, otherwise how could they see such a magical scene? That little god Lu Yi was actually teasing two of Xingya Sect's disciples. Also, Lu Qi saved them. Although Zheng Wen really wanted them to come forward to help, they had all been fed elixirs that restricted their spiritual power. Although Zheng Wen gave them the antidote, they would not be able to recover their fighting power in a short time. Just then, a big bull rat came running from a distance. It also had a person in its mouth. At the same time, the voice of the mutant earth-digging thorn beast sounded in Zheng Wen's sea of consciousness. I'll use this Fang Kui in exchange for you. Zheng Wen, it's your turn, you big-headed ghost. Didn't you see my junior sister is here? Although he said that, Zheng Wen still felt relieved. He thought the mutant burrowing thorn beast was gone forever, but he didn't expect it to come back to save him. The mutated burrowing thorn beast was in a hurry just now and only saw Feng Shi now. Oh my god. Did this female devil fall from the sky? How about it? It says that she is a Mahayana monk, right? It is as expected. The mutated burrowing thorn beast threw Fang Kui aside, collected the thorns that had run away from home, and then joined the battle. It must behave well, otherwise its useless owner might hold it accountable for deserting the battlefield. Being scolded is no big deal, I'm just afraid that the beast core in my mouth will fly away. Feng Shi originally had the upper hand, and now with the help of the mutated burrowing thorn beast, he was even more powerful and quickly subdued the two men. At this time, Su Chao and the others had also recovered some spiritual power and all stood up. Although they were full of questions, there was no doubt that it was the Lu brothers and sisters who saved them, so they all thanked Feng Shi and Zheng Wen. Feng Shi smiled and said, I just took advantage of the situation. The main credit goes to my brother. If he hadn't used the strategy of luring the tiger away from the mountain and subdued Fang Kui and the other three first, I wouldn't have been able to rescue you all so quickly. Zheng Wen was wondering, how did junior sister know that I subdued Fang Kui and the other four? Could it be that she has been watching in secret? He felt warm in his heart, thinking that the junior sister must be protecting me in secret. Junior sister is so nice to me. He was touched in his heart, but said on the surface, little sister, what is the credit or not? We are all from the same school, and I should do this. Su Chao and others were deeply moved. They felt very ashamed when they thought about how they had always looked down on the two little gods in front of them. At this moment, Feng Shi cried out in pain and collapsed to the ground. His forehead was covered with cold sweat and his body was shaking. You heard a cry. Little sister, no wonder your cultivation level suddenly increased so much just now. Did you burn several meridians? Elder Bian has repeatedly stressed that when using the burning blood technique, no more than 30% of the tendons and veins should be used. Why don't you listen? He stuffed pills into Feng Shi's mouth while scolding her, his eyes reddened. Su Chao and others then discovered that Feng's eyes clothes were stained with blood. They originally thought it was the blood of the three people from Xingya Sect, but now they saw that it was her blood. Thinking about what Zheng Wen said about the burning blood technique, what else is there to not understand? In order to save them, Lu Yi risked burning far more than 30% of her tendons and veins, which resulted in her being seriously injured. She is risking her life to save them. Their eyes were red as they took out rare treasures and pills and handed them to Zheng Wen, asking him to give them to Feng Shi. Zheng Wen. He also saved people, so although Su Chao and the others were very grateful to him, it was at most just a favor. But they seemed to be deeply moved by the junior sister. What exactly is his difference? Next chapter around 11 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1682, the total evolution technique is so terrifying. The mutated burrowing thorn beast immediately gave the answer. Because she looks worse than you. You are unscathed, but the woman, the immortal woman, is covered in blood. If I were her, I would also think she is greater. Zheng Wen. What a female fairy. At this moment, he remembered that there were three captives in the distance, so he quickly asked Su Chao to take two people to bring Fang Kui and the others over. When Su Chao and the others saw the miserable state of Fang Kui and the others, their eyes all fell on the mutated burrowing thorn beast. Because Fang Kui and the others had holes all over their bodies, it was obvious that they were done by the mutated burrowing thorn beasts. They had heard before that Lu Qi had adopted a spirit pet, but they didn't take it too seriously. Because generally speaking, the cultivation level of a spirit pet will be limited by that of its master. Lu Qi is just a minor deity, and his spirit pet is not that powerful. Now it seems that they took it for granted. The mutated burrowing thorn beast is floating. How much it loves this kind of attention. It felt a little regretful. If it weren't for that tattered robe, it would definitely be more glorious than it is now. It silently made up its mind that it would never wear clothes again. At this time, Fang Kui and the others also woke up. Feng Shi asked someone to feed them bleeding-stopping pills. Feng Shi looked weak and half dead. Tell me, why did you arrest people from our Tianyan Dao sect? Fang Kui sneered, you think you are qualified to interrogate me? Don't even think about getting anything out of me. Before Feng Shi could say anything, the mutated burrowing thorn beast gave Fang Kui a claw. When the devil girl asks you a question, you just need to answer it properly. Why are you talking nonsense? If it didn't want more people to know that it can speak human language, it would have taught him a lesson. Feng Shi still looked as if he couldn't bear to live, but the words he spoke were sharper than a sword. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. As a prisoner, what qualifications do you have to say whether you deserve it or not? You don't want to say anything, so just be mute. Brother, cut off his tongue. Without saying a word, Zheng Wen took out a dagger from his storage ring, asked Su Chao to help, grabbed Fang Kui's tongue and was about to cut it. Fang Kui was scared to death. He would rather die than surrender, but he doesn't want to have his tongue cut off. Besides, it's not a secret, and there's no need for him to become mute over it. But now his tongue was grabbed and he can speak even if he wanted to. Fortunately, Feng Shi said at this time, brother, he said he has given up, so don't cut it for now. Zheng Wen and Su Chao then let go. Fang Kui didn't dare to question Feng's eyes words and said that he didn't say that at all. He moved his tongue, which was almost cut off, and told the whole story. Several other disciples of Xingya Sect. What do you want? It would have been better if I had asked you just now and you had told me. Apart from that, they were somewhat fortunate that Lu Yi did not choose them, otherwise they would have to be tough for the sake of face. After listening to Fang Kui's words, Fang Shi asked him, why did the jailer ask you to arrest people from our Tianyan Dao sect? Fang Kui. Prison boss. Well, that's true. He immediately said, isn't this obvious? He wants to see who is more powerful, our Xingya sect or your Tianyan Dao sect's direct disciple. Fang Shi, you have more people and you are taking us by surprise. As long as you are not too stupid, you can catch us all. Is there any point in this investigation? Fang Kui and others. You sound like you're calling us stupid. And it's stupid. Well, we were indeed stupid, and were tricked by two little gods. At this time, Su Chao asked Fang Shi, Junior Sister Lu, what do you think the prison boss's intention is? Fang Shi shook her head. I don't know, maybe he just wants to have some fun, or maybe he wants to make us enemies. There is another possibility, he doesn't want us to get the chance to dig up too many natural treasures here, so he wants us to kill each other and have no time to take care of these things. Fang Shi said this and looked at Fang Kui and the others. So, you guys are so stupid. Why do you have to do what he says? You can definitely form an alliance with our Tianyan Dao sect, and then focus on finding rare treasures and opportunities. No matter what the jailer decides, we can just split it up after we get out, right? Now, you've wasted your time trying to catch people, and you didn't get anything out of it, right? Not to mention us in the Tianyan Dao sect, we will definitely get nothing. In the end, both of us got nothing except injuries and resentment. As soon as she said this, both the people from Xingya sect and Tianyan Dao sect were shocked. Don't say it, it seems to be true. At this time, Fang Kui raised questions. If the other party just wanted to prevent us from getting the opportunity, why not just lock us up in jail? Why bother with this? Fang Shi said slowly. Maybe I can't keep him locked up forever. It's just a chubby cell, I just walked out casually. It's a pity that I didn't know you were also locked up in there, otherwise I would have gone to rescue you. Fang Kui and others. Just blow it. There were so many of us, and we tried so many ways but couldn't open the cell, and you just walked out by yourself. Who believes it? In fact, Fang Shi was telling the truth, the absolute truth. Before that, she took advantage of the time when the Star Key and Star Lock were hitting Palace Master Cow, and the cricket pupa entered the barrier. When she regained her sight, she found herself locked in a cell. She felt quite friendly. This is the third time she has been put in jail. The first time was in the dark prison, the second time was in the netherworld purgatory of the Wango Immortal Sect, and now it is the third time. The only bad thing was that there seemed to be only one cell, and she was the only one in it. There was no way she could relive her old dream of being a prison bully. She walked around the cell and then yelled, is anyone there? Is anyone there? Is anyone there? I shouted several times, but there was no response. Fang Shi decided to have a fortune-telling. After all, she is now considered a professional with a skill, so it's not in vain. She immediately took out the tortoise shell of the Golden Gang Fantasy Ruins turtle, and began to roast it with spiritual flames, mumbling to herself. Boom. After a loud bang, Fang Shi found that he was no longer in the cell. It is worthy of being carefully selected by our ancestors. The turtle evolution technique is so terrifying. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1683. Will she be called Feng'er in the future? When Fang Shi was sighing with emotion, he found that the shell of the Jingang Wangsu turtle had grown onto his back again. She quickly took out a mirror and twisted it left and right. The more she looked at it, the more she liked it. Commander Lu. I don't know how your aesthetic sense became so distorted. Not to mention you, a little girl, even an old man wouldn't want to carry a turtle shell on his back. Master, you don't understand. With this thing, I will no longer be attacked from all sides. Commander Lu. Just as he was speechless, there was a bang and the turtle shell on Fang Shi's back fell to the ground. Fang Shi's face was filled with heartache. I thought it really grew this time, but it turned out to be a one-time thing. As she put the tortoise shell into her storage ring, she asked Commander Lu. Master, why is it that every time I read my fortune, this turtle shell grows on my back? Commander Lu was silent for a moment. I guess it's afraid that you'll be killed by your own explosion. Fang Shi. Don't say it yet, don't say it yet. Maybe it's true. If that's the case, this turtle shell is pretty good, it knows how to protect its owner. She immediately praised the turtle shell. No matter whether this thing has intelligence or not, the emotional value it deserves must be given. And give enough. After praising the turtle shell, she thought about her next plan. This dojo appears to be quite large. If she wanders around like a headless fly, she would easily be encountered by people from the Xingya sect. Therefore, the most urgent task is to refine the meridian connecting elixir so that we can be prepared for any eventuality. After making up her mind, she found a hidden cave and prepared to refine the meridian connecting pill. She was afraid that the smell of the medicine would attract monsters or people from the Xingya sect, so she activated the isolation array in advance. Not only that, she also released the golden pig and let it stand guard outside. Among the four fierce beasts, the most ambitious one is the golden pig. In order to be able to see the light, it evolved its image from a pig to a dog. Fang Shi felt that there was actually no difference. Whether it was a pig or a dog, they were all shadows and would still make people think of her. However, it is no problem to use it for keeping watch. The golden pig is quite satisfied with his new image. Pigs and dogs are family. The unscrupulous owner lets it guard the door, so it is definitely a watchdog. After Fang Shi was ready, he immediately began to try to refine the meridian connecting pill. The first batch failed. The second batch was successful and was also of top quality. Fang Shi boasted as usual, and Commander Lu was already numb to it. If you want to talk, go ahead. I will just ignore it. Fang Shi felt that the meridian connecting pill was a consumable, so he refined several hundred of them in one go. Commander Lu. Who would treat this thing as a consumable? After Fangxi finished refining the elixir, he released the little black ball and let it absorb all the medicinal fragrance in the cave. Little black ball is quite willing to do this job now, because Fangxi never lets it do it in vain. So, there will be people rushing to do any job, provided that the pay is sufficient. After Fangxi finished refining the elixir, he felt it necessary to practice the turtle evolution technique again. There's no one here anyway, so it's okay to blow up a few more pits. She first spent a day reviewing the knowledge of turtle evolution technique, and then began her prelude to exploding the turtle shell. Let me put it this way, there are pits everywhere within a radius of dozens of miles. Fangxi felt that she didn't understand, she really didn't understand. The spiritual flame uses pure spiritual power and is not mixed with the power of time. How could it explode? The sheep master is called Gu Liang Jia, will she be called Fang Jia in the future? It would be great if her last name was Wang Jia. How domineering. Commander Lu said to her. Your thinking is wrong. The turtle evolution technique will cause fluctuations in the surrounding time force. What you need to do is to weaken the fluctuations in the time force of the turtle evolution technique, not simply output spiritual power. Fang's eyes lit up. How to reduce it? Commander Lu, I don't know. Fangxi. She decided to fight fire with fire. She used the power of time to raise flames to burn the turtle shell to see what would happen. You know what? The rising flames of the power of time glowed faintly blue, which looked quite beautiful. Just as she was sighing with emotion, there was a loud bang. Then, she knew nothing. When Fangxi woke up again, she found that the place was no longer there. She found that the turtle shell had grown on her back again. It seems that her previous guess was correct, this thing was meant to protect her. Sure enough, the turtle shell soon fell to the ground. Fangxi had just put away the turtle shell when he noticed someone approaching from a distance. Although her cultivation level is not high, her spiritual awareness is strong and she can keenly perceive the situation around her. She quickly hid her body and activated a breath-suppressing talisman. As luck would have it, it was Fang Kui and his group who came. Fangxi roughly guessed what happened from their conversation. She was not in a hurry to save people. She planned to go to the gathering place of Xingyamen to take a look and then make plans. But she didn't expect to meet Zhang Wen. She was observing secretly, on the one hand to protect him, and on the other hand she wanted to see how Zhang Wen performed. She felt relieved. Although some problems occurred later, it was generally okay, which showed that her words and deeds over the years were worth it. Commander Lu. People know that you two are senior and junior brothers and sisters, but those who don't know would think you are his master. Later, when Zhang Wen was in danger, she made a grand appearance. Of course, there is no need to tell Fang Kui and others about this. She said to Fang Kui and the others, I'll give you two choices. First, continue to be our captives, and then we'll use you to exchange for our people. Second, you form an alliance with us and convince the remaining people, and then we two factions will work hand in hand to look for opportunities. As for the prison boss, if he has good intentions, he won't do anything to us. If he has bad intentions, there will be no good results whether you listen to him or not. So, there is no need to pay any attention to him. Do you choose one or two? Fang Kui and the others felt that what Fangxi said made sense. Of course, the most important thing is that they don't want to be captured. They had been sarcastic and mocking towards Su Chao and his men before, and even kicked them from time to time. Now it was their turn to be captured. How could anything go well? As for whether I can convince others later, we'll talk about it when the time comes. So, after briefly weighing the pros and cons, they chose to form an alliance. Fangxi nodded. Come on, come here. Brother, take a picture for us. Zhang Wen immediately took out the photo stone and said, smile. Everyone, smile. Fang Kui, I'm talking to you, baring your teeth. Fang Kui, baring teeth.jpg. Next chapter around 10 o'clock. Is a real dog. Chapter 1684 patching and cursing. After taking the photo, Fangxi explained. Don't worry, I don't have any other intentions. I'm just worried that when I meet your fellow disciples in the future, they will misunderstand me. Fang Kui and others. Are you afraid they might misunderstand you? Fangxi waved at the mutant burrowing thorn beast and said, Fugui, come here and be my mount. The mutated burrowing thorn beast came running over. Not only did it turn its thorns into long grey hair, it also lay on the ground to make it easier for Fangxi to sit on its back. It can be said that flattery and diligence are interpreted to the extreme. Fang Kui and the others thought, isn't this mutant earth-digging thorn beast Lu Qi's pet? Why does it seem to listen to Lu Yi more? Fangxi asked Zhang Wen to sit on Fugi's back as well, and then said to Fang Kui, lead the way. What could Fang Kui do but lead the way obediently? But he was not convinced in his heart. He felt that the reason he ended up in this situation was because he underestimated his enemy. If he had been prepared, there was no way he would have been defeated by Lu Qi. As for Lu Yi, it was just because she used the burning blood technique. It's not a real skill. Several other people from Xingyao Gate thought so too. Fangxi guessed what they were thinking, but was too lazy to pay attention. After all, she is now a weak patient who cannot take care of herself. Too strong, not good. After a while, it got dark. There happened to be a cave nearby, so everyone decided to spend the night there. Zhang Wen organized the people from Xingyao Sect and Tianyan Dao Sect into cross teams and then took turns on duty. After making all the arrangements, he then sat beside Fangxi and meditated. The mutant burrowing thorn beast said to him with its spiritual sense, Master, the two beast cores we agreed on before, is it time to give them to me? Zhang Wen said coldly, how dare you mention those two beast cores? If my junior sister hadn't arrived in time, I might have died. The mutant digging thorn beast said with some guilt. Isn't this an emergency? You know, my biggest reliance is these thorns. If I can't take them back, I can only run. If I stay here, I will die with you. It is better to bring Fang Kui to exchange for you, so that we can both survive. Jian Wen snorted coldly. If you hadn't brought Fang Kui here, do you think you could still be here and ask for favors from me? Forget it, considering your overall performance is not bad. Here, I'll give it to you. Jian Wen said as he gave the mutant burrowing thorn beast a purple beast core and a red beast core. The mutated burrowing thorn beast grumbled in its heart. It was clearly agreed that there would be 2 purple beast cores, but in the end they were shrunk. But it didn't dare say it. Because I'm afraid that after I say it, nothing will happen. At the same time, someone with a sword was very unhappy. Mu Jian felt that his limelight had been stolen by the mutated burrowing thorn beast. Even though this dog is the pet of that idiot Jian Wen, it hangs around in front of its unscrupulous master from time to time, just like a mistress. What an eyesore. It wanted to report the crime, but after thinking for a long time, it couldn't find a point to report it. We can only give up temporarily. Humph, Xiao Guzi, just wait for me. Then, Mu Jian shifted his attention to the shell of the Jinggang Wangsu turtle. The owner has praised it a lot these past 2 days, so it is also a potential object of favor. The owner even praised this thing for being pretty, so why didn't it notice what was pretty about it? I guess the owner is just lying to fool the dog. The wooden sword was quite mean. It poked the turtle shell a few times stealthily, but it didn't move. It immediately came up with bad intentions and urged the little turtle to change its shell. Little turtle, peel off your own shell, and put this turtle shell on you while your flesh and blood are still warm. Maybe it will stick to you. Little tortoise. Is this what you call human language? Oh, yes, it's dirty talk. Seeing that the little turtle refused to listen, Mu Jian instigated the little fat bird to burn the shell of the golden Gang Wangsu turtle, saying that only in this way could the uniqueness of your Nirvana fire be reflected. The little fat bird didn't even roll its eyes at it, just thought it was puffing. The wooden sword set its sights on the dead branches again. The wooden sword was jumping around happily when it was locked in the coffin by the black and white jade sips. Wooden sword. I didn't provoke you, did I? Are you guys going a bit too far? Master, save me, save me, save me. Fang Shi didn't hear Mu Jian's cry for help, and even if she had heard it, she wouldn't have saved him. Because every time the wooden sword is locked in the coffin, it will make progress. This may be its unique way of learning. She was pondering the art of turtle evolution. It seems that fighting poison with poison is not a good idea, and the explosion is more powerful. However, this did give her a new idea. From now on, if she is surrounded and all other methods fail, she can just take out the turtle shell and blast it. Anyway, she has a tortoise shell to protect her body, so it would be a waste not to explode. She suddenly understood. I feel like I have opened the door to a new world. Commander Lu, I advise you to give up this unrealistic idea. The tortoise shell has a limit to its endurance. You have blown it up so many times. It may be on the verge of breaking. It may crack at any time. Fang Shi thought so too and decided to study the turtle evolution technique carefully. How can we resolve the fluctuations in the power of time caused by the turtle evolution technique? Unfortunately, I thought about it until midnight but couldn't come up with any result. Plus, I was so sleepy and tired that I fell into a deep sleep. She fell asleep, but the 5 dog spread roots in her danshan were not idle, helping her repair her meridians. While mending it, he cursed. You always complain that we eat too much, but why don't you say anything when we're working? Do you think that taking some of that crappy meridian connecting pill can keep your tendons and veins from getting damaged at all? Don't we have to fix it in the end? In the past, he was struck by lightning in the Juyu continent and bled. Now he is using the blood-burning technique to burn his meridians like firewood. Who in their right mind would torture their tendons and veins like this? They're so unlucky to have such a bad owner. Fortunately, after arriving at the Tiang continent, they were not struck by lightning, otherwise they would be even more upset. When the people in the cave fell asleep, the 2 people on duty outside were staring at each other. I don't know if Jian Wen did it on purpose to put Fang Kui and Su Chao in the same group. The 2 disliked each other. If looks could kill, they would have died together long ago. The 2 glared at each other for a moment, then looked away, as if they would be poisoned if they stared at each other any longer. I don't know how much time had passed, but a cool breeze blew by and both of them shivered. He suddenly looked up and looked forward, his eyes widened immediately. 2 people appeared in front of them, and it was them. It's just that the 2 men were fighting at this time, and every move was aimed at the other's life. Fang Kui thought he might be hallucinating, and didn't care about whether he liked it or not. He asked Su Chao, did you see it? Then, are we the 2? Su Chao also stammered, look, I see it, this is an illusion, right? Fang Kui was speechless. How can 2 people fall into the same illusion? Quick, wake him up, there must be something fishy. Upon hearing this, Su Chao wanted to go in and report the news, but Fang Kui pulled his sleeve and said, let's go in together. Su Chao. Where is the pride that you call the Xingyao sect's authentic teaching? Broken bones. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1685 Is this the gap between dreams and reality? Fang Kui no longer cared about his pride or not, he was extremely scared. He is not afraid if it comes to real fighting. The key point is what the hell is the thing in front? It's so scary. How could there be another him? It feels like looking into a mirror. The 2 men came in without deliberately slowing down their steps, so everyone in the cave woke up. Fang Kui lowered his voice and said, it's haunted. There's a haunted place outside. Everyone. You look like a ghost to me. Fang Shi asked him sleepily, is it a male ghost or a female ghost? Fang Kui. Your focus is always so different. It's hard to explain it in 1 or 2 sentences. You will know when you go out and see it. So everyone left the cave. Seeing the scene in front of them, everyone's eyes widened. Even Fang Kui and Su Chao are the same. Originally when they entered, there was only one pair of fake Fang Kui and Su Chao, but now there are 8 pairs. The situations of these 8 pairs are all different. Some fought with swords, some dueled with magic, some negotiated with a cold face, and one side knelt down and begged for mercy. The most outrageous thing is that there was a couple holding hands, as if they were in love. Everyone's eyes fell on Fang Kui and Su Chao, who were holding hands. Fang Kui and Su Chao were so furious. What sin had they committed to deserve such humiliation? If the scene before them hadn't been so bizarre, they would have definitely gone up and killed themselves with their own hands. After being stunned, everyone started discussing the matter. What's going on here? Is this an illusion? It's definitely not an illusion. We can't all be trapped in an illusion, right? Then what's going on? How come so many Fang Kui and Su Chao suddenly appeared out of nowhere? Ellipsis. Zhang Wen remembered something when he saw this scene. Before, when he was in the demon realm, he and Fangxi entered the blood family secret realm for trials, and he had seen himself at a point in the future. He still remembered how stunning his sword was. With one swipe of the sword, the huge mountain was split in half. With one strike of the sword, the river water stopped flowing instantly. With a slash of sword, a crack appeared on the ground. It was because of seeing this scene that he gave himself the reputation of a gentleman whose sword is famous throughout the world. By the way, he remembered that his mount at that time was a golden-haired Suani. How come it has turned into a big grey rat now? Is this the gap between dreams and reality? The mutated burrowing thorn beast automatically filtered out other information and only paid attention to the long grey hair that Zhang Wen disliked. It thought to itself, this useless owner has such poor taste. Gold is so earthy. Grey is still advanced. At this time, Zhang Wen said, do you think these scenes actually happened in different timelines? For example, in a certain timeline, maybe we were not imprisoned by that prison boss, and when senior brother Fang Kui and senior brother Su Chao met, they might fight or negotiate with each other. Someone asked weakly, is it possible for them to fall in love? Fang Kui and Su Chao both glared at the person who spoke. This damn tacit understanding. Zhang Wen coughed twice. Maybe the two brothers are acting, or maybe they were poisoned. In short, there must be a reason, otherwise it wouldn't be like this. Fang Kui and Su Chao suddenly felt that Zhang Wen's image was extremely majestic. That's what a human being would say. Everyone felt that what Zhang Wen said made sense and they all agreed. Zhang Wen felt quite proud. I guess his brain is almost the same as my junior sister's now. It can be described as wise. He was feeling proud when Fangxi said, brother, if only 1 or 2 situations occur, it is indeed possible that different timelines are presented. But it is unlikely that 8 timelines will appear at the same time. In addition, have you noticed that although the 2 people here look very similar to the 2 senior brothers, they are only similar in appearance, and their expressions are a little stiff. Also, they were in exactly the same environment. How could it be such a coincidence that they met in the same place in different timelines? Even the folds of their clothes were the same. How can this be? After listening to it, everyone took a closer look and found that it was exactly as Fangxi said. At first glance, Fang Kui and Su Chao in the 8 situations did look very similar. But if you look closely, there are some discrepancies in the expressions and subtle movements. The surrounding environment and the folds of the clothes were indeed almost exactly the same as Fangxi said. This was too ridiculous. Zhang Wen's little tail, which had just been raised, drooped again. It seems he still has to work harder. He scratched his head and said, little sister, what do you think is going on? Fangxi glanced at the 8 scenes and said, I think it may be related to deduction. Perhaps there is a remnant of a certain Tianyan master here. After seeing the 2 brothers Fang Kui and Su Chao, he made a deduction. I have to say that the senior's deduction skills are very superb. Even if it is just a regret, he can deduce so many possibilities, which is really admirable. Unfortunately, he may not want to show up in person, so we can't get to see him in person, which is really a pity. If we can get his guidance, we will definitely benefit a lot, and our life will not be in vain. Fang Kui and others. What you said at the beginning made sense, but what you said later was all nonsense. How come we have lived this life in vain? To be honest, it was Zhang Wen who guessed Fang Zai's intention immediately. When he was about to agree with her, he heard someone burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, you were quite insightful, little girl. Now tell me which of my deductions is correct. Everyone wanted to follow the voice to find the person who was speaking, but the voice seemed to come from all directions. After searching for a long time, everyone still couldn't find the person who was speaking. Fangxi said calmly, Senior, I don't need the tortoise shell technique or the astrological technique to answer the question you asked. I can give you the answer right now. Oh, tell me. Fangxi glanced at Zhang Wen. Zhang Wen immediately grabbed Su Chao with one hand and Fang Kui with the other, and then put their hands together. Fangxi curled her lips. Senior, look. Isn't this the answer? The next chapter will probably be at 12 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1686. Aren't they going to advance to the realm of refining emptiness? After a moment of dead silence, the voice laughed again. As he laughed, the 8 scenarios vanished. Are you practicing the art of turtle evolution or the art of astrology? Fangxi said respectfully, I am practicing the art of turtle evolution. Looking at your age, you probably haven't been practicing for long. I won't make it difficult for you. Now use the turtle evolution technique to calculate whether the number of mountains in this dojo is odd or even. If the calculation is correct, I will give you an opportunity. If I'm wrong, you all should stay and spend the endless years with me. Fangxi, Senior, I was seriously injured when I used the burning blood technique before, so it is not suitable for me to deduce it for the time being. How about changing someone? The voice sneered, I saw you were alive and well, I didn't see where you were seriously injured. Stop talking nonsense here, if you don't count, then I will treat you as if you miscalculated. Fangxi felt a little annoyed. She was so busy flattering others that she forgot to maintain her image as a weak and helpless person. It seems her acting skills still need to be improved. However, she felt that even if she was really injured, that person would still let her count. There's no way around it, she's the center of attention wherever she goes, even ghosts are unconsciously attracted to her. Commander Lu. If you have this much free time, you might as well figure out how to calculate the correct answer. Fang Shi slowly took out the shell of the golden gang Wangsu turtle, but she did not use spiritual power to roast it. Want to ask why? She is afraid of explosion. It doesn't matter whether they're famous or not, she is just afraid that she might accidentally send all these people away. She took out a wine gourd from her storage ring and poured the wine on the turtle shell, muttering to herself. His fingers were still drawing on the turtle shell. After doing all this, she closed her eyes and counted, and her fingers almost broke off. After a moment, he opened his eyes and said with certainty, "Odd number." The voice was silent for a moment. "You calculated wrong. It's an even number." Fang Shi curled her lips. "Senior, you are so uncivilized. How can you lie? If you feel lonely, just tell me and I will pick 2 people for you. Fang Kui and others. Isn't she going to send our Xingyamen people out? But, did she really figure it out? Why is her turtle evolution technique different from Elder Gu Liang's?" The voice was a little annoyed. "If I say an even number, it means an even number." Fang Shi said slowly, "Are you sure? Is it really an even number?" "It's natural." The next moment, Fang Shi pointed at the turtle shell. "Can you see what's written on it?" When everyone looked over, they saw 2 words clearly written on the tortoise shell. Fang Shi smiled and said, "Senior, I didn't say that the number I calculated was an odd number. I just said the word odd, and you mistakenly thought that was the result of my calculation. The real answer is here. Since I calculated correctly, please fulfill your promise." There was another moment of dead silence. Immediately afterwards, a strong wind blew up from the flat ground, with sand and stones flying everywhere, making it impossible for people to open their eyes. Just when Fang Kui and the others thought that the person who spoke would be furious, the voice said, "Well, since you've calculated correctly, I'll give you an opportunity. As for whether you can get it, that depends on your ability." As soon as he finished speaking, the scene in front of Fang Shi and others changed. They were now sitting cross-legged on a towering square. There is a spirit gathering formation in the square, and the spiritual energy is very rich. Even the bluestone slabs on the ground are carved with exquisite patterns. What a luxury. As she was looking around, a high platform suddenly appeared in front of her. There was an old man sitting cross-legged on it, his voice like a loud bell. What is enlightenment? It is not to sit in seclusion or study books, but to travel between heaven and earth, observe all things, and understand oneself. Fang Shi felt like he was listening to a divine book. Zheng Wen is not as good as her. I'm feeling a bit sleepy. On the other hand, Fang Kui, Su Chao and others were fascinated by what was said and absorbed it as soon as they saw it. Fang Shi was very envious and jealous. She clearly fought for this opportunity, but in the end she and 5th brother were just here for show. Don't you think it's infuriating? It would be such a waste to come here for nothing. Otherwise, just pry 2 bricks back. Commander Lu, this is obviously an illusion. It's useless to try to pry it open. It's just embarrassing. Fang Shi just said this, and she didn't really intend to pry open other people's blue bricks. She just felt that she was at a great loss. She pondered for a while and her eyes lit up. The old man on the platform spoke for half an hour, and then asked the disciples below to comprehend. Fang Shi raised his little paw. Master, I have something important to tell you." The old man. Fang Shi didn't care about his reaction and trotted up to him. With a look of admiration, he asked, "Master, can we talk for a moment?" Old man, okay. Fang Shi led the old man to a corner of the square, and then lowered his voice and said, "Master, you told me before that there are many valuable things buried under this square. Can you please tell me which brick contains the treasure?" The old man was stunned for a moment, then said, "There is something buried under every blue brick with an eyeless blue phoenix carved on it." Fang Shi. She just felt that this illusion must be based on the real scene in the dojo, so she wanted to take a gamble. And since it's an illusion, if she calls the other person, Master, the other person will follow this logic. If she could get the answer, and if she could find the ruins of the square, then she would make a fortune. I didn't expect that I would actually ask this question. She bowed respectfully to the old man. "Thank you, Master." Commander Lu. On the one hand, he was shocked that Fang Shi actually figured out the location of the treasure, and on the other hand, he was shocked that his master was worthless. Looking across the Tiang continent and the Juyu continent, is there anyone like her who would take everyone she meets as her master? This is too fickle. The old man might have followed the plot and really regarded Fang Shi as his apprentice. He even touched her head and said to her, "Don't think about treasures all the time. Only the skills you have learned are real treasures. Go and gain enlightenment." Fang Shi said with sparkling eyes, "Master, the Tao you taught us is to follow the will of heaven, but I want to cultivate my own Tao. I am my own Tao, so I don't need to understand it at all." Everything before their eyes turned into nothingness at that moment. Fang Kui and the others were all excited. They realized the truth and they really made a fortune this time. This is all thanks to Lu Yi. If it weren't for her cleverness, they would never have this opportunity. Thinking of this, everyone turned to look at Fang Shi, only to see her standing there in a daze, and then a look of sudden enlightenment appeared on her face. She had been thinking wrong before. Always thinking about enlightenment. What the hell? She is her own Tao. Does she still need to understand her own Tao? She can go wherever she wants. The next moment, a bright light shone from her body, and she entered a state of ecstasy. Zheng Wen was just about to protect Fang Shi, when the next moment, he once again stepped onto that familiar flower-filled road, only this time it was wider and longer than before. Fang Kui and others were very shocked. Could it be that the Lu brothers and sisters are about to advance to the realm of refining emptiness? Although advancing to the void refining stage was not a rare thing for them, wasn't the Lu brothers and sisters making such a fuss too big? Could it be the heavenly grade refining void? If it were before today, they would definitely be envious, jealous and resentful, and might even cause trouble. But now, although they were envious, jealous and resentful in their hearts, they spontaneously protected Fengxi and Zhongwen. The people from Tianyandao Sect came here because Fengxi and Zhongwen saved their lives, while the people from Xingyao Sect were very impressed by Fengxi's performance just now. There is no other reason, only people with strength can be respected. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1687. She is ambitious. As time went by, more and more spiritual energy gathered around Fengxi and Zhongwen. Gradually, a ball of spiritual energy formed, like a huge cocoon. Even Fang Kui and the others who were guarding the area were enveloped by the rich spiritual energy. They had already gained some insights in the illusion before, and now they had absorbed a large amount of spiritual energy. Some of them advanced one after another. No one knew how much time had passed before the spiritual energy gradually dissipated. Fang Kui and the others were overjoyed. Originally they thought that entering the illusion and listening to the Dharma was already a great opportunity, but they didn't expect there would be a surprise. Who understands the joy of a double yolk egg? They all looked at Fengxi and Zhongwen, who was still meditating with their eyes closed. I don't know if it's a psychological effect, but they think the Lu brothers and sisters are very pleasing to the eye. Look at how good looking this brother and sister are, with a nose, a mouth and 2 eyes, not one more and one less. At this time, Zhongwen was struggling in a small puddle. Of course, to him, this is the vast ocean. Just when he thought he was about to drown, something pulled him out of the water. When he wanted to take a closer look, his consciousness was startled and he returned to reality. He opened his eyes blankly and found Fengxi still meditating, while Fang Kui and others were grinning at him, looking at him as if he were the god of wealth. Before he could react, Fang Kui said, "Congratulations to Junior Brother Lu for successfully advancing to the second level of refining void." Su Chao also hurriedly said, "Junior Brother Lu, I thought that with your talent you would soar to the sky sooner or later, and now I see that it is indeed true. Junior Brother Lu, your future is limitless." Others also came over to congratulate him, each saying something nicer than the last. "Zhongwen, have you been possessed? However, this is not important. The important thing is, he is now at the second level of refining void. It turns out that taking advantage of others is the right path. He has already reached the second level of the void refining realm, so junior sister must be able to reach the third level, or even the fourth level, in no time." Just as he was full of anticipation, Fengxi also ended his meditation. Fang Kui and others suddenly widened their eyes. Am I seeing right? The seventh level of the void refining stage. He advanced to the seventh level of the void refining stage all of a sudden. This is like a joke. Even if it's a heavenly grade refining void, this is too exaggerated. Ellipsis. When everyone was in disbelief, something even more surprising happened. Feng's eyes cultivation level suddenly dropped from the seventh level of refining void to the first level of refining void, then suddenly dropped to the fifth level of refining void, and then to the third level of refining void. Everyone watched helplessly as Feng's eyes cultivation level went up and down. It was such a mess. A quarter of an hour later, he finally stabilized at the first level of Liangsu. Zhongwen thought, damn it. He, who had just joined the group, had reached the second level of the refining void realm, but his junior sister was only at the first level. She must have pink eye. At this time, Fang Kui and others came forward to congratulate Fengxi on his advancement. Fengxi stood up, smiled and said a few polite words, then pretended to suddenly realize that their cultivation had also improved, and led the topic to them. Everyone expressed their gratitude to Fengxi. Fengxi waved her hand and said, "Since it is an opportunity, it will come to those who are destined to have it. Our meeting is also part of the opportunity. We have achieved each other, and there is no question of who should thank whom. Everyone now has a better impression of her. In the darkness of the night, the little girl exudes the light of humanity, making people unable to take their eyes off her." Little did they know that someone was doubting his life at this moment. "Master, why am I only at the first level of refining void, while senior brother 5 has advanced to the second level of refining void? Am I too cute, or am I not stupid enough? Commander Lu, I've said before that because Zhongwen took advantage of your path, it's hard to judge your level of cultivation. In other words, your first level of Liangsu is just an appearance, and your actual level should be higher than this." Fengxi felt relieved immediately. Who doesn't have a little jealousy? No, she is ambitious. I'm asking for leave. That's all for today. See you tomorrow. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1688. I haven't realized anything. I'm just lucky. When everyone was talking and laughing, a discordant voice sounded. You are just a bunch of trash. What is there to be proud of? The person who spoke was the old man who had asked Fengxi to count odd and even numbers before. This time there was not only a sound, but also a shadow appeared. Fengxi took a look and saw that it was the old man who was preaching in the illusion. She hurried forward and bowed respectfully. Greetings, master. Old man. When he thought about being led around by the nose by the yellow-haired girl in front of him in the illusion, he became furious. Who is your master? Stop trying to make connections here. Let me ask you, what did you mean when you said you were cultivating your own path in the illusion? Fengxi smiled and said, Master, look at the way you ask this question. Doesn't everyone cultivate his own path? Old man. Seeing that Fengxi was not slipping away, he turned to ask Zhongwen, why did you suddenly advance to the second level of Liangsu? What did you realize? Zhongwen thought to himself, I haven't realized anything, I'm just lucky. He felt that it would be too painful to tell the truth, so he said, I have come to realize that enlightenment cannot be achieved by sitting in seclusion or studying books, but by traveling between heaven and earth, observing all things, and realizing oneself. Old man, why does this word sound so familiar? Isn't this the word I said in the dream? But he couldn't say anything. He can refute his own point of view, right? These two siblings are more cunning than each other, neither of them is a good person. While he was cursing in his heart, Fang Shi said to Fang Kui and others. What are you still standing there for? Why don't you thank my master for his guidance? Upon hearing this, Fang Kui and others hurriedly bowed to the old man to express their gratitude. The old man snorted coldly, "Don't try to play tricks on me. I'm just fulfilling my promise. Go away, all of you, get out of the way." If a normal person heard this, they would definitely run away immediately, for fear that the old man would go back on his word. But Fang Shi never takes the usual path. She asked the old man, "Master, who is more powerful, you or the jailer who imprisoned us before? Is he more powerful?" The old man sneered. "Is he worthy of being compared with me? He boasted that he could play with you guys at will and make you fight each other, but what was the result? I see you have a very good relationship." Fang Shi. "Although I successfully got out what I wanted to know, what does it mean when dogs bite each other and end up with a mouthful of fur? After all, we are the descendants of your Tianyan Dao sect. After all, we are the descendants of your Tianyan Dao sect." The old man seemed to have guessed Fang Zai's thoughts and snorted coldly. "Why are you not happy when I say you are dogs? Calling you dogs is flattering you. You are worse than pigs and dogs." Fang Shi, "Thank you for the compliment, master." "Old man. Can't you tell the difference between good and bad words? Am I praising you? Look at your cultivation, each one is worse than the other. Especially you two, you are simply trash among trash. Your techniques of tortoise gathering and astrology are a complete mess. Are you worthy enough to be the successors of our Tianyan Taoist sect? Bah, a bunch of useless snacks." Although the old man was just a phantom, Fang Shi felt that he was spitting everywhere. However, she felt that his scolding was not wrong. The people from Tianyan Dao sect and Xingyao sect were indeed not doing well. Especially the Tianyan Dao sect. The foundation laid by our ancestors is about to be destroyed. Fang Shi waited for the old man to finish scolding him, and said with a look of shame, "Master, you are absolutely right. Not only are we worse than pigs and dogs, we don't even deserve to vent our anger. Well, my shell explodes whenever I use the turtle evolution technique. Can you give me some advice?" The old man frowned, exploding turtle shell. Fang Shi's heart moved. It seemed that the information within the Taoist temple was not transmitted in a timely manner, otherwise he would not have been unaware of her exploding turtle shell. After all, she had exploded many times before. She nodded as she thought, "Well, I just need to use the turtle evolution technique to explode the tortoise shell. It works every time. It never fails. It never fails. It never fails." Old man. The next chapter will be longer. It will probably be 12 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1689 worthy of being Gu Liang's apprentice. The old man felt that Fang Shi was talking about flying boats all the time. Even if some unskilled disciples would have their shells explode when using the turtle evolution technique, that would only happen occasionally. How could it explode all the time? He looked at Fang Kui and the others. Is what she said true? Su Chao was the quickest to react and said, "Senior, the first time junior sister Lu used the turtle evolution technique, she blew up 3 courtyards, so much so that our sect master issued an order strictly prohibiting her from using the turtle evolution technique. Besides, her master often blasts turtle shells, and everyone in the sect calls him Guliang blasting." The old man was still a little skeptical, so he said to Fang Shi, "Blow one up now and let me see." "Master, are you sure you want to see it?" "Cut the nonsense." Fang Shi had no choice but to say to Fang Kui and the others, "Stay away to avoid being injured by the explosion." The people from Tianyan Dao sect dodged quickly, and the people from Xingyao sect hurriedly followed when they saw this. Fang Shi looked at the shadow of the old man floating in the air and said, "You should also stay away. I'm afraid I'll send you away." The old man, "How shameless. I am standing here today. If you have the ability, just blow me up." Fang Shi tried to persuade him again and again, but unfortunately the old man didn't listen at all. Fang Shi had no choice but to take out the turtle shell. She decided to use only pure spiritual energy so that the explosion would be less powerful. As she muttered to herself, she used her spiritual power to roast the tortoise shell, which crackled. The old man had not yet realized the seriousness of the problem. He hugged his shoulders and watched with a pout. There was a loud bang. Fang Shi watched the old man turn into nothingness. A beautiful melody sounded in her mind. "I will send you away, thousands of miles away." She pounded the ground and shouted, "Master, master, please come back soon. I can't live without you." Unfortunately, her shouts disappeared in the wind without any response. Finish the calf. Wouldn't the old ghost be blown to pieces by her tortoise shell? The key point is that she has tried her best to persuade him, but he won't listen. It really proves the saying that good words can't persuade a damn ghost. After all this trouble, it was already dawn. Fang Shi immediately led everyone to the gathering place. After what happened last night, everyone's relationship has improved by leaps and bounds. He was stern and cold before, but now he is chatting and laughing. However, Fang Kui and Su Chao hardly communicated with each other. The reason was very simple. They were afraid of being misunderstood as having that kind of relationship. Rumors are more ferocious than a tiger. On the way, Zheng asked Fang Shi, "Little sister, do you think that senior brother has also been caught?" Fang Shi thought for a moment and said, "If we only look at his cultivation level, he might have been caught. But if he used the turtle evolution technique to avoid danger and seek good fortune, he might be hiding." Zheng thought about Li Zhe's performance in prison before, and he felt that even if Li Zhe used the turtle evolution technique, it would probably be of no use. It seems that their senior brother's level of turtle evolution technique is not very good. As the two were talking, they heard an explosion not far away. To say it was an explosion is a bit of an exaggeration, but the noise was quite loud. The next moment, everyone saw a person crawling out of a collapsed cave in the distance. The green curly hair is particularly eye-catching. Fang Shi was happy. Senior brother, senior brother. Li Zhe turned around blankly, and when he saw the scene in front of him, he shook his head hurriedly. Could it be that he was hallucinating because of the explosion? Otherwise, how could I see my junior brothers and sisters with Su Chao and the others? The key is the people from Xingyao Gate. This scene is so incongruous no matter how you look at it. Just when he was confused, Su Chao trotted up to him. Junior brother Li Zhe, are you okay? Do you want me to give you a hand? Li Zhe. Just then, Fang Kui also ran over. Junior brother Li Zhe, I haven't seen you for a few days. You seem to have lost some weight. Is it because you are worried about junior brother Lu and junior sister Lu? Li Zhe was now even more certain that he was doomed. And it was very thorough. If Su Chao spoke human language, it might as well be like red rain falling from the sky. But Fang Kui from Xingyao Sect would never speak to him like that. He was not only sad. No wonder he was always bad after calculating for a long time, and when he turned to calculate for his junior sister, he was so angry. It turns out he was destined to do this. After hearing what happened, Li Zhe felt even worse. Why is it that all of you outsiders get to benefit from the younger brothers and sisters, while I, a legitimate senior brother, get nothing? Although Li Zhe was extremely envious, jealous and resentful, he was still very happy that Fang Xi and Zhang Wen were able to advance to the realm of refining emptiness. He patted Zhang Wen's shoulder. Junior brother, when I went to Wonghai town to recruit you, I discovered that you were very talented in swordsmanship. Now it seems that my vision was very accurate. He then said to Fang Xi, junior sister, although your cultivation is one level lower than your brother's, it is also very good. After all, your talent in cultivation is slightly worse than your brother's. But it doesn't matter, as long as you practice well, the gap between you won't be too big. Zhang Wen, I beg you, just shut up. When the cave collapsed just now, why didn't it crush you into a mute? My junior sister is prone to getting red eyes, and you are really bringing up all sorts of issues. Fang Xi smiled and nodded, then asked, brother, why are you here? Li Zhe immediately told what happened. After he was teleported here, out of professional instinct, he decided to divine which direction would bring opportunities. This calculation is very serious, every direction is extremely unlucky. He didn't believe it and checked it again several times, but got the same result. Although he knew that his turtle evolution technique was only half-baked, he still decided to hide first. Maybe this period of time is not good for him, so he should just avoid it. As a result, the situation became even worse in the next few days. Thinking about being locked up as soon as I came in, I always felt that this Taoist temple was weird. After thinking it over, he decided to stay in the cave to practice for a while. During these few days, he also considered the safety of Zhang Wen and Fang Xi. It was okay when I calculated Zhang Wen's fortune. Although sometimes I couldn't understand the result, it was generally auspicious. It was terrible for Su and Fang Xi. After counting twice, his turtle shell was cracked. He had no choice but to give up for the time being. Today I couldn't help it, so I counted again and blew up the cave. Fang Xi gave a thumbs up. Brother, we are all worthy of being Gu Liang's disciples. We have all received the true teachings of our master. Li Zhe. If you don't want to praise, you don't have to force yourself. Fang Zai's words were somewhat sincere. Regardless of whether Li Zhe's turtle shell exploded or not, at least his previous calculation was accurate. If he really was a dangerous beast when he came out, he would definitely be captured by the people of Xingyao Sect. Thinking of this, she asked Fang Kui. Didn't you people from Xingyao Sect use the astrology technique to calculate before you came out to arrest people? Fang Kui and others. They were full of confidence and felt that they had a sure win, so why would they need to use the stars? Fang Xi thought of the blind man who had captured her and Zhang Wen before, and started to chat with the people from Xingyao. But after talking for a long time, there were no useful clues, as if the old blind man did not exist at all. She changed her mind and thought that the old blind man might not be blind normally, but might have become blind that day. She and fifth brother are really lucky enough. At this time, several other teams from Xingyao had arrived at the gathering place. They all returned with a full load. We all have good harvests, now it depends on Fang Kui and his team. Fang Kui is at the 7th level of fusion, and the others are not weak either, so there will definitely be no problem. When they come back, we can report to that senior. I don't know what opportunity he is talking about, but it must be a great opportunity. Ellipsis. As they spoke, they also humiliated the people from Tianyin Dao Sect, mocking them by calling them trash. Those people from Tianyin Dao Sect are like eggplants hit by frost. Although Su Chao and others have not been caught yet, they feel that it is only a matter of time. I don't know why the old man asked the people from Xingyao Sect to capture them. I don't know if it will cost their lives. Just when they were looking at each other in despair, they saw a group of people coming towards them from a distance. Leading the group was a big grey rat. There was a little girl sitting on it, with smiling eyes, looking very cute. There were more than a dozen people following the big grey rat, some from the Xingyao Sect and some from the Tianyin Dao Sect, all of them looking very happy. What's going on? Not only were they confused, but those from Xingyao Gate were also confused. Someone asked, Fang Kui, what's wrong with you? Fang Kui didn't say anything, but looked at Fang Xi in front of him. Sometimes a habit can be formed in a short period of time, like Fang Kui and others. They now unconsciously regard Fang Xi as the leader of the team. When something happens, she has to speak first. Fang Xi jumped down from the mutant earth-digging thorn beast and clasped his fists towards the people from Xingyao Gate. Everyone, are you all doing well? Thank you for inviting all of our fellow disciples from Tianyin Dao Sect to come here, so I don't have to look for them everywhere. People from Xingyao Sect. People from Tianyin Dao Sect. You call this a please? You are so polite. Fang Xi immediately recounted what had happened before, and then said. My newly minted master said it very clearly. The prison boss is just playing tricks on us. He wants to see us fight each other and prevent us from finding rare treasures and opportunities in the temple. We have already wasted a lot of time and can't delay any longer. How about this, we both form a formal alliance, with more people and greater strength, maybe we can find a great opportunity. If you don't believe me, you can ask brother Fang Kui and the others. They have made great progress. In fact, even without Fang Shi saying anything, the people from Xingyao Gate also noticed changes in Fang Kui and others. Although his cultivation level did not rise by a large level, it did improve. Many people were envious, jealous and resentful. They were all trying to capture the direct disciples of Tianyin Dao sect, so why did they get nothing while Fang Kui and his companions got a great opportunity? It's so unfair. The same thing happened to the direct disciples of Tianyin Dao sect. They felt so jealous that they were bubbling in their hearts. They thought of the star stone that Fang Shi had exploded before. It seemed that the saying circulating in the sect was right: once the tortoise shell explodes, opportunities will come rolling in. Chapter 1690. Do you really think you are the boss? Fang Shi thought that it would take some effort to convince the people from Xingyao sect to form an alliance, but he didn't expect them to agree without any hesitation. Ultimately, it all comes down to the word, interest. Although the jailer promised a great opportunity, it was illusory. However, the opportunity for Fang Kui and others was real. Furthermore, Fang Kui and his men have already formed an alliance with Tianyin Dao sect. If they fall out, no one will benefit. What's more, as the old man said about dog eat dog, it's obvious that the prison boss has bad intentions. When Fang Shi saw that Xingyao men agreed to form an alliance, he immediately praised them, saying that they were wise and far-sighted, and all these words made people feel happy. Then the conversation changed. As the saying goes, a snake cannot survive without a head, and a bird cannot fly without a head, so we have to choose a leader. I think that this leader must meet the following conditions. First, he has a certain prestige in both teams. Second, he is good at speaking and can resolve conflicts within the team in a timely manner. Third, his cultivation level should be weaker, so that he will not be a threat to anyone and there is no need to worry about her taking all the benefits for herself. Fourth, it's best to be a person with good luck, even if it's just to be a lucky sign. Who do you think can meet this requirement? Everyone. Let's just say, why don't you just recommend yourself? Is it interesting to go around in circles like this? Although everyone had their own complaints, the amazing thing was that they all elected Fang Shi as the leader. On the Tianyin Dao sect side, the captured people were moved by Fang Shi and Zhenwen's life-saving race, and later because Fang Shi got an opportunity, they naturally wanted to follow her. The remaining disciples of Tianyin Dao sect would still be prisoners if Fang Shi had not come, so they were naturally willing to choose her as the leader. Not to mention Fang Kui and his companions from Xingyao sect, the rest of the people felt that Fang Shi was better than anyone else as the leader, because Fang Shi's cultivation was lower and he was easier to control. No matter what everyone thinks, Fang Shi, the leader of the alliance, has taken office in a grand manner. Fang Shi boasted to Commander Lu. Master, see what I said, gold will always shine. For someone as outstanding as me, even if I am just a minor god, yes, I am now a minor virtual being, it cannot stop everyone from loving me. I actually don't want to be the leader of an alliance at all. It's so tiring. But there is no way, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. I really envy those ordinary people with mediocre qualifications. Commander Lu. He admired Fang Shi very much. She could brag hundreds of times without feeling tired. Just let her say it if she wanted to. He probably thought this was her way of relieving stress. Everyone asked the newly appointed Fang leader Shi, "Leader, where are we going next?" Fang Shi glanced at everyone. As the leader of the alliance, I'm telling you that among you there are astrologers and astronomical masters. Do you still need me to teach you what to do? This time we enter the forbidden area not to enjoy the scenery, but to look for opportunities in Taoist temple monuments. If you keep counting on me, the leader, to teach you what to do, will that achieve the purpose of the trial? You all have been practicing for longer than me, and your cultivation is higher than mine. When you have nothing to do, reflect on yourself. Now, whether you are an astrologer or a celestial master, can you please tell me which direction is more auspicious? Everyone was ashamed of what was said, and someone said weakly. But we astrologers have to wait until night to observe the starry sky before we can make deductions. We are really powerless now. Fang Shi shook his head. Your astrology technique has too many limitations. In all these years, haven't you from Xingyao sect developed a star map that we can carry with us? To be honest, I think you, the Xingyao sect, have been having a lot of fun over the years, but in the end, you haven't even met your most basic needs. After we get out, I will definitely give feedback to Sect Master Chu of your Xingyao sect, so that you won't be tied down. Everyone from Xingyao sect. Are you really taking yourself for granted? As a mere disciple, what qualifications do you have to give feedback to our leader? However, what Lu Yi said is true. Why didn't the sect think of inventing a portable star map, even if it is a simple one? At this time, Fang Shi looked at Li Zhe who had been squeezing to the back of the crowd. Brother, since the people from Xingyao sect can't do the calculation, you do it. Next chapter around 12 o'clock. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1691. I'm too lazy to pretend. Li Zhe wished he could burrow into the ground. He has tried his best to reduce his presence, so why is he still being targeted by junior sister? He is very clear about his own weight. It would be so embarrassing if he can calculate it or calculated it wrong. He not only lost his own face, but also his master's face. However, when he thought of his amiable and respectable master, it seemed that there was nothing to be ashamed of. Although he was very reluctant, Fang Shi had already called his name, so he could only bite the bullet and say, "Okay, I'll calculate it, but I'm not sure if it's accurate." Fang Shi smiled and said, "Brother, you have extraordinary talent, much better than a mediocre little sister like me, and you are our master's top disciple. How can you be so unconfident? I believe that as long as you calculate carefully, you will be able to get the accurate result. If you can't figure it out in one go, keep calculating until you figure it out." Quote. Li Zhe. Why does this sound a bit sarcastic to me? By the way, I seem to have said before that her aptitude is not as good as junior brother Lu's. Is this revenge against me? Can junior sister be so petty? Zhang Wen was gloating on the sidelines. Should. You're a careless person, so you've been targeted by junior sister, right? Li Zhe had no choice but to take out the tortoise shell and start to deduce. Fang Shi used this time to make a roster, called out the names of each person one by one, and then had a general understanding of them, such as their cultivation level and specialties. Li Zhe calculated it once, and then checked it several times, and then said to Fang Shi, "Junior sister, I calculated that the north direction is more auspicious." Fang Shi nodded. "Okay, then let's go north. Let's go." Li Zhe was deeply moved. Regardless of whether the junior sister was narrow-minded or not, at least she trusted him very much. "I hope he didn't make a mistake this time and won't let my junior sister down." There are also some rules for Fang Shi's departure. They don't act all at once, but instead send a small team to explore the way ahead, and then another small team to follow behind. She led the rest of the group in the middle. "Everyone. Why do I feel like you made this arrangement just to ensure your own safety? No matter what everyone thinks, they still have to do it. After all, Fang Shi is the leader now." Fang Shi sat on the back of the mutated burrowing thorn beast, feeling very happy. This is the treatment that only she, the master of two worlds, can enjoy. She was enjoying herself when she noticed some movement in the puddle. She thought Zhang Wen had fallen in again, so she quickly used her spiritual sense to check. It turned out that the area of the puddle was nearly twice as large as before. Sensing her consciousness, the 49 Sanskrit characters displayed the story of the monkey catching the moon. Fang Shi understood. This is an attempt to take credit. Before, the fifth brother fell into a puddle and they were the ones who fished him out. Fang Shi immediately praised them and asked them to continue practicing their life-saving techniques. Although we only need to save Zhang Wen now, we may need to save many people in the future. Speaking of Zhang Wen, Commander Lu couldn't help but sigh. Zhang Wen is really lucky. He got your Tao and his cultivation level increased rapidly without any need to comprehend the Tao of heaven. Master, you can't say that. Although fifth brother has taken advantage of my opportunity, it has also benefited me in return. This is called mutual achievement. If we talk about good fortune, you are the best. You were already dead, but now you are alive again and you have accepted such a good disciple like me. I am really enviable. Commander Lu. Do you envy me for being hacked to pieces from time to time? However, he also admitted that meeting Fang Shi was a blessing, a great blessing. At least the world can know that the loss of the war was not caused by him. In addition, he was also very curious about where the deadly aura came from. Was there really a third party? Who were they? When Fang Shi and Commander Lu were enjoying the deep affection of master and disciple, the person in charge of exploring the way ahead came running back in a panic. Alliance leader, something terrible is happening. There is a group of beasts ahead. Most of them are late-stage fusion monsters. There are also Mahayana monsters. When Li Zhe heard this, he felt like the sky was falling. Finished. He must have miscalculated. But he checked it several times and it was all good luck. Fang Shi said in a deep voice, "Why are you so flustered? Isn't it just a group of high-level monsters? We just run." After saying that, he patted the mutant digging thorn beast's head and said, "Fugui. Run." Everyone. Everyone hurriedly ran back, but before they had run far, the people behind them came running towards them like dogs. Alliance leader, there is a large group of late-stage fusion monsters chasing us. There seems to be a Mahayana monster among them. Everyone's heart sank. Fang Shi was very calm. Run to the east. Not long after they ran out, they saw a large group of monsters. They turned and ran to the west, and saw another group of monsters. Everyone was even more desperate now. Surrounded by monsters. It seems that these monsters had a plan, otherwise how could it be such a coincidence that there are monsters everywhere? Many people looked at Li Zhe. Although no words were said, their looks contained the same subtext. What kind of bullshit results are you calculating? Is this all good? It's almost as bad as hell. Li Zhe wished he could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. He had made up his mind that he would be the first to rush forward and atone for his sins with his death. The monster's encirclement is getting smaller and smaller. When everyone was preparing to fight to the death, Fang Shi raised his right hand and waved at the monsters. "Hey, fellow monsters, wait a minute, I have something to say." Everyone. Where do you get this idea from? Besides, can the monster listen to you? But what puzzled everyone was that the monsters actually stayed where they were. Fang Shi was secretly happy. She also suddenly remembered that on the palm of her right hand there was a forbidden word written by Senior Dagong for her. Although this is not the secret realm of the heavens, she feels that since this is the territory of the Tianyin Taoist sect, perhaps this forbidden technique will work here as well. She was just trying it out as a last resort, and she didn't expect it to actually work. However, the effect of this forbidden technique is limited. If it is left unchecked for too long, it will probably not have much effect, so she has to find a way to fool these monsters. While she was thinking about her words, she was trying hard to add the light of a sun to herself, so much so that Fang Kui and others felt that she was so dazzling. Fang Shi glanced at the monsters and said slowly, "I know you didn't come here voluntarily." After seeing the reactions of the monsters, Fang Shi continued. "After all, high-level monsters are very arrogant and would not bother to form gangs and engage in this kind of hunting. With all due respect, although there are many of you, it is not easy to kill us all. Why don't you believe it? Do you think we are all some little monks who have merged into one? Ah, yes, I still look like a little Liangsu. I am too lazy to pretend anymore. I will show you my true strength." As Fang Shi spoke, his aura suddenly changed, and he turned into a cultivator of the 4th level of Mahayana. Fang Shi was somewhat disappointed. When she was in the stage of transformation into a spirit, she could reach the 2nd or 3rd level of Mahayana cultivation by using the burning blood technique. I didn't expect that he has already advanced the refining void stage, but after using the burning blood technique, he is only at the 4th level of Mahayana. Commander Lu was somewhat speechless. You should know that once you reach the Mahayana stage, each level of advancement is very difficult, especially the early stage to the middle stage, and the middle stage to the late stage. Therefore, your 4th level of Mahayana is not low. Fang Shi ignored Commander Lu and smiled disdainfully at the monsters. How is it, do you think I looked like before? Not only am I a Mahayana cultivator, most of my subordinates are also Mahayana cultivators. The reason I disguise myself as a combined cultivator is to lure the snake out of its hole. Don't get me wrong, it's not you who are being led astray, but the masterminds who are forcing you. There is no hatred between us and you, so there is no need to fight to the death. As long as you get out of the way, we will not interfere with each other. Otherwise, humph, I will use the turtle bombing method. Fang Shi said as he took out the shell of the golden gang Wangsu turtle, then walked towards the group of monsters in the north. She seemed to be strolling in the garden, her expression very calm and composed, and the monsters closest to her couldn't help but take a few steps back. Fang Shi curled her lips. Not far enough, retreat a little further, or you will all turn into ashes. Although the monsters were skeptical, Fang Shi kept shaking his right hand intentionally or unintentionally. Under the pressure of the forbidden spell, the monsters still retreated a distance. Fang Shi estimated the distance, asked Zhang Wen and others to prepare for defense, and began to roast the turtle shell with flames. This time, she mixed in 20% of the power of time. Since it is a threat, it must be forceful. The monsters stared with wide eyes, each with contempt on their faces. This yellow-haired girl is too boastful. Even if this turtle shell explodes, how much power can it have? If there wasn't something strange about her and she wasn't a Mahayana cultivator, I would have torn her to pieces. At this moment, boom. A loud bang. A big hole was blown out on the spot, and a large number of monsters that were nearby were knocked unconscious, and many were blown into curly hair. That was because Zhang Wen and the others were far away and had made defenses in advance, otherwise the situation would not have been much better. Fang Kui and the others all looked pale. Although they had seen Fang Shi blasting turtle shells before, that was at least the extent they could imagine. The degree of the explosion before our eyes can be measured by 10 Guliang bombs. Chapter 1692. Fang Shi remained silent, just kept smiling. Fang Kui and the others were shocked, and the monsters themselves were so shocked that the words, shock, could not be used to describe it. Terrible. Has the human race become this strong now? Can a turtle shell have the power to cause a mountain to collapse and the earth to split? This can no longer be described as strong, this is abnormal. Fortunately, they just retreated a distance. If they were closer, I wouldn't dare to think about it, I wouldn't dare to think about it at all. Ha! That yellow-haired girl, where is the female devil? Wouldn't he blow himself up? He had to be his own senior brother. While others were still in shock, Zhang Wen and Li Zhe had already run to the edge of the pit to check on their own junior sister. When they saw that there was no one at the bottom of the pit, they were dumbfounded. Where is the junior sister? What about the little junior sister who is so old? Li Zhe burst into tears immediately. Junior sister, you died so tragically. Not even your body is left. Not even your ashes are left. I'm sorry, please walk slowly, I will be here soon. Zhang Wen on the side. Although he was also anxious, he felt that Fang Shi would definitely not die. Perhaps he had been teleported to another place by using the power of time. Just as he was about to jump to the bottom of the pit to check, a man crawled out from the ruins at the bottom of the pit. Its face was pitch black, and there was a big turtle shell, growing, on its back. When it grinned, it showed a mouthful of small white teeth. Brother, stop crying, I'm still alive and well. Li Zhe's crying stopped abruptly, and he looked at Fang Shi at the bottom of the pit with tearful eyes. Very good. Junior sister is not dead. He shouldn't have to die. Fang Shi dressed up simply. After all, she was the leader of the alliance now and had to pay attention to her personal image. Maybe it was because her tortoise shell protected her, she didn't lose her hair like Elder Gu Liang did from time to time. She had just fiddled with it twice when the turtle shell fell to the ground. When Fang Shi was about to put it away, he found a crack on the turtle shell. Her heart sank suddenly. Finish the calf. It's all because of that old bastard Lu's bad mouth. The turtle shell is really cracked. She was very sad, but she still had a large group of monsters to deal with, so she had to put the turtle shell into the storage ring. She summoned the wooden sword and spoke to it with her spiritual sense. It's okay that you're usually unreliable, but I want to make a great debut this time. If you mess it up, I won't forgive you. Mu Jian hurriedly expressed his determination. Master, just wait and see. I am no longer the same person I used to be. Not to mention just a single appearance, even if I fly 2 miles, I can guarantee that you won't fall. Fang Shi. Why do I feel so unsure? However, at this point, I can only trust the wooden sword this time. She took out the whisk given to her by Elder Gu Liang, then jumped onto the wooden sword and acted like a charlatan. The wooden sword flew out with a whoosh. Well, it jumped out vertically. If Fang Shi hadn't been quick-witted and used the whisk to tie himself to the wooden sword, he would have been doomed to fall to the ground. Mu Jian was still talking. Master, how is it? I just want to ask you, is it wonderful? It's not unique, but it's 1 in a million. Fang Shi remained silent and just kept smiling. As a mature charlatan, you must not lose your style under any circumstances. Finally, she landed on her feet steadily. The next moment, the wooden sword was hit into the coffin made of jade sips. Wooden sword. I did a good job, why did my master punish me? What did I do wrong? Isn't it exciting enough? If I had known this would happen, I would have done a somersault on her like a wild boar climbing a tree. Fang Shi cast his gaze towards the monsters and smiled. Wow, your new hairstyle is great. It's similar to my senior brother's hairstyle. Li Zhe, who has green curly hair, said. Several monsters whose hair was blown into curls. Fang Shi flicked his whisk, scaring the monsters so much that they took several steps back. Although Fang Shi felt amused in her heart, she did not show it on her face. Don't panic, if I had bad intentions towards you, the tortoise shell would have exploded into more than just a big hole. Like I said before, there is no grudge between us, so there is no need to fight to the death. What's more, you are being persecuted. I give you two choices. The first choice is to get out of the way. We will separate the bridge and the road. The second option is to take us to find the mastermind behind forcing you, and I will avenge you. I'll give you half a quarter of an hour to think about it, so you can discuss it now. After Fang Shi finished speaking, he calmly sat cross-legged in meditation, as if those high-level monsters were just decorations. When Junwen saw this, he followed suit. Fang Kui and the others were extremely frightened, but it seemed that they had no better choice and could only follow suit. How could they have the mind to practice? They just closed their eyes and thought about things aimlessly. Some of them didn't understand why Fang Shi would give the monsters a second choice. If the mastermind behind the scenes could force the monsters to hunt them, wouldn't it be even more difficult? It would be better to just let the monsters get out of the way. Ha! Why do they think that the monster will definitely choose one of the two options? They're floating too. However, the power of Lu Yi's turtle shell explosion was so great that the monsters probably didn't dare to not make a choice. The monsters gathered together to discuss, but it was mainly the monsters in the Mahayana stage who made the decisions. I think this female devil is quite good at exploding her tortoise shell. Why don't we use her to vent our anger? Maybe we can get into the inner circle. The spiritual energy in the inner area is much richer than that in the outer area. I heard there are many natural treasures. Why not give it a try? It would be fine if she could deal with those old lunatics, but if she can't, when those old lunatics take their anger out on us. Don't you usually take it out on us? This time is not a big deal. Ellipsis. After the monsters had finished the discussion, one of the monsters that looked like a wolf started making gestures and shouting at Fang Shi. Ow. Fang Shi raised an eyebrow. You said you would choose the second one. Ow. Okay, then you lead the way. Ouch, 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 ouch. Don't worry, I only let you lead the way, and I won't let you help me fight. You can retreat when you get there. Ah. Of course it's true, I'm the leader of the alliance, and my word is law. Ellipsis. Fang Kui and others. Could it be that this Lu Yi understands animal language? Why does it feel like there is no obstacle at all in communicating with this demon wolf? However, it stands to reason that many demon beasts in the Mahayana stage can speak human language, so why are these demon beasts still howling? Fang Shi couldn't really understand what the wolf said, so she mainly relied on observing its expression and making inferences. There's nothing I can do, it's just that excellent. After the two sides had discussed it, the demon wolf planned to let the demon beasts in the fusion stage disperse. After all, there was no point in them staying here. Fang Shi smiled and said, wait a minute, this is our first meeting, isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to leave empty-handed? The monster's eyes lit up. What do you mean? This female devil wants to give them gifts. It's quite particular. The next moment, Fang Shi said. Oops, sorry, I said it the wrong way. Isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to come empty-handed? At least leave us something to think about. Any herbs, spiritual stones, anything is fine, we are not picky. Monsters. Dad, do you want it? Shameless. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1693, when it comes to shamelessness, you are ahead of everyone. Of course the monsters don't want to give it. The scene was suddenly filled with roars of beasts. Although Fang Kui and others didn't understand, they could guess that he was scolding Fang Shi for being shameless. Not to mention those monsters, they also think Fang Shi is crazy. It's good enough that these monsters don't eat us, but you actually dare to ask them for a gift. Don't want to live anymore. At this moment, Fang Shi flicked his whisk a few times and let out a long sigh. Ugh. Although the sound was not loud, the monsters stopped shouting and looked at Fang Shi curiously. I wondered, why is this female devil sighing? What is the medicine in her gourd? Fang Shi didn't say anything, but looked at the monsters. When the monsters caught her gaze, their hearts trembled. What kind of look is that? Although the monsters had never been to a temple or seen the Buddha, they could see that Fang Shi's eyes were full of compassion. For some reason, the monsters felt a little panicked. Does this female devil know something? Are they all going to die? The demon wolf couldn't help but howl. Fang Shi sighed again, and then said faintly. I shouldn't have told you this, but now it seems that if I don't speak out, you will think that I am greedy for your things. Don't you think about it? I am a respected Tianyan master. How could I lack your little things? The reason why I asked you to give me something is simply because the divination will not be in vain, the law will not be sold at a low price, the cause and effect cannot be disclosed lightly, only by spending money can you exchange for life, and only by heavy bags can you overcome disasters. I collect your things to help you resolve your misfortunes. Otherwise, all of you will be doomed. You don't believe it? I can take out the tortoise shell and demonstrate it to you on the spot. Monsters. If you demonstrate, we will be doomed. If they were all killed in the explosion, there would be no escape, right? Fang Shi sighed again. I'm not threatening you, but the secret cannot be revealed, so I can't say any more. Okay, stop wasting time and line up to pay your respects. If you really can't come up with anything decent, bleeding will do. You don't need too much, a bowl of blood is enough. After Fang Shi finished speaking, he said to Fang Kui and the others, don't just stand there, hurry up and accept the gifts. Remember, use a separate storage ring to accept them, and then hand them all over to me. I still have to perform a ritual to help them resolve the disaster. After Fang Shi finished speaking, he sat cross-legged, took out the tortoise shell, dipped his hands in clean water, wrote and drew on it, and muttered something. Seeing this, the monsters dispelled some of the doubts. Well, just use some things of not too high quality to fool people. Anyway, as long as the things are handed over, everything should be fine. Although they felt that what they took out were not good things, for Fang Kui and others, these were the treasures they had always dreamed of. Everyone's eyes turned green. My hands are shaking a little. The monsters thought they were afraid and couldn't help but despise them in their hearts. They thought that humans were really trash. Except for that female devil. Jun Wen was staring at Fang Kui and the others to prevent them from embezzling the money, and he felt amused in his heart. The identity of Master Tianyan is really suitable for my junior sister. In the past, you had to put some effort into fooling people, but now you just have to use the words used by the charlatans. But this time, Fang Shi's attention was all on the cracks in the turtle shell. The crack spans almost the entire turtle shell. Although it is only a crack for now, it will eventually break completely over time. How can this be done? If this were a living thing, it could be repaired by taking pills or something. But this is just a turtle shell, how can I repair it? You can't just stick it on with glue, right? At this time, Commander Lu said, the Golden Gang Fantasy Ruins turtle is produced in the Fantasy Ruins Sea. You can try to nourish the turtle shell with the power of time, and perhaps you can restore it to its original state. Fang Shi's eyes lit up. She released a little bit of the power of time, and the cracks on the turtle shell did change. Of course, this change is so slight that only Fang Shi can see it when he uses the Chaos Sutra. She was immediately ecstatic. Master, it has to be you. You are knowledgeable and wise. Thanks to you for protecting me, otherwise I would have been worried to death. Commander Lu thought to himself, if you can use me, then I am a good master with great knowledge and talent. If you can't use me, then you are sarcastic to me. You are so realistic. But I have to say it, he still felt a little elated. As a human being, who doesn't like to hear nice words? Fang Shi continued to use the power of time to nourish the turtle shell, and in the process did not forget to add the light of the sun to himself. Some monsters originally had some ulterior motives in their minds, but when they saw Fang Shi, who was radiating humanity, they reluctantly handed over the gift. I would rather trust it to have it than to trust it to have nothing. What if what the female devil said is true? Don't lose the big picture for the small. Fang Kui and his companions previously complained that there were too many monsters, but now they complain that there are too few. Because the more monsters there are, the more gifts you will receive. Now the way they looked at Li Zhe also changed. No wonder Lu Yi asked him to calculate, his calculations were so accurate. If they calculated it, they could probably only figure out the superficial disaster, but Li Zhe calculated the hidden good fortune. He is a master of calculation. Li Zhe is still confused now. How did this inevitable death situation turn into a gift-receiving gathering? It seems that his turtle evolution technique is pretty good and he didn't bring shame to his master. Although his master had no face to begin with, it would be better for him, as his disciple, to give him some face. Thinking of Gu Liangchuan, he remembered the variables his master had calculated before. I couldn't help but stand in awe. It seems that he has many misunderstandings about his master. In fact, his master's turtle evolution technique is still very good. At least when it comes to variables, the calculations are extremely accurate. Outside the forbidden area, Gu Liangchuan sneezed several times in succession. Who is talking about this divine fortune teller? Everyone. When it comes to shamelessness, you're at the forefront of everyone. Gu Liangchuan actually felt uneasy. After all, his three disciples had lower cultivation levels than each other, and he didn't know how they were doing now. He wanted to do the math, but was afraid of exploding the turtle shell. Face is one thing, but the key is that he is afraid of accidentally causing trouble. So, he used provocation to get Palace Master Cow to help him calculate the safety of his three disciples. It happened that the sky was dark at this, and there were stars all over the sky, which was very suitable for using the art of astrology. Under normal circumstances, Palace Master Cow would never take the bait, but he was chased like a dog by Xing Yao and Xing Suo before, which was very embarrassing. He was just worrying about how to get back at his old self when Elder Gu Liang presented him with the opportunity. Today, let these people see how advanced his astrology skills are. How can the light of fireflies compete with the bright moon? Gu Liangza is nothing but trash in front of him. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1694 Palace Master Cow is like an eggplant hit by frost. Palace Master Cow glanced at Elder Gu Liang. Gu Liangchuan, don't think I can't see that you are trying to provoke me. I was too lazy to bother with you, but after all, you are a guest from afar, so I will give you a favor this time and help you calculate. However, we can't count them as three people. After all, everyone's circumstances are different, and some may be good, some may be bad. So, let's count Lu Yi as one. Palace Master Cow said this because he was hoping that Feng Shi would have an accident. If that damn girl hadn't spread rumors to Xing Yao that he wouldn't invite the four symbols, he wouldn't have been chased like a stray dog by Xing Yao and Xing Suo. Elder Gu Liang thought about it and realized that among the three disciples, the youngest disciple had the lowest cultivation level, and the one who entered the temple as a cricket keeper did make him more worried. So he nodded, okay, then let's count Yi first. Cao Yonglu, with so many people watching, you have to play well and don't embarrass yourself. Palace Master Cow snorted coldly, ignored him, began to make hand seals and gestures, muttered to himself, and looked up at the starry sky. Everyone had been waiting here for several days and were getting bored. Then they saw Palace Master Cow using astrology to deduce, and they all gathered around. This is completely different from the treatment Elder Gu Liang received when he was fortune-telling. The reason is very simple. Palace Master Cow will not explode the turtle shell, so there is no danger to life for those watching. No one wants to risk their life for eating a melon, right? Palace Master Cow saw that he had become the focus of everyone's attention, and he became even more enthusiastic in his calculations. Today is the day when Cao Yongbu becomes famous. But why is it that I can't understand this constellation? I watched it again, but still couldn't understand it. Palace Master Cow was a little panicked. With so many people watching, it would be so embarrassing for him to say that he couldn't figure it out. Otherwise, make up an ambiguous hexagram. Anyway, the people of Tianyan Dao sect don't understand the art of astrology. As for the Xing Yao sect, although there are people who understand it, without using the art of astrology, nothing can be seen with the naked eye. Just do it. Just as he made up his mind, he felt a sharp pain in his eyes and couldn't help but scream. Ah, eyes, my eyes. At this moment, he didn't care about his face anymore. He covered his eyes and screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Everyone was stunned by this sudden change. There was chaos all of a sudden. Sect Master Chu shouted, pushed through the crowd and approached Palace Master Cao. Yonglu, let go of your hand, let me see. Palace Master Cao endured the pain, regained some of his sanity, and loosened his hands. Seeing the scene in front of them, everyone couldn't help but exclaim. Palace Master Cao's eyes were filled with blood, how creepy it could be. Elder Gu Liang even covered his mouth. Oh my god. The most I can do when fortune-telling is to blow up a tortoise shell, but how come Cao Yonglu blinded himself? You won't blackmail me, right? How much compensation will this cost? Finish the calf. This time Dai Chanfang is determined to bury me alive to accompany my master. Sect Master Chu was also shocked, but fortunately after checking, he found that although Palace Master Cao's eyes looked creepy, they were actually not that serious. After Master Chu treated him, he ordered his men to tie Master Cao's eyes with a piece of cloth, and then said, do not untie the cloth within 3 days, and do not use astrology techniques. Palace Master Cao was indescribable how he felt. He was naturally happy that his eyes were saved, but he was embarrassed again and felt that he would never be able to face people again. Also, he didn't understand. He was just telling fortunes, so how did he almost go blind? Master, why am I like this? Master Chu looked solemn. According to the records in the classics, if the astrologer's spiritual awareness is not strong enough to support the deduction, it will cause damage to the eyes. Yonglu, you have been too lazy in your cultivation recently. When the matter in the forbidden area is over, you should go into seclusion for a while. Sect Master Chu knew that there was another situation, that is, touching the opportunity would result in backlash, with the mildest being blindness and the worst being death. But he felt that Palace Master Cao's injury was not serious and it should not have touched upon the secrets of heaven. Furthermore, he was only calculating whether Lu Yi would be lucky or unlucky in the forbidden area. How could he possibly touch upon the secrets of heaven? So I didn't mention it. Palace Master Cao was like an eggplant hit by frost at this moment. He knew that Sect Master Chu was going to put him in solitary confinement. Yes, he made a fool of himself repeatedly, so Sect Master Chu was naturally very dissatisfied with him. Fortunately, he still has the trump card of 4 symbols in his hand, otherwise he would have completely lost the trust of the sect leader. While he was comforting himself, the star key and star lock floating in the air suddenly smashed towards him. Although Palace Master Cao is blind, he can use his spiritual sense to see things, and he was almost scared to death when he saw this scene. Let's just say, at a time like this, you should just run away. He might be confused, standing there like a wooden stake. Fortunately, Sect Master Chu was still by his side, and he quickly formed a seal to control the star key. The star key and star lock finally returned to their original positions. Palace Master Cao couldn't help but feel sad. What did he do wrong to deserve such inhuman treatment? Elder Gu Liang originally wanted to say something sarcastic, but he was afraid of being blackmailed by Palace Master Cao, so he swallowed his words back. Anyway, he feels very happy. The man named Cao always competed with him openly and secretly. What was the result? Shit is not. I originally wanted him to calculate what happened to my 3 disciples, but now it seems I can't count on him. Forget it, he had calculated good luck before coming here, so there will definitely be no problem. Sect Leader Chu frowned, on the one hand because Palace Leader Cao had embarrassed himself one after another, and on the other hand he felt somewhat uneasy. Nothing will happen in the forbidden area, right? However, he changed his mind and realized that their Xing'ao sect's disciples had the advantage in both numbers and cultivation. It could be said that they could crush those of Tianyin Dao sect's disciples. There was nothing to worry about. What he didn't know was that at this moment, the disciples of their Xing'ao sect were surrounding Fengshi to hand over the information about the monsters. Although Fengshi did not say that these extorted things would be shared with them, they felt that the leader who exuded humanity could give them some. Even if she takes the lion's share, it's okay to give them some. Fengshi put all the divination materials into a storage ring, then signaled everyone to disperse and start the ritual. In terms of professionalism, he is definitely better than anyone else present. Those people from Xing'ao Gate were stunned. In the past, although they knew that Xing'ao sect was independent from Tianyin Dao sect, they still sneered at Guillen's technique. But now seeing the way Fengshi is doing it, they have to admit that his way is still orthodox and indeed better than theirs. They are all like this, not to mention those monsters. Many monsters even felt a little ashamed. They had actually suspected that the evil lady was deceiving them. They really were judging the evil lady by their own standards. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1695, a gift from the elders that cannot be declined. Li Zhe was even more confused. It seems that the master has given little junior sister a lot of special treatment. He has never seen this set of practices in action. After Fengshi performed some operations smoothly, he said to the monsters, the disaster has been basically resolved, but there are still some variables, which lie in those behind the scenes. But don't worry, when I see them, I will naturally find a way to help you resolve the situation. Come on, take us to see them now. Although it is dark now, the biggest danger in this forbidden area comes from these monsters, so it doesn't matter. The monsters were also eager to vent their anger with Fengshi, not to mention they had to completely resolve the disaster, so they were all very active. However, it was impossible for so many monsters to follow them. In the end, only a dozen or so Mahayana monsters followed Fengshi and the others. Fengshi was speechless when he found that the mutated burrowing thorn beast was trembling as it walked. Look at your potential. The mutant burrowing thorn beast doesn't want this either. But for a monster in the fusion stage facing so many great monsters, it was already very good for it to be able to walk. Shivering is inevitable. Fengshi saw this and said to the demon wolf, my brother's mount is useless and keeps shaking. Please carry me. Demonic wolf. Don't you think your request is presumptuous? Fang Shi curled her lips. Don't worry, I won't let you carry it in vain, I'll give you some pills to eat. The demon wolf sneered at this. What good medicine can you have? However, it still agreed to Fang Shi's request. Because it is kind. This has nothing to do with Fang Shi taking out the turtle shell. After Fang Shi sat on the demon wolf's back, he took out a pill from his storage ring and shook it in front of the demon wolf's nose. The demon wolf suddenly let out a wolf howl. Woo, woo. Fang Shi, well, do you want to eat? Ow. Fang Shi immediately threw the pill into the wolf's mouth. The wolf demon changed its previous reluctant look and now its tail was wagging like a dog's. When the other Mahayana monsters saw this, they immediately lost their composure. They're not stupid. When they see the wolf's flattering look, they know that the pill the evil woman gave it must be good stuff. So, they came up to the demon wolf and said that it was tired and it was time for them to take over. Demonic wolf. I only ran 2 miles, why am I tired? It ignored the monsters and instead sped up its running. The other monsters refused to give up and kept chasing after them. This was very difficult for Fang Kui and others. In trying to keep up with them, they almost lost their shoes. It was Fang Shi who patted the demon wolf's head, which made it slow down. Fang Shi turned around and said to the monsters, when we get there, behave well, and you will all have a share. The monsters immediately started to have some plans in their minds. What does the female devil mean by this? What does it mean to perform well when you get there? Who are we using? However, seeing that she has no intention of changing her mount, I can only talk about it when the time comes. When it was almost dawn, the demon wolf came to a cliff and stopped moving. Fang Shi looked at the cliff in front of him and wondered, did the people who commanded the monsters live under the cliff? As she was thinking, the demon wolf leaped forward with all its might. Fang Shi. If you want to die, don't take me with you. You are an ungrateful bastard. Isn't this the immortal version of Mr. Dongguo and the wolf? However, she soon discovered that the cliff was just an illusion and it was a barrier. At this time, the monsters behind also jumped off the cliff. While Fang Kui and others were still hesitating, Jun Wen had already jumped down. Li Zhe gritted his teeth and jumped down as well. His idea was very simple. If his junior sister and junior brother got into trouble, he would be too embarrassed to leave. It would be better for them to die together. Fang Kui and the others hesitated for a moment, then made up their minds and jumped down. When they regained their sight, they were all stunned. Isn't this the square they saw in the illusion before? It turns out that the things in the illusion are real. It had to be Fang Shi. While these people were still in shock, she had already started digging with a small shovel. The master in the illusion told her that there was something buried under all the blue bricks with the eyeless blue phoenix carved on them, so if she didn't dig now, when would she? She had just pried up a brick and before she had time to see if there was anything underneath, she heard a loud shout. Where did this shameless kid come from, actually daring to secretly dig up things from my Tianyan Dao sect? The next moment, Fang Shi was blown away and fell on his butt. Fang Shi looked carefully and saw that the person who spoke was an old man with a big golden afro, just like the Golden Lion King. She thought that appearance reflects the heart, and this person must have a very bad temper. She climbed up while thinking about it. When she was about to speak, she saw those great demon beasts trembling like sieves and crawling on the ground. They were as cowardly as they could be. Fang Kui and the others were not in much better condition. They were trembling and barely standing. It had to be Jun Wen. Although his face was a little pale, he still stood straight. Fang Shi didn't feel anything, but she regretted that she was too slow and failed to put the treasure under the blue brick into her storage ring. Commander Lu was speechless. It's already this late, and you're still thinking about those things. She bowed and saluted. Lu Yi, the 698th direct disciple of Tianyan Dao sect, and other direct disciples come to see you, senior. Jun Wen hurriedly followed suit and saluted. Seeing this, Fang Kui and others quickly followed suit. Now they did not have the courage to object to Fang Zai's words, saying that they were not the direct disciples of Tianyan Dao sect, but the direct disciples of Xingya sect. The golden-haired old man snorted coldly. Are you worthy enough to be my Tianyan Dao sect's direct disciples? You are trash, and your character is also very bad. Taking things without asking is stealing. Fang Shi looked aggrieved. Senior, you are wrongly accusing me. My master told me that everything buried under the blue bricks with the eyeless blue Luan carved on them was a gift from him. As the saying goes, a gift from an elder cannot be refused, and I have no choice. Fang Kui and others. You really dare to say that? You really know how to talk? The golden-haired old man frowned and said, who is your master? He is so bold that he dares to give the sect's things to a yellow-haired girl like you as a gift. Fang Shi thought, how dare you call me a yellow-haired girl? You are the yellow-haired old man. She said with a look of shame, to be honest, I don't know the master's name, and we have only met once. We were originally having a nice conversation as master and disciple, but he ended up insisting on me demonstrating the turtle divination technique. I had already told him that my tortoise shell would explode if I told fortunes, and I even asked him to stay away from him, but he wouldn't listen. In the end, no one knew where it was blown to, and it never came back. The golden-haired old man sneered, blow up the turtle shell. And blow up the person. You were kidding, come on, blow it up for me now. Fang Shi hesitated, this is inappropriate, right? The golden-haired old man, what's inappropriate? You blow it up when I tell you to. As soon as he finished speaking, the Mahayana monsters that were crawling and trembling on the ground instantly scattered. He runs so fast. There are after images. The golden-haired old man. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1696, Golden-haired Anonymous. The golden-haired old man felt a little unsure. It is impossible for these great demon beasts to flee without any reason. They must have witnessed the exploding turtle shell of this yellow-haired girl. Is she really that powerful? But he had already said it, he can take it back, right? Perhaps these great demon beasts have limited knowledge and were frightened. Well, that must be the case. Seeing Feng Shi didn't move, he urged, "What are you still standing there for? Blow one up for me." Feng Shi said weakly, "It's fine to blow it up, but can you let me dig out the treasures under the blue bricks first? I'm afraid it will all be blown up in a while. These are all gifts my master gave me. If they were blown up, I would be so unfilial." The golden-haired old man. "You are so filial." However, what the yellow-haired girl said makes sense. It would be terrible if the blue bricks in the square were damaged. He thought for a moment and said, "Come with me." Feng Shi followed the old man happily. "Senior, what is your name?" The old man snorted coldly, "You, a shameless little thief, are worthy of knowing my name. If you keep talking nonsense, I will throw you out." Feng Shi shut his mouth obediently. She thought to herself, "I'm afraid that I'll blow you away, and then someone comes and asks me, and I won't be able to answer. Since you won't tell me, then I'll just call you Golden-haired Anonymous." The yellow-haired old man led Feng Shi through a barrier and arrived at an open space. Exploded. Feng Shi kindly reminded, "Stay away, or I'll hurt you." The yellow-haired old man sneered and didn't move. Feng Shi thought, why are all the old ghosts in this Taoist temple so stubborn? Others belong to the Chinese zodiac, but they may belong to the donkey. Feng Shi took out the turtle shell. After she had nurtured it with the power of time, the cracks were now slightly smaller than before. But it's still obvious. Feng Shi didn't dare to use the power of time, so he simply used his spiritual power to perform for the old man. The power is much weaker than the one shown to the monsters before. But the yellow-haired old man was standing too close to Feng Shi, and he didn't even have time to let out a scream before he was blown to pieces. That's right, it's gone. Feng Shi climbed out of the pit and first checked the turtle shell. Seeing that the cracks on it had not expanded, he felt relieved. As for the yellow-haired old man, he got what he wanted and he must be very happy now. She is such a considerate little girl. She pretended to call out a few times, "Senior, Senior, where are you? Are you okay?" Seeing no movement, she decided to return the same way. However, she found she couldn't go back. When they came, the old man took her through the barrier easily, but now she was the only one left and couldn't get through after trying for a long time. She had no choice but to look for another way out, only to find that there were barriers all around, like a cage. She suspected that she might have been fooled. The yellow-haired old man didn't want to see the power of the exploding turtle shell at all, but wanted to lock her up in there. But after reviewing what happened, I feel that this should not be possible. Because judging from the yellow-haired old man's behavior, he is a purely stubborn person and there is no need to beat around the bush at all. Therefore, the reason she was locked up here was simply because she was too lucky. After much thought, she decided that her only way out was to blast her turtle shell. However, before the explosion, the cracks in the turtle shell must be repaired with the power of time, otherwise it will explode in two. So, she began to use the power of time to repair the tortoise shell. The people in the square kept waiting, but Feng Shi and the yellow-haired old man didn't come back, so they started to panic. Li Zhe asked Zhang Wen, "Junior brother, do you think junior sister will be okay? Why hasn't she come back in such a long time?" Zhang Wen comforted him, "Don't worry, even if something happened, it was that senior who got into trouble. My sister will definitely be fine." Li Zhe. He wanted to say something, but when he saw Zhang Wen's warning look, he swallowed his words back. He thought about it for a long time and finally figured out what Zhang Wen meant by saying that. Those great Mahayana monsters are still here. Feng Shi is here, and they're as well behaved as dogs. Once they think something has happened to Feng Shi, they might attack them. Therefore, they must be made to believe that Feng Shi is fine and will definitely return safely. Now that he had come to this point, Fang Kui and the others naturally understood Zhang Wen's intention, so they changed the previous panic and started to flatter him. "Junior brother Lu, what you said makes sense. Let's just say that junior sister Lu's skill of exploding turtle shells is almost unrivaled, if not invincible. Not to mention that the senior didn't seem to have any bad intentions, even if he did, he couldn't do anything to junior sister Lu. Junior sister Lu's master knows that senior. It's impossible for him to attack a junior like junior sister Lu. The two of them might be chatting right now. Let's not wait around foolishly. Let's hurry up and practice." Ellipsis. As everyone was talking, they sat cross-legged in meditation, looking very confident. In fact, they were terribly scared. They have never hoped that Feng Shi would be safe and sound as much as they do now. Fortunately, those great demon beasts were all lying lazily not far from them, without making any movement. Time seems so long. I don't know how long it took, but someone said, "Why have you come here?" The next moment, a fat old man appeared in front of everyone. He looked so wealthy that the flesh on his face weighed at least 2.5 kilograms. Those Mahayana monsters once again prostrated themselves on the ground, trembling. The fat old man made a hand gesture and smashed towards the monsters. "Tell me, what's going on?" Those great demon beasts pushed the demon wolf out in tacit understanding. "I told you not to eat alone, so this time you have to take over if there is any problem." The demon wolf was extremely conflicted. "If you tell the truth, nothing good will happen. But if you don't tell the truth, what should you say?" Just when it didn't know what to say, Zhang Wen said loudly, "My dear senior, we are all the 698th generation disciples of Tianyin Dao Sect. We entered the Dao field for the purpose of trial and to listen to the teachings of the seniors." Zhang Wen discovered that the old ghosts in this Taoist temple didn't seem to communicate with each other, or there might be a barrier to information transmission. Anyway, they didn't seem to know much about each other's affairs. Therefore, avoiding the important issues should not be a big problem. The whole sect is a dog licking, but the junior sister is a real dog. Chapter 1697 The golden turtle becomes a green-haired turtle. The fat old man rolled his eyes. "Then how did you find your way here? Were these evil beasts the ones who brought you here?" The demon wolves were extremely scared. The next moment I heard Zhang Wen say, "They didn't want to come, but when they heard that we were the younger generation of Tianyin Dao Sect, they thought that we were from the same origin as the seniors. In addition, they were shocked by the power of my junior sister's tortoise shell explosion, so they brought us here. The fat old man raised his eyebrows. Oh, fried turtle shells. Your junior sister. 3 hours ago, a senior with golden hair took my junior sister into the barrier over there, and she hasn't come back yet. The fat old man laughed. Golden hair. This old guy likes to tinker with fire. When he meets a little girl who can fry turtle shells, he is naturally very interested. We don't care about him. Aren't you here for the trial? Come with me. Jun Wen. Senior, why don't you go and take a look? What if that senior was accidentally injured by my junior sister? The fat old man waved his hands. Don't worry, you won't die. Come with me quickly. If you hesitate, I will feed you to those evil beasts. Jun Wen knew that the fat old man would get angry if he said anything more, so he gave up. Furthermore, he really believed that nothing would happen to Fengshi. On the one hand, he had a mysterious trust in Fengshi, and on the other hand, he was following Fengshi's advice. If something really happened to Fengshi, he would definitely be able to sense it. So, he, Fang Kui and others followed the fat old man into another barrier. The monsters that were left behind did not dare to leave. If the female devil came back and didn't see them, she would definitely not give up. At this time, Fengshi was completely confused. The originally golden turtle shell in front of her was covered with green algae. The golden turtle turned into a green-haired turtle. Well, this is all her fault. When she was using the power of time to repair the turtle shell, she suddenly remembered that green soil has the property of accelerating the growth of spiritual plants. Would it be useful for the turtle shell as well? So, she took out some green soil and added some water, and made it into mud. She applied the mud to the cracks in the turtle shell and then roasted it over a fire. Commander Lu, you are a beggar's chicken. Fengshi quickly withdrew the spiritual flame and instead used the power of time to nourish, resulting in the growth of these green algae. She clears away one crop, and soon another grows back. Finally, she was too lazy to clean up. She comforted herself by thinking that growing some green algae might make it more stable, just like planting trees beside a dam. In addition, this incident also gave her inspiration. Before, she was able to use the power of time to pull the cricket pupae into the forbidden area, so she should be able to pull the cricket pupae out of the barrier, right? She put away the turtle shell and immediately ran to the edge of the barrier to start pupating the crickets. You know what? The cricket pupae have come out. When the monsters saw her coming out, they all surrounded her. Madam, you are back. Are you not hurt? Where is the blonde old man? Was he killed in the explosion? Sir, your brother and his friends left with a fat old man. The fat old man said he would take them to experience it. Ellipsis. Fengshi was surprised and asked, can you speak human language now? The demon wolf lowered his voice and said, we could speak human language, but that fat old man was very mean. He said we were not worthy of speaking human language and used magic to restrict us. He wanted to ask us something just now, and now he has solved it for us. Feng's eyes lit up. Is this restriction useful to humans? Demonic wolf. You are more perverted than the fat old man. Fengshi inquired about what happened in detail and felt that the fat old man was just playing a trick on Jun Wen and the others, so she felt relieved and started digging for treasures. She found a green brick with an eyeless green phoenix carved on it. After prying it open, she discovered a jade box underneath. She first cast several layers of spiritual power shield on herself, then carefully opened the jade box, and saw that it was empty. Fengshi. She didn't give up and continued digging. As a result, one jade box was found to be empty. The next one was found to be empty. All empty. The nightmare memory replayed itself. The monsters were terrified. Because the sight of the female devil gritting her teeth is so scary. Wouldn't she blow them up the next moment? Fengshi put all the jade boxes he dug out into his storage ring. Even a mosquito leg is meat, so it would be a waste if he didn't miss it. She shifted her gaze to those Mahayana monsters. As you can see, I dug for a long time and found only empty boxes. I strongly suspect that the things in the boxes were stolen by you. Because you were the only ones here just now. And you also heard the conversation between me and Golden Retriever, Senior Jin. Hand it over quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Monsters. You could clearly rob, but you insisted on accusing us of stealing. You were so damaged. Not only do you want our things, but you also slander our reputation. But, what can they do? He could only voluntarily give Fengshi some rare treasures to heal her emotional trauma. Fengshi immediately revealed a smile as warm as spring breeze. Are you feeling wronged? Monsters, feeling wronged, but dare not speak out. Not only did he not dare to speak, he even had to defend the female devil. Sir, we provoked you first, but not only did you not do anything to us, you even helped us resolve the crisis. It's normal for us to give you something, so we are not only not wronged, we are honored. We wanted you alive, but you only wanted this little thing. You are so kind. Yes, sir, it would be a waste to keep these things here. It would be better to give them to you so that they can play a greater role. Ellipsis. Fengshi boasted to Commander Lu. Master, you see, I don't even need to say anything myself, there are great demons who will argue for me. I still say that, it's all my fault for having a personality that has nowhere to go. Commander Lu. Whether it is the charm of personality or the power of exploding turtle shells, you know it clearly in your heart. Of course, there is another reason, that is, these monsters must have been bullied by those old ghosts in the past, so they have no backbone at all. It can even be described as accepting what is given to you. After Fengshi accepted the gift from nature, he asked the demon wolf, which enchantment were my brother and the others taken into. The demon wolf immediately pointed to a barrier. Fengshi asked it again, do you have a way to get in? The wolf demon shook its head like a rattle. The same is true for other monsters. Fengshi didn't count on him at first. She leaned over and stretched her neck and shouted. Senior, this is a personal teaching. I am the one who is best at exploding turtle shells. Senior, please open the barrier and let me in. I will show you a show. Senior, if you don't open the barrier, I will open it myself. My method of opening it is more violent, it will explode directly. Ellipsis. Fang Shi shouted for a long time but there was no response, so he took out the turtle shell. The monsters were stunned. Wasn't this turtle shell originally golden? How did it become a green-haired turtle's shell? Fang Shi glanced at them and they immediately scattered. Are you kidding me? The female devil is about to explode. Are you going to be blown into pieces if you don't run?